Chapter 0101. But would dispersing be of any use? The answer was no. Duan Ling Tian stood on top, rooted to the ground like a mountain. Greater teleportation. Instantly, a defensive chi barrier that was suffused with the radiance of origin energy flickered on the surface of Duan Ling Tian's body. Bang! A 9th-level body-tempering soldier had a vicious expression as he fully exploded out with the strength of an ancient mammoth, smashing his fist onto Duan Ling Tian's defensive chi barrier. Ka! The sound of bones breaking sounded. Ah! The soldier emitted a shrill cry and was blasted away before grasping onto this broken arm and rolling around the floor in pain while pouring out cold sweat. Meanwhile, the other 3 enemy kingdom soldiers' attacks had arrived. Without exception, they all followed in the footsteps of the first soldier. Especially the 2nd-level core formation martial artist, he had exploded forth with his full strength of 3 ancient mammoths and spared no effort when he smashed his palm onto Duan Ling Tian. As a result, all of the force was teleported in reverse, and his arm was directly broken from the impact before he was blasted away and blacked out on the ground. Star shift. Slight shock appeared on Vice Commander Chao Qingshan's face. He pondered for a moment before recalling an extremely valuable high-grade profound rank defensive martial skill. The surrounding drill grounds was deathly silent. This scene was even more shocking than when Yu Shang was in the arena. Yu Shang only used his defensive martial skill to block the enemy kingdom soldiers' attacks. However, Duan Ling Tian not only blocked the attacks, but his defensive martial skill could even counterattack, returning nearly all of his opponent's force. What a terrifying defensive martial skill. Yeah, this defensive martial skill is really too strong. The crowd was in an uproar. Many of the youths couldn't help from emitting a sense of reverence when their gaze was on Duan Ling Tian. And there was even a small amount of youths whose eyes emitted a dense intent to battle. HMPH. Yu Shang grunted coldly. His limelight being seized by Duan Ling Tian caused the malicious intent in his eyes to grow even deeper. After Duan Ling Tian passed the test, he quickly walked back to where he was standing earlier. As for those remaining enemy kingdom soldiers that were on the brink of death, they were all killed one after the other by the Iron Blood Army soldiers, their blood splattering on the spot. The moment they lost the battle was the moment their fates were sealed. Number 138. After Duan Ling Tian exited the arena, it was Xiao Yu's turn. Xiao Yu and Duan Ling Tian brushed shoulders as they passed each other, and Xiao Yu's eyes emitted a trace of astonishment. As far as he knew, the defensive martial skill that Duan Ling Tian executed earlier was undoubtedly the defensive martial skill that he cultivated, Star Shift. He was slightly curious as to where Duan Ling Tian learned Star Shift from. Moreover, it seemed to be cultivated to the perfection stage. Duan Ling Tian, you know Star Shift as well? Meng Quan asked curiously. Half a year ago, he battled Xiao Yu during Aurora City's youth gathering and suffered a loss to Star Shift. Duan Ling Tian shook his head and said, Meng Quan, what I executed wasn't Star Shift, only its characteristics are slightly similar. So that's how it is, and here I was feeling puzzled as to how you could know the Xiao clan's martial skill. Meng Quan nodded. Duan Ling Tian's gaze wandered off into the distance. As Xiao Yu stood there, his cold figure seemed to be still like a mountain, giving off an invisible suppressive feeling to others. The 10 enemy kingdom soldiers all had fearful expressions as they entered the arena and dispersed to surround him. Star Shift. A defensive chi barrier flickered on the surface of Xiao Yu's body, fully exploding forth with the strength of 4 ancient mammoths. Wanderer's Flash. Xiao Yu moved out swiftly as he locked onto the 2nd-level core formation soldier. In the blink of an eye, he had already caught up to his target, and he jerked his sleeve that was suffused with origin energy. Sleeve dimension. His long sleeve swung out to intercept the enemy kingdom soldier's fist that contained the strength of 3 ancient mammoths. The soldier's expression distorted greatly. He only felt that his fist had hit the youth's sleeve, but it seemed to have hit cotton. There was no place to exert his strength on. In the next moment, he noticed a terrifying force tremoring towards him. Ka! The enemy kingdom soldier's arm was directly twisted to the point of breaking by Xiao Yu's sleeve movement. Accompanied by a shrill cry, the enemy kingdom soldier was blasted away by Xiao Yu, his body trembling violently as he rolled all over on the floor. Meanwhile, the remaining 9 enemy kingdom soldiers' attacks had arrived to blast themselves onto Xiao Yu. Some attacked from behind, some attacked from the sides. However, a string of shrill cries sounded at almost the same time as the 9 enemy kingdom soldiers whose attacks descended onto Xiao Yu were blasted away one after the other. Following which, Xiao Yu killed them all one by one. Number 139. Xiao Yu smoothly passed the test, and thus the captain continued to call upon the next number. Meng Quan, good luck. Xiao Yu nodded to Meng Quan as they brushed past each other. Don't worry. Meng Quan inhaled a deep breath. Meanwhile, only now did the young geniuses present react. Their gazes all switched between Xiao Yu and Duan Lingtian. This number 138 seems to be together with Duan Lingtian, even his defensive martial skill seems similar. Yeah, I wonder what defensive martial skill it is. It's too terrifying. He only needs to activate his defensive chi barrier. When others attack him, it's like hitting a mirror, they are unable to injure him and instead injured themselves. This defensive martial skill is certainly extremely rare even in our Crimson Sky Kingdom. Many of the youths present looked at Duan Lingtian and Xiao Yu with gazes that emitted an envious and jealous luster. Duan Lingtian, how do you know Star Shift? Xiao Yu couldn't stop himself from asking the moment he returned to Duan Lingtian's side. Star Shift was an extremely valuable high-grade profound rank defensive martial skill, even their Xiao clan relied on their ancestors' bestowal in order to acquire this martial skill. This martial skill was something that neither the Li clan nor the Lin clan possessed. Even the large clans of Swallow Mountain County didn't have it, and even the county governor's estate might not have it. Thus, he was curious as to how Duan Lingtian knew this martial skill. You've seen wrongly. The defensive martial skill I executed wasn't Star Shift, it was Greater Teleportation. Subsequently, Duan Lingtian roughly recited the principles behind Greater Teleportation to Xiao Yu. It's indeed slightly different, but it achieves the same goal with different means. Xiao Yu couldn't help but sigh. Meanwhile, Meng Quan had already drawn an iron rod from the weapons rack on a side of the drill grounds and was executing Thousand Shadow Rod as he fought with the 10 enemy kingdom soldiers. Bang! With a swing of the rod, a 9th level body tempering soldier was blasted away. Just at this moment, an unexpected event abruptly occurred. One of the 9th level body tempering soldiers forcefully threw himself over and withstood a rod strike from Meng Quan before tightly grasping onto the iron rod. Don't worry about me, kill him. The enemy kingdom soldier had a vicious expression as his fresh blood flowed out of his mouth and he howled in grief. The other 8 soldiers had tears in their eyes as they pounced like madmen towards Meng Quan, who couldn't use his rod anymore. Meng Quan. Duan Lingtian's face turned grim. Ah! When Meng Quan realized the danger he was in, he roared and hoisted up the soldier along with the iron rod before dropping it down towards one of the soldiers that was pouncing towards him. Bang! 2 lives with a single rod strike. Duan Lingtian heaved a sigh of relief when he saw this scene. In the end, Meng Quan eventually passed the test with great hardships. Duan Lingtian looked at the serious-faced Meng Quan and asked, Meng Quan, you've already passed the test. Why do you not seem happy at all? Duan Lingtian, tell me, should I really have killed them? That enemy kingdom soldier was willing to die in order to restrain my weapon just so that he could allow his companions to obtain freedom. Meng Quan had a complicated gaze as he heaved a sigh. That guy was indeed worthy of admiration. Xiao Yu nodded seriously. You killed him in order to protect yourself, and your battle with him would either end in his or your death, so you don't have to feel any guilt. Duan Lingtian patted Meng Quan on the shoulder as he consoled him. The genius camp test continued on like a raging fire. Later on, there were still some youth geniuses who got killed, but overall it was much better than when it just started. Presently, all of the youths present could be considered to have experienced genuine slaughter and bloodshed. They didn't have any mental burdens anymore when they entered the arena to conduct a slaughter. Number 163. The youth that entered the arena this time was around the age of 18. He was wearing scarlet-red robes and holding a sheathed sword in his hand. The moment he attacked, he attracted the gazes of everyone present. Above him, 6 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form. Obviously, he was a 4th level core formation martial artist. And the 3rd 4th level core formation stage martial artist that was participating in the genius camp test so far. The 10 enemy kingdom soldiers had only entered the arena and had not even taken their positions when. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, a red stream of light flashed crisscross across the soldiers. Repeated sword cries could be vaguely heard falling and rising one after the other. Clang! The sound of a sword being sheathed echoed out. The youth's figure revealed itself after having moved from one side of the soldiers to the other. Bang! 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 The 10 enemy kingdom soldiers maintained their original postures before abruptly crashing to the ground. The warm, fresh blood that was spurting out of their throats was dazzling to the eye. Good. This scene caused Chao Qing-shan, the dignified vice-commander of the Iron Blood Army, to be unable to control himself from cheering. His eyes shone and he was eager to know more about this youth. What's your name? Su Li. The red-robed youth nodded in a slightly courteous manner to Chao Qing-shan. As expected, the crowd of youths were once again in an uproar. FK, this Su Li is the real freak. I couldn't even see his movements clearly, but he killed all of the enemy kingdom soldiers. Too terrifying. I didn't even have time to see what his sword looked like. I think his strength is even more formidable than Duan Lingtian's and Yu Zhang's. I think so too, hearing the discussions from the surroundings caused Yu Zhang's expression to turn ugly. But his eyes emitted a trace of fear when he looked at the faraway red-robed Su Li. Although he wasn't willing to admit it, the red-robed youth's strength was indeed more formidable than his. No, not only more formidable. As far as he was concerned, even the first-ranked youth in the younger generation of County City, Tan Rui, was still far from being as terrifying as the red-robed youth. I didn't expect there to still be such a freak among the young geniuses that participated in this year's Genius Camp test, Meng Quan exclaimed in a low voice. What a swift sword. Xiao Yu's expression was serious. Su Li. As Duan Lingtian looked at the faraway red-robed youth, his eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. Earlier, he vaguely caught Su Li's movements. Su Li's movement technique was undoubtedly a high-grade profound rank movement technique. Moreover, it was cultivated to the perfection stage. If he were to face Su Li, unless he went at it with everything he had and exploded forth with the strength comparable to a 5th-level core formation martial artist, he would be far inferior to Su Li. Chapter 0102. Besides being fast, Su Li's sword skill was extremely terrifying. Duan Lingtian was sure of at least one thing. Su Li's sword skill was fast enough to compete with his sword-drawing arts. Sword-drawing arts was only able to manifest the might of a high-grade profound rank sword skill when attacking unexpectedly. Su Li's sword skill, however, was a genuine high-grade profound rank sword skill. Moreover, it was obviously one of the top sword skills among the high-grade profound rank sword skills. The synchronous shadow sword I passed on to Li Shishi is still slightly inferior to his sword skill. Perhaps only K.'s freezing sword can compare to it, Duan Lingtian thought in his heart. K.'s freezing sword was part of the top cultivation method Frost God's sword technique and was also the foundation for the succeeding profound sword skills within the Frost God's sword technique, so it was extremely extraordinary. Unless I exerted all my strength, or my spirit serpent movement technique breaks through to the perfection stage, it would be extremely difficult to defeat this Su Li. Duan Lingtian took a deep breath and his eyes flashed with a trace of an intent to do battle. As time went by, dusk slowly approached. At this time, the Genius Camp tests were drawing to a close. After Su Li, although there were many third-level core formation youth genius that were quite extraordinary, they were still inferior to Su Li. Number 237. As the captain spoke, a youth so robust that he looked like a cow walked out quickly, his imposing manner piercing through the sky. Duan Lingtian, who was originally slightly drowsy, suddenly jolted awake and looked towards the robust youth. This guy isn't simple. Xiao Yu had a serious expression. He obviously noticed as well. Meanwhile, the 10 enemy kingdom soldiers followed him into the arena and pounced towards the robust youth. Wah! The robust youth's body trembled. In the blink of an eye, 6 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form above him. 4th level of the core formation stage. Another one at the 4th level of the core formation stage. Many of the youths in the crowd couldn't stop themselves from exclaiming. The expressions of the 10 enemy kingdom soldiers that flew out all distorted greatly. Meanwhile, the robust youth had already closed the distance between him and the 2nd level core formation soldier. Clap! He slapped out his palm and knocked the soldier out cold. This was nothing. He proceeded to extend his hand and hoist up the soldier's body, hoisting it up as easily as lifting a feather. He treated the body as a weapon and swung it out towards the remaining 9 enemy kingdom soldiers. The 9 enemy kingdom soldiers were repeatedly blasted away, and they were all, without exception, killed from impact. The enemy kingdom soldier that the robust youth used as a weapon had long since become badly mutilated. Although the body seemed to have some slight movements, even God would find it difficult to save him. Suddenly, the robust youth lifted his hand and tossed up the soldier. Whoosh! His leg moved out like a bolt of lightning. Ka! The body of the enemy kingdom soldier dislocated at the waist and was kicked away, flying before crashing down onto the ground without any signs of life. The surrounding drill grounds fell into a deathly silence. Ha ha, good, good. The Iron Blood Army's vice commander laughed heartily. The youths that participated in this year's Genius Camp test really gave him too huge of a pleasant surprise. Especially this youth in front of him, he was virtually a combat machine. If he were to enter the battlefield, he would certainly slaughter the enemies in all directions. What's your name? Chao Qingshan asked. The robust youth cupped his hand towards Chao Qingshan and respectfully said, reporting to Vice Commander, Sir. I'm known as Tianhu. Tianhu, well done. Chao Qingshan smiled as he nodded without sparing any commendations. Immediately, the 100+ youths present at the drill grounds looked at Tianhu with envious and jealous gazes. This Tianhu is extremely formidable. Duan Ling Tian's pupils constricted. I didn't expect that this many freaks would appear for this year's Genius Camp test. Meng Quan laughed bitterly. At the same time that Meng Quan sighed, there were plenty of people who were similarly sighing. So many black horses actually appeared during this year's Genius Camp test. Tisk tisk, 4 youths at the 4th level of the core formation stage is truly shocking. Yeah, in any other year, if even one 4th level core formation youth appeared, it would be enough to cause surprise. But this time 4 people actually appeared. Especially that Duan Ling Tian. Although his current strength might not be on par with Su Li's and Tianhu's, he's still young. Once grows to Su Li's and Tianhu's age, he will certainly be even more terrifying. These words all entered Yu Zhang's ears. Yu Zhang's eyes flashed with a trace of cold light, revealing a killing intent. Once he grows up to the age of Yu Shang and Tianhu, then he will surely be even more terrifying. The corners of Yu Zhang's mouth curled into a sneer. Then he will at least need to be alive until then. It'll end soon, Duan Ling Tian thought in his heart as his gaze once again descended onto the drill grounds. In the later part of the test, over 10 youths died, but there were also over 10 youths that passed the test. At this moment, the Genius Camp test completely came to a close. The captain had returned to the side of the Iron Blood Army's vice commander and whispered something in his ear. Chao Qingshan took a step forward and looked at the group of youths that seemed to have matured within a day as he slowly said, First of all, congratulations on being able to pass the Genius Camp test. It's needless to say that this year's test was beyond my expectations. Besides the amount of people that passed being higher than the previous years, there were even a few peoples whose strength shocked even me. The people present all knew who Chao Qingshan was talking about when he spoke about their shocking strength. For a moment, nearly everyone present had their gazes divided towards 4 places, respectively being Duan Ling Tian, Su Li, Tianhu, and Yu Shang. The 4 of them were absolute black horses. Tonight, all of you can enjoy yourselves, but starting from tomorrow, you will all become members of the Genius Camp, and for the next year, there won't be any luxuries for you to enjoy. Although all of you are extraordinary, based on our past experience, there won't be more than 10 of you alive in a year. Chao Qingshan dispersed the crowd of youths after he finished speaking. After a year, no more than 10 would survive. None of the youths that left the Iron Blood Army drill grounds doubted what Chao Qingshan had said. As the Iron Blood Army's vice commander, Chao Qingshan had seen countless young geniuses die during the Genius Camp training over the years. What he said was something extremely worth believing, as it came from experience. Tisk tisk, no more than 10 people. I roughly counted earlier and there were 98 people who passed the Genius Camp test. Meng Quan couldn't help but be astounded. Don't you have anything better to do? Duan Ling Tian shook his head and laughed. Let's have a feast tonight. We won't have the chance to enjoy ourselves for a year starting tomorrow, said Xiao Yu. Right, let's open up our stomachs tonight and fill them to the brim. Meng Quan grinned. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. Duan Ling Tian took the lead and walked towards the restaurant. After eating their fill that night, Duan Ling Tian's group of 3 took a stroll around Iron Blood City before heading back to the inn. Duan Ling Tian cultivated until deep into the night before slowly falling asleep. He deeply anticipated the arrival of the Genius Camp's training. In a vast, brightly illuminated room of another inn. Brother, I'm sorry. Yu Shang lowered his head. Opposite Yu Shang stood a 25-year-old young man. The young man was wearing casual clothes, and there was a similarity to Yu Shang between his brows. However, at this moment, his eyes flickered with a ghastly brilliance, and mixed within was a trace of rage and killing intent. It isn't your fault. You don't have to blame yourself. The young man was precisely Yu Hong, the elder brother of Yu Shang. Brother, it's all because of that Duan Ling Tian. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have had an argument that eventually attracted the vice commander over. Yu Zhang's eyes emitted killing intent as he spoke. Don't worry, as long as he enters the genius camp, I have ways to kill him. Yu Hong tightly clenched his fist as his origin energy started raging and swept out. Under extreme rage, 11 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared above him. 8th level of the core formation stage. Brother, didn't that Wang Mang say that you have to avoid doing anything that would arouse suspicion? Yu Shang was dazed. Yes, I do. Yu Hong's eye flickered and the corners of his mouth curled into a sneer. But of the few centurions that are in charge of the genius camp, 2 of them are good friends of mine. When the time comes, all they will have to do is play a few underhanded tricks and that Duan Ling Tian will undoubtedly be dead. Great. Yu Zhang's was wild with joy. In the largest tent of the Iron Blood Army's quarters. Qing Shan, I heard there were a few good seedlings in this year's genius camp. A refined middle-aged man sat at the head. He emitted a warm smile as he looked at the stalwart middle-aged man beside him. Yes, Commander, sir. Chao Qing Shan nodded with a face full of delight. I'm really getting curious as to why you're still happy even until now, tell me the details. The refined middle-aged man lightly smiled. His interest had been aroused. Probably no one would have imagined that the cold-blooded Iron Blood Army's commander would be such an ordinary and refined scholar once he removed his armor. Yes, Chao Qing Shan answered respectfully. Among the 4 of them, the only one I heard about before was Yu Shang, the younger brother of Decurian Yu Hong, but, although this Yu Zhang's strength isn't bad, he is a mediocre person and will not have any great achievements. Chao Qing Shan had an expression of disregard when he spoke of Yu Shang. Isn't Yu Hong a centurion? The refined middle-aged man was dazed. After hearing Chao Qing Shan's explanation, he finally understood the whole story, and his expression sunk as he grunted. This Yu Hong is too presumptuous. How could the Iron Blood Army allow him to use his authority for personal gain? That's why, out of consideration of his previous merits, I gave him a chance. If he doesn't know how to change his ways, we can only discharge him from the Iron Blood Army, Chao Qing Shan said. You handled this matter well. That Duan Ling Tian is the second person that caught your attention. The refined middle-aged man asked curiously. Exactly, Chao Qing Shan nodded. This Duan Ling Tian isn't even 17 yet, but he isn't humble nor arrogant. He was even unfazed when faced with the murderous aura I released on purpose towards him. I suspect that although he is still young, but he's already killed quite a few people. Not even 17 but killed quite a few people. The refined middle-aged man was dazed. Yes. Later on, in order to prove my suspicions, I purposely observed him. As a result, I noticed that when faced with the brutal murderous scene in the drill grounds, unlike the other youths, he was unfazed and just watched coldly from the beginning till the end. It's hard to imagine how a youth that's only 16 years of age could be able to achieve such a feat, Chao Qing Shan continued. Chapter 0103. Early morning the next day at the Iron Blood Army campsite. The 98 youths from Swallow Mountain County gathered once again. After a night's rest, they were all brimming with vigor and vitality. Everything that happened yesterday was completely forgotten, and they started a new chapter in their lives. Before long, the captain that was in charge of presiding over the genius camp yesterday walked over quickly along with 5 young generals. The captain went straight to the point the moment he arrived. First of all, congratulations on passing the test and becoming members of the genius camp. I'm Yang Da, a captain of the Iron Blood Army and the person in charge of this year's genius camp training. In ordinary times, the 5 centurions behind me will be your instructors and will bring you along for training. Now, I'll let you all freely form 5 groups, where each group may not have more than 20 people. Immediately, the group of youths on the drill grounds started getting into action. Most of the people moved over to 4 different directions. In each of these 4 directions stood a single person. Duan Ling Tian, Su Li, Tian Hu, Yu Shang. Obviously, as far as they were concerned, relying on them would be the most sensible choice. Duan Ling Tian, Xiao Yu, and Meng Quan stood on the spot. More than 20 people quickly gathered around them. In the end, with the help of the captain, Duan Ling Tian's group was left with 20 people. The same happened for Su Li, Tian Hu, and Yu Zhang's groups. Only the remaining 18 people had bitter smiles as they stood at a side with slightly helpless expressions and with a sense of loss. Alright, now that the groups have been divided, next, I'll briefly introduce the rules during the training for the next year. The first round of training will last for 3 months. Each group will face different challenges, and survival of the fittest will occur until only half of the people remain. In other words, after 3 months, only half of the people in each group shall survive, Yongda said slowly. As Yongda finished speaking, the eyes of the isolated group of 18 young geniuses all shone brightly. Haha, so that's how it is. Looks like my luck isn't that bad, at least my group doesn't have any freaks. Yeah, but they are going to have a hard time, especially the groups with Duan Lingtian and Yu Shang. Duan Lingtian will surely help his 2 companions. In other words, in the first round of training, only 7 people will survive from the remaining 17 people. Ha 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 ha, Yu Zhang's group is even worse. Yu Shang has 4 Yu clan members with him, which means only 5 people can survive from the remaining 15 people. Different from these youths' delight, the youths of the other 4 groups all had slightly unnatural expressions. Especially Duan Lingtian's and Yu Xian's groups. These youths had extremely ugly expressions. FK, is something wrong with us? Why did we choose this group with Duan Lingtian? Forget it, our luck is still good, the people who chose Yu Zhang's group have the worst luck. Damn it, why did I choose Yu Zhang's group? What lousy luck. Yeah, even Duan Lingtian's group is better than this one. Hearing the surrounding discussions, Yu Xing's face sank as he growled, if you all think Duan Lingtian's group is better, then FK off over to him. Instantly, the surrounding youths went silent. They didn't dare to offend Yu Shang at this moment. If Yu Shang had any qualms against them, they would most certainly die. The current 5 groups will be considered small squads. The squads will be led by a centurion instructor and begin the 3-month-long first round of training. Yang Da's voice echoed out once again. Su Li's group was Squad 1. Tian Hu's group was Squad 2. Duan Lingtian's group was Squad 3. Yu Zhang's group was Squad 4. The final group was Squad 5. The 5 centurions each stood at the front of a group. A centurion around the age of 30 with a medium stature stood in front of Duan Lingtian's squad and said, in a loud voice, from today onwards, I will be the instructor of Squad 3. Call me Fan Jian. Fan Jian. 1. Some of the youths were stunned. The corners of Duan Lingtian's mouth twitched. This centurion's name was really special. PFF'd. Instantly, someone couldn't hold back their laughter. Is it very funny? Fan Jian's face sunk as he reprimanded him. Instantly, the entire squad went silent. Follow me. We'll hike to the Dawnshroud mountain range. Fan Jian shouted in a low voice as he took the lead and started running out of the Iron Blood Army's campsite. Meanwhile, the other 4 squads and their instructors followed from behind as well. The group of youths from the Genius Camp followed their 5 instructors out of Iron Blood City and headed towards the Dawnshroud mountain range. In the beginning, there was still chatting and laughter amongst the group of youths. But by the time noon arrived, no one had the strength to continue idle conversations. All of them were both hungry and thirsty. Instructor, where are we having our lunch at? One of the youths in Squad 3 couldn't help himself from inquiring. Humph, there's no lunch. If you want food then wait till we arrive at Dawnshroud mountain range and you can make some yourself. Based on our current traveling speed, it will be at least dusk before we arrive at Dawnshroud mountain range. All of you, keep your spirits high for me. Fan Jian coldly grunted. What? We need to run until dusk. The youths were stunned. They had only run for half a morning and they were already tired and hungry. If they were to run until dusk, wouldn't that mean being exhausted to the point of fainting? Behind the group of youths in Squad 3, 3 youths followed at a steady pace. Meng Quan wiped the sweat off his forehead as he asked, Duan Lingtian, aren't you tired? Presently, even Xiao Yu was breathing heavily. Only Duan Lingtian remained unfazed. The corners of Duan Lingtian's mouth contained a smile. Tired, not to mention that this level of training would be nothing to him in his past lifetime. In this lifetime, his body was even stronger, so even if he had to run an entire day and night, he still might not even feel a bit tired. Meng Quan, your breathing is too erratic, inhale every 3 steps and exhale every 2 steps, maintain a rhythm. Try it. Duan Lingtian smiled as he passed on his secret technique to Meng Quan. Meng Quan did as he was told. After a short moment, he looked much better, he even stopped sweating, and his entire person seemed much more revitalized and full of energy. It really works. Meng Quan's eyes shone. Xiao Yu was slightly surprised. He couldn't help himself from trying it out. After doing the same, he noticed that he didn't feel so exhausted anymore. He glanced deeply at Duan Lingtian. He realized that the more deeply he got to know Duan Lingtian, the more shocked he would be. Duan Lingtian, I really admire you. Meng Quan sighed. Before long, some of the others noticed that not only was Duan Lingtian's group of 3 not slow, they were unfazed, causing them to all be stunned. Even the 5 instructors were slightly moved. HMPH. Yu Zhang's breathing had started to become hurried as well, and his face sunk when he noticed Duan Lingtian's current condition. Even Su Li and Tian Hu both deeply glanced at Duan Lingtian. Presently, besides the 5 instructors, only Duan Lingtian's group of 3 seemed to be on a casual stroll. It didn't even look like they had been running. As the sun set, besides Duan Lingtian's group of 3, all of the youths including Su Li, Tian Hu, and Yu Shang couldn't help themselves from heaving a sigh of relief when a continuous mountain range appeared before them. We've arrived so quickly. Hey, so not challenging, Meng Quan said sarcastically. Instantly, it attracted plenty of scornful gazes. Before long, the 5 instructors exchanged gazes before they simultaneously ordered, halt. When the 5 squads of youths halted, some of them bended down and fiercely gasped for air. Finally they could rest. After a short moment, they were all stunned on the spot, as the 5 instructors searched them one by one and confiscated all the fire pistons that the youths had brought along with them. 2. Interesting. As Duan Lingtian thought of something, a smile appeared in the corners of his mouth. The 5 instructors gathered all the fire pistons before burning them all together. Instructor, some of the youths questioned. Now, the captain is already waiting for you all at the Dawnshroud Mountain Range's entrance. The first person amongst you to arrive at the entrance will obtain a fire piston from the captain. That will decide whether you'll be able to eat cooked meat or raw meat tonight, one of the instructors slowly said. After a short moment, the group of youths seemed as if they had awakened from a dream. They couldn't even be bothered to rest before they madly ran towards the entrance. In the air, a myriad of ancient mammoth silhouettes dashed across, their imposing manner piercing through the sky. Before long, only Duan Lingtian's group of 3 remained as they slowly walked over. Duan Lingtian had an unperturbed expression, however, Xiao Yu and Meng Quan beside him had puzzled expressions. Duan Lingtian, aren't we going to go fight for it? Asked Meng Quan. If we don't have a fire piston, we'll have to eat raw meat for the remaining days in this mountain range. Xiao Yu had a bitter smile as he spoke. Who said you must have a fire piston to start a fire? Duan Lingtian asked indifferently. Not to mention he had fire pistons in his spatial ring, even without a fire piston, he still had many methods to easily start a fire. 4 out of the 5 instructors followed the group and ran off to the entrance. Only Duan Lingtian's squad instructor, Fan Jian, glanced at Duan Lingtian before frowning, but he didn't say a word. How do you start a fire without a fire piston? Asked Meng Quan curiously. Forget it, we probably can't catch up now anyway. At most, when we need a fire, we can borrow it from the person who has the fire piston. Xiao Yu shook his head. He didn't quite believe what Duan Lingtian had said. The 3 of them slowly walked forward and eventually arrived at the entrance to the Dawnshroud Mountain Range. Upon arrival, they realized that only Captain Yang Da and the other 4 captains were present. Whereas the other youths had all vanished. What's going on? Yang Da frowned as he glanced at Fan Jian, who was following behind Duan Lingtian's group of 3. Captain, sir, they seem to not care about the fire piston, so I didn't force them, Fan Jian said in a matter-of-fact tone. Yang Da glanced at Duan Lingtian's group of 3 before shaking his head. Forget it. The 3 of you can now go hunt for some wild animals and prepare your own dinner. Duan Lingtian nodded and entered the Dawnshroud Mountain Range with Xiao Yu and Meng Quan. They're probably thinking of borrowing the fire piston. Looking at Duan Lingtian's group disappearing figures, Fan Jian grunted. Then they're going to be out of luck. Yang Da had a weird gaze. Huh, Fan Jian looked at Yang Da with a questioning gaze. Captain, why do you say so? Ha ha, Fan Jian, do you know who got the fire piston? Another one of the centurions asked as he laughed. Who? Fan Jian asked curiously. Yu Shang. 1 TL note. Fan Jian's name similarly sounds to another phrase in Chinese which would mean to commit something despicable. 2 TL note. The actual item used here was something like a fire piston but was blown with force to ignite. Fire piston is used here as it's the closest English equivalent without needing to make changes to the author's original writing. Chapter 0104. In the sky above Dawnshroud Mountain Range, the sun slowly set and concealed itself behind the other side of the mountain range. Duan Lingtian looked at the scene in the sky and thought in his heart, maybe this Dawnshroud mountain range got its name from that. This Dawnshroud mountain range should be similar to Misty Forest, both having a myriad of wild animals and fierce beasts living within. We must be careful once we enter it, Duan Lingtian said to Xiao Yu and Meng Quan by his side. The two of them nodded in reply. Let's go. Duan Lingtian's figure flashed forward. Spirit Serpent Movement Technique. Xiao Yu and Meng Quan executed their movement techniques as well as they followed Duan Lingtian like shadows. After entering the Dawnshroud mountain range, what appeared before them were 3 forks in the road, but after Duan Lingtian chose one of them, what appeared before them were 5 more forks in the road. It was virtually a maze. Aowu, an ear-splitting wolf howl tore through the sky. When Duan Lingtian turned around to look, he saw a pitch-black colored wild wolf with eyes that flickered with bloodlust pouncing out of the bushes at the side. It opened its bloody mouth to bite him. Overconfident, Duan Lingtian's brows knit as the muscles in his right arm slightly bulged. Whoosh, he swung out his right arm towards the wild wolf's chest, carrying with it a strong wind which swept towards the surroundings. A loud noise sounded, followed by a grievous howl from the wild wolf which abruptly ended in the next moment. The wild wolf's inner organs had been completely shattered from the impact of Duan Lingtian's arm swing, and as such it only slightly struggled on the ground for a short moment before losing all signs of life. Dead. I didn't expect that our prey would come find us itself. Meng Quan laughed as he walked over and hoisted the wild wolf onto his shoulder. Duan Lingtian inspected the surroundings for a moment before saying, let's return. The 3 of them left the Dawnshroud mountain range. On the way, they encountered some youths who were carrying their prey back as well. They were going to gather back at the Dawnshroud mountain range entrance. Many people had already begun cleaning the corpses of their prey. Some hunted tigers, some hunted eagles, and some hunted leopards. Duan Lingtian's group of 3 found an empty space before putting the wolf corpse down. Meng Quan casually pulled out a dagger from his long boot and started cleaning up the wolf corpse. Before long, Meng Quan had already cleaned up the wolf's fur and even thrown its internal organs aside. Meng Quan, you seem experienced. Duan Lingtian was slightly surprised. Hee, I used to always sleep out in the misty forest, sometimes even for times up to a month, so I needed to get food somehow. Now the meat is ready, so where are we getting our fire from? Meng Quan laughed slyly, but as he finished speaking, he was slightly perplexed. Suddenly, Xiao Yu frowned as he looked into the distance. Both of you, look. Duan Lingtian and Meng Quan looked over. They saw that nearly all of the Genius Camp youths besides their squad's members had already made a fire. Yu Shang, can you lend the fire piston to us for a moment? Someone from Squad 3 went over to borrow the fire piston. That Yu Shang got the fire piston? Xiao Yu and Meng Quan's expression were slightly ugly. If I'm not wrong, you're in the same squad as Duan Lingtian, right? Yu Shang asked the youth. Yes. The youth nodded. It's a small matter to lend the fire piston to everyone in your Squad 3, but let me be blunt, if anyone dares to lend the fire piston to Duan Lingtian, don't ever think about having a fire ever again. Yu Xian's eyes narrowed into a line and a cold light could be indistinctly seen from within. It's hard on everyone, and we all have been hungry for the entire day. Yu Shang, why don't you? The youth hesitated. Just based on what you said, I'm not going to lend it to anyone from Squad 3. Yu Shang grunted coldly before looking at the youths of his squad and the other squads. The fires you're all using were borrowed from me. Let me be clear and tell you all that if anyone dares to lend their fire to anyone within Squad 3, don't ever think of using my fire piston again. At this moment, Yu Shang had a complacent expression that said, I'm the boss. Yu Shang, don't worry, we're not ungrateful people. Yeah, we guarantee that we won't lend our fire to Squad 3. Instantly, besides the members of Squad 3, all the remaining squads stated their position clearly. The youth that came to borrow the fire piston was angry to the extent that his face flushed. FK off. Yu Shang glared at the youth. The youth was intimidated to the point of taking 2 steps back before turning around and returning to Squad 3's area. At this moment, the members of Squad 3 looked fiercely at the youth. Luo Cheng, you still have the face to come back. You originally successfully borrowed the fire piston, but because you couldn't mind your own business and tried to care of that Duan Lingtian. Now everyone in our Squad 3 doesn't have any fire to use. Duan Lingtian is right over there. I'm curious though, would he be grateful to you for what you did? Luo Cheng felt muddle-headed. He didn't expect that he would be isolated because of this. For a moment, his eyes became red as the luster of tears moved within. What, you still want to cry? Take your prey and FK off. One of the youths threw over a wild boar that had been cut up to Luo Cheng. How could you all be so selfish? As Luo Cheng held on to the wild boar, his breathing became hurried. Before long, Luo Cheng noticed that the group of youths from Squad 3 that were originally planning to argue with him seemed to have seen something terrifying as they abruptly shut their mouths. Slap. Meanwhile, he noticed that a strong hand had been placed on his shoulder. He turned his head around and saw a smiling violet-clothed youth standing behind him. Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian lightly smiled as he asked, "You're called Luo Cheng?" Duan Lingtian had a good impression of this youth that was willing to strive to get the fire piston for a stranger like himself. Yes. Luo Cheng was slightly nervous and awkward. Relax. Since they don't welcome you, just follow me from now on, Duan Lingtian said to Luo Cheng before walking back to where Xiaoyu and Meng Quan were. Xiaoyu, Meng Quan. Xiaoyu and Meng Quan nodded to Luo Cheng. Nice to meet you, I'm Luo Cheng. Luo Cheng's face was slightly red, seeming extremely similar to a little girl. Not far from them, HMPH. This Luo Cheng really has good luck, actually getting acquainted with someone to rely on like Duan Lingtian. So what, doesn't he still have to eat raw meat? Damn it, we really got screwed over badly by that Luo Cheng. The youths of Squad 3 all had ugly expressions. On the other side, Captain Yongda watched this scene from afar. While roasting meat on the campfire, he asked the other 5 centurions who sat around the fire, "How do you all think Duan Lingtian will deal with his dinner? I heard he was even fearless in front of the vice commander, so he probably will just go seize the fire piston from Yushang. Humph, if he seizes it forcefully, he might not even be a match for Yushang." Exactly. Moreover, do you think the others won't help Yushang? Including Su Li and Tianhu, they have all received Yu Zhang's kindness, otherwise, where would they have gotten their fire from? The 5 centurions discussed amongst themselves, and not one of them looked favorably upon Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian's group of 4 sat around in a circle. Duan Lingtian, now that the fire piston is in Yu Zhang's hands and the others have stated their positions on not lending their fire to us, what are we going to do about our dinner tonight? I've been hungry for a long time after running the entire day. Meng Quan rubbed his dry stomach with a bitter smile on his face. Xiaoyu looked over to Duan Lingtian as well. Why not, I go again, and plead to Yushang. Luo Cheng said, with a red face. In the next moment, he noticed Duan Lingtian's group of 3 sweep him with a burning gaze. I won't go, okay. Luo Cheng lowered his head. Whoosh, Duan Lingtian abruptly stood up. Under the puzzled gazes of Xiaoyu, Meng Quan, and Luo Cheng, Duan Lingtian walked over to the other youths of Squad 3. The group of youths was on guard as if confronted with a formidable enemy. Relax. Duan Lingtian smiled before his gaze focused on the pile of dried wood between the group of youths. You all probably don't need these pieces of dried wood anymore, right? The youths all exchanged glances, but nobody spoke a word. Since you all don't want them, I'll take them. Duan Lingtian didn't bother to be polite. He grabbed the pile of dried wood and returned to Xiaoyu and the group's side. We don't even have a fire piston. What do you want this dried wood for? Meng Quan had a puzzled expression. Who told you that you need a fire piston to start a fire? Duan Lingtian raised his voice on purpose. For a moment, including Captain Yongda and the centurions, everyone looked over at Duan Lingtian in interest. Yushang grunted as he raised his voice and mocked, "Humph. Bullshit. I really do want to see how you'll start a fire without a fire piston." Are you so sure? Duan Lingtian looked at Yushang and abruptly started laughing. Of course, Yushang said in opposition. Then how about we make a bet? Duan Lingtian's eyes flickered, and the smile on his face never faded. What do you want to bet? Yu Zhang's brows knit slightly. Betting on other things aren't interesting. How about whoever loses needs to take off their clothes and run 10 rounds around the Dawnshroud mountain range entrance without a shred of clothes on their body? How about it? Duan Lingtian's eyes narrowed as he spoke. What? Yushang was stunned. The others were dumbstruck as well. This gamble was really too ruthless. Duan Lingtian, you. Meng Quan looked at Duan Lingtian with a dumbfounded expression. What, you don't dare? As Duan Lingtian looked at Yu Shang, the corners of his mouth curled into a sneer. If you're a coward, then keep a low profile, and don't bark around like a dog. F. King Noisy. Yu Zhang's face flushed red as he said in rage, why would I not dare? Okay, I'll agree. Very good, I hope you don't go back on your word later. Duan Lingtian's eyes flickered. However, I'm worried you will go back on your word, Captain, sir. Yu Shang abruptly stood up as he spoke and looked towards the distance. Something the matter? Yang Da brought along the 5 centurions as he walked over. He had heard of the gamble between Duan Lingtian and Yu Shang. Captain, sir, this Duan Lingtian wants to gamble with me, so I hope that you can bear witness so that he doesn't go against his word once he loses. Yu Shang looked towards Yang Da as he spoke. Yu Shang is too ruthless, actually asking the captain to be the witness of this gamble. With the captain here, even if this Duan Lingtian loses, he wouldn't dare go against his word. Duan Lingtian really got himself into trouble this time. I'm really looking forward to the scene of Duan Lingtian running around naked, ha 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 ha. I'm looking forward to it as well, but this Duan Lingtian is only 16, he probably hasn't even grown any hair yet, so there's nothing interesting about that. The group of youths started discussing animatedly as if they were sure that Duan Lingtian would definitely lose. Chapter 0105. Duan Lingtian, what do you think? Captain Yang Da looked towards Duan Lingtian, seeking his opinion. After all, this gamble was something Duan Lingtian started. Duan Lingtian, you better not say you don't dare. Yu Zhang's eyes narrowed as he cut off Duan Lingtian's retreat. Captain, sir, I don't have any objections. Just as Yu Shang said, please bear witness to this gamble. Duan Lingtian nodded while the corner of his mouth held a smile. This Yu Shang was such a considerate person. Yu Zhang's pupils constricted. He didn't expect Duan Lingtian to so readily agree. Duan Lingtian, you wouldn't have hidden a fire piston, right? If that's it, then this gamble will have no meaning. Yu Shang looked at Duan Lingtian with a vigilant expression. Don't worry, if I use a fire piston, then you can consider it my loss. Duan Lingtian smiled. Fire piston, did he need it? Yu Shang heaved a sigh of relief. Remember that this is something you agreed to. If the both of you have no objections, this gamble will now take effect. Yang Da looked towards Duan Lingtian and Yu Shang. The both of them shook their heads, showing that they did not object. Begin. Yang Da looked with interest at Duan Lingtian. The 5 centurions behind him also stared at Duan Lingtian with burning gazes. They were all curious as to where Duan Lingtian got his confidence from. Even they wouldn't dare say they could start a fire without a fire piston. Today, I'll teach everyone some general knowledge. In next to no time, Duan Lingtian was seated on the floor after picking out a rounded piece of dried wood from the pile. Meanwhile, the group of youths from the genius camp had all surrounded him. They fixedly stared at Duan Lingtian's movements. Duan Lingtian looked over at Meng Quan and said, with a light smile, Meng Quan, give me your dagger. Meng Quan passed his dagger over. After receiving the dagger, Duan Lingtian raised his hand, cut off a stick from the end of the dried wood in his hand, and then sharpened it. At the same time, he dug a small hole in the rounded piece of dried wood. Hosh! Small pieces of wood entered Duan Lingtian's hand from the pile. Followed by the origin energy that burst forth from within his hand, they transformed into wood filings, and finally dropped into the small hole in the rounded piece of dried wood. Subsequently, he stuck the stick that he had sharpened earlier into the small hole. And he started to spin the stick. If someone from Earth in Duan Lingtian's previous life were to see this, they would certainly recognize what he was doing with just a glance. Duan Lingtian's present movements were precisely the act of boring wood to make fire. Kai, indulging in fantasies. You really think you can start a fire like this? Yu Shang sneered. But he was dumbstruck before long. Hiss. Duan Lingtian spun the dried stick for a while before the wood filings started to smoke, and after a short moment, a small flame emerged. Meng Quan, dried wood. Duan Lingtian shouted in a low voice. Coming. Meng Quan had already gone to prepare the dried wood as soon as the wood filings started smoking. After hearing Duan Lingtian call for him, he promptly placed a pile of dried wood in front of Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian placed the burning wood filings into the dried wood. Instantly, a blazing flame erupted. No, impossible, it's impossible. Yu Shang watched this scene in disbelief, and he took a few steps back before shaking his head in a manner that seemed like he was slightly out of his senses, as he didn't dare believe all this was real. At this moment, the surrounding youths all looked at Yu Shang with gazes that emitted a trace of pity. This Yu Shang was in over his head. Yu Xiao and the other 3 Yu clan youths all had extremely ugly expressions. Yu Shang losing face would equal to the Yu clan losing face, and also they themselves losing face. Yang Da deeply glanced at Duan Lingtian before asking, Duan Lingtian, how did you think of this? When I was playing as a kid, I accidentally stumbled upon it. I call it boring wood to make fire. Captain, what do you think? Duan Lingtian rubbed his nose as he spoke. Good, very good. Yang Da laughed heartily. Yu Shang, since you asked the captain to bear witness, I trust you will certainly abide by the bet, right? Duan Lingtian looked towards Yu Shang as he smiled in ridicule. Yu Zhang's expression grew even uglier. In next to no time, he looked towards 2 of the centurions behind Yang Da with a pleading gaze. Captain, sir, Yu Shang is a disciple of the county city's Yu clan. If he were to be subjected to such humiliation, the Yu clan would undoubtedly be humiliated as well. At that time, I'm afraid it would be difficult to wind the matter up. One of the centurions spoke out. Yeah, Captain, sir, let's just take this matter as a joke and just laugh about it. Another centurion spoke out. Yang Da frowned. Yu clan, he had to take them into consideration. However, this gamble was something that was obvious to everyone present. If he, the person who bore witness to the gamble, were to just drop the matter, his prestige would definitely be tarnished. And if the news were to be spread, it would be difficult for him to maintain his position within the Iron Blood Army. Ha 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 ha, a wave of loud laughter suddenly echoed out. Presumptuous. The centurion that spoke out at first to help Yu Shang looked at Duan Lingtian angrily and his face went grim. How can you be presumptuous in the presence of the captain? Centurion, sir. Duan Lingtian eyes narrowed, and the corners of his mouth held a smile. The gamble between Yu Shang and I was not only witnessed by the captain, but also by everyone present here. When the gamble was just established, I wonder why you didn't speak out and stop it. Could it be that it was because you didn't think of the Yu clan at that time? Or maybe, I being able to win and Yu Shang losing exceeded your expectations. Thus, you brought out the Yu clan to suppress the captain. As Duan Lingtian finished speaking, his eyes flickered with a ghastly brilliance. Could it be that you think the captain would be afraid of the Yu clan and would be obliged to bow down in front of the Yu clan? When the centurion heard what Duan Lingtian said, his expression instantly turned slightly pale and gloomy. After glaring at Duan Lingtian with eyes filled with resentment, the centurion looked at Yang Da with a terrified expression. Captain, sir, I've never once thought in this way, I really didn't mean it in that way. The other centurion sensibly shut his mouth when faced with such a situation. Even though he was a good friend of Yu Zhang's elder brother, Yu Hong, he still wouldn't dare to offend his superior officer. This gamble was something that was obvious to everyone present. I hope that captain can handle the matter in a just manner. Xiao Yu spoke just at the right moment to help Duan Lingtian. We hope captain can handle the matter in a just manner. Instantly, many of the youths from every squad followed suit and expressed their support. Yu Zhang's expression became even uglier. His gaze swept past these youths. Most of these youth had all borrowed fire from him, but never would he have thought they were actually fence-sitters and were so realistic. This caused him to get so angry that even his lifeblood started boiling. Yang Da looked towards Yu Shang as he indifferently said, Enough. Since I acted as the witness for this gamble, I would naturally not side with any party. Yu Shang, make good on your side of the bet. Although he had to consider the county city's Yu clan, he wasn't afraid of them. Not to mention that the Iron Blood Army was extremely far away and didn't have any restraints. Even if the Yu clan's patriarch came to Iron Blood City in person, he would be helpless against him. He was a member of the Iron Blood Army, and the Iron Blood Army was famous for protecting its own. Even the members of the county governor's estate would not dare to rashly offend the Iron Blood Army. Yu Shang inhaled a deep breath as a sense of humiliation flashed within his eyes, and his body started to tremble unconsciously. Under the keen gazes of the surrounding youths, Yu Shang started to take off his clothes, piece by piece. Currently, Duan Lingtian, Xiao Yu, Meng Quan, and Luo Zheng had all returned to where they were sitting earlier and started roasting the wild wolf and wild boar. They roasted their food as they watched the performance Yu Shang put on. Haha, I didn't notice that this Yu Shang would be even fairer than women. Meng Quan laughed heartily as he watched Yu Shang dashing around. Duan Lingtian laughed as he said, there's even a birthmark on his buttocks. Presently, it wasn't just Duan Lingtian's group of 4, even the other youths were watching fixedly at Yu Zhang's performance, deeply afraid that they would miss any brilliant scenes. As the wind blew past Yu Zhang's stark naked body every few steps he ran, his face would become even gloomier. His eyes even emitted a dense hatred and killing intent. Duan Lingtian, I swear to never stop until I get my revenge. Ah! Yu Zhang abruptly howled after he ran half the distance. Whoosh! His legs moved as he executed his movement technique, quickly finishing the remaining rounds. Brother Zhang, Yu Xiao passed over a set of clothes just at the right moment. After putting on his clothes, Yu Zhang took a deep breath before sitting in a corner. He was too ashamed to show his face in front of anyone. Meng Quan laughed as he said, haha, satisfying. Xiao Yu started laughing as well. Luo Cheng's eyes flickered and a smile appeared in the corners of his mouth. He noticed that a trace of delight had unexpectedly appeared in his heart. Duan Lingtian smiled as he said, okay, hurry up and eat, don't let it get burnt. Meanwhile, besides the Yu clan members, all the other youths of the genius camp were whispering amongst themselves. Their topic of discussion was precisely Yu Zhang, who had just run 10 laps stark naked. The youths of Squad 3 currently had complacent and delighted expressions. That Yu Zhang even said that he wouldn't lend his fire to our Squad 3, humph. Why would we need to borrow fire from him? With Duan Lingtian's method of boring wood to make fire, even if we don't have fire pistons, we can easily start a fire. Yes, Duan Lingtian is really too outstanding to the extent that he's even able to create such a method. I really can't believe that Duan Lingtian is only 16. When I was his age, I hadn't even stepped into the core formation stage, let alone being like him, capable of so many different skills. That Yu Zhang probably doesn't have the face to meet anyone anymore. Talking about that, his bird looks really small. I wonder if it can even be used. Shish, speak softer, he's a member of the county city's Yu clan after all. Be careful, because if he targets you, then you'll have a really hard time. Yeah, let's talk softly. Actually I think his bird is really small too, like a toothpick. At this moment, the youths of Squad 3 unsparingly praised Duan Lingtian and ruthlessly trampled on Yu Zhang at the same time. It was as if they had completely forgotten that just a while ago, they were extremely unsatisfied with Duan Lingtian and even thought about putting down their pride to go borrow the fire piston from Yu Zhang. Afar, Captain Yang Da gnawed on his roasted meat, but his gaze never left Duan Lingtian. As far as he was concerned, this youth was just too miraculous. He was absolutely a genius among geniuses, he was even able to think of such a way to start a fire. Among the 5 centurions, the instructor of Squad 3, Fan Jian, had a surprised expression all over his face that still hadn't faded until now. He completely understood now. It turned out to be that the reason Duan Lingtian took his time to walk towards the Dawnshroud mountain range earlier today and didn't fight for the fire piston was because he was already prepared since a long time ago. He truly didn't need the fire piston to start a fire. He deeply felt how terrifying this youth was. Among the remaining 4 centurions, 2 of them had indifferent expressions as if the matters of today were of no personal interest to them. The final 2 centurions glanced at each other before laughing helplessly. They were both Yu Zhang's elder brother's good friends, so they felt slightly guilty in their hearts because they weren't able to help Yu Zhang. But before long, a killing intent flashed within their eyes. Chapter 0106. So full. Duan Lingtian burped and then let himself follow the force of gravity and lie down bare on his back before crossing his legs and glancing up into the night sky. An array of dazzling and resplendent stars floated in the sky. Luo Cheng, I've already finished 3 pieces of meat, but you've not even finished 1. Learn from me, this is how a man should be. Meng Quan grunted. Xiao Yu laughed as he said, Meng Quan, what you're doing is gulping down without enjoying anything. Scram, didn't you see Duan Lingtian eat even faster than me? Meng Quan said. Meng Quan, you're even dragging my name through the mud with yours, Duan Lingtian couldn't stop himself from deriding. It was a habit from his past lifetime that caused him to eat so quickly, because when he was a mercenary, sometimes he wouldn't even have any time to eat during missions, and thus he could only gulp down his food. It was lucky of him that his digestion capabilities were strong and thus there were no side effects from all the fast eating. In his past lifetime, he cultivated form and will boxing and cultivated his internal energy, so his internal organs had been tempered to an extremely durable state that was far from anything an ordinary person could compare to. In this lifetime, his fleshly body and internal organs were even stronger. Presently, not mentioning origin energy, just the strength of his fleshly body was comparable to the strength of 5 ancient mammoths. Who else could possibly achieve such a feat? We won't have to sleep here tonight, right? Luo Cheng was slightly worried. If we can sleep here, it would be good enough. All I'm afraid of is we might need to sleep inside the Dawnshroud mountain range, said Meng Quan. FK. Meng Quan, you better hope you aren't right. Duan Lingtian had only just sat up when he noticed Captain Yang Da and the other 5 centurions walking over from afar. Yang Da's gaze swept past all the genius camp youths present before ordering, "Rise, report for duty." Instantly, the youths divided into 5 squads and started to line up. Suddenly, Yang Da frowned as he looked to a far-off spot and shouted, "Yu Shang, what are you still doing there? Report for duty." People with birthmarks on their buttocks are really something, even daring to not listen to the captain. Meng Quan grinned. Immediately, besides the Yu clan members, all the youths present broke out in laughter. "If you have the balls, say that one more time." Meanwhile, Yu Shang took his time and walked over. He arrived just in time to hear what Meng Quan said. His gaze went cold as he looked at Meng Quan with a face filled with killing intent. HMPH. Meng Quan grunted and ignored Yu Shang. He didn't dare to go too far when he provoked Yu Shang. Hey, these days people aren't even allowed to speak the truth. It isn't a secret that you have a birthmark on your buttocks. Duan Lingtian faked a sigh as he spoke. Ha 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 ha. Instantly, everyone present burst out in laughter once again. The youths present couldn't help themselves from recalling the scene of Yu Shang running stark naked around the mountain range entrance. Duan Lingtian. As he ragefully said Duan Lingtian's name, Yu Xian's eyes emitted a killing intent that seemed like it was capable of swallowing people up. Enough. Yang Da's face sunk as he reprimanded them. If the two of you want to argue, you'll have plenty of chances later on. Now, 5 squads of Genius Camp members, follow your instructors and enter deep into the Dawnshroud mountain range. Don't blame others if you can't catch up and get torn to shreds by the fierce beasts on the way. The 5 centurions moved as soon as Yang Da finished speaking, transforming into 5 gusts of wind that blew into the Dawnshroud mountain range. The 5 squads of youths hurriedly pursued their instructors, and because the 5 instructors had intentionally decreased their speed, the youths were able to catch up. If they hadn't, there would only be few amongst these youths that were capable of following in their pace. Before long, the group reached the second fork in the road. By this time, all 5 squads had been separated. Duan Lingtian, Xiao Yu, Meng Quan, and Luo Cheng took the lead and followed right behind their instructor, Fan Jian. Meng Quan, you jinx. Duan Lingtian couldn't help himself from glaring at Meng Quan. He could still remember what Meng Quan said earlier, and Meng Quan really hit it spot on. The good things don't happen, but the bad ones do, Meng Quan said, with a bitter smile. Luo Cheng's face was slightly pale as he said, in a trembling voice, "No fierce beasts will sneak attack us while we sleep, right?" "Rubbish. Of course they will," Meng Quan said angrily. "Luo Cheng, you haven't stayed out in the wild before?" Duan Lingtian asked while dashing like the wind, his breathing and expression calm as if it was nothing. "Never." Luo Cheng shook his head. "I really don't understand why a pretty boy like you, who leads a comfortable life, would come to the genius camp." Meng Quan was slightly puzzled. Hearing what Meng Quan said caused Luo Cheng's body to tremble. He clenched his fist and said, while glaring at Meng Quan, "I'm not a pretty boy. Hey, even throwing a tantrum. Wanna fight with me?" Meng Quan grinned and his eyes emitted an intent to do battle. "Enough. Meng Quan, why don't you save your strength to deal with fierce beasts?" Xiao Yu shook his head. Duan Lingtian gave Luo Cheng a deep glance. He noticed that earlier, when Meng Quan said that Luo Cheng was a pretty boy, Luo Cheng, who was usually meek, actually emitted a trace of killing intent from his eyes. He could guess that this Luo Cheng was someone who had a story. Before long, Squad 3 eventually entered the inner area of the Dawnshroud mountain range after countless battles with some weak fierce beasts along the way. The fierce beasts that appeared in their present surroundings were at least comparable to second-level core formation martial artists. In the surrounding bushes, pairs of eyes that flickered with a green luster were indistinctly noticeable, obviously there were wolves concealed within. These wolves weren't regular wild wolves, as every single one of them were formidable fierce beasts. "Tonight, we'll be sleeping here." Fan Jian's gaze swept past all the youths in Squad 3 as he spoke indifferently. "What? Sleep here? Are you kidding?" Instantly, the expressions of some of the youths went slightly pale. Luo Cheng was one of them. One of the youths gulped down some saliva before asking, "Instructor, you'll protect us, right?" For a moment, most of the youths looked towards Fan Jian with gazes filled with hope. Fan Jian coldly grunted, "You're all overthinking things. I'm only in charge of giving you training orders. Even if a fierce beast were to bite you to death, I would still not interfere. Don't you forget that entering the genius camp meant that there was only a thin chance of survival, and this is only the first and easiest round of the training camp." Hearing what Fan Jian said caused some of the youths to be unable to restrain their expressions from becoming pale. There were also some youths who were unperturbed, as they obviously had experienced similar circumstances, just like Duan Lingtian, Xiao Yu, and Meng Quan. Sleep. Fan Jian swept his gaze across the youths before lying down on the floor. He was soundly asleep in next to no time, only leaving behind the group of youths who looked at each other. Duan Lingtian was the first to lie down on the spot. "Duan Lingtian, we're really going to sleep here?" Luo Cheng's legs were still shaking. "Luo Cheng, don't be a pussy and go to sleep." Meng Quan yawned before lying down as well. Xiao Yu followed suit. The youths in Squad 3 that were braver all followed suit and lied on the ground. In the end, only 7 youths remained standing. They didn't dare to lie down. "Luo Cheng, you're not planning on standing the entire night, right?" Duan Lingtian's eyebrows slightly twitched as he asked. I don't dare sleep." Luo Chen laughed bitterly. "Then you can stand the entire night." Duan Lingtian closed his eyes and fell asleep. Deep in the night, moonlight shone onto the ground as a pack of fierce wolves pounced towards the group of youths in Squad 3 from within the bushes. Instantly, the 7 youths who hadn't slept were as if facing a formidable opponent. Some of the youths who hadn't completely fallen asleep jumped up swiftly before entering into battle with the pack of fierce wolves. The commotion grew louder and louder. Even Xiao Yu and Meng Quan woke up to deal with the fierce wolves. When the 30 over fierce wolves were finally killed, the group of youths were exhausted, and some were even injured. FK. Duan Lingtian actually didn't wake up. Meng Quan couldn't help himself from swearing when he noticed that Duan Lingtian was still lying there on the spot and hadn't even moved an inch. The instructor didn't wake up either. Many of the youths were speechless. Weren't these 2 people afraid of being bitten to death by the fierce wolves? At dawn the next day, when the first light of dawn enveloped the land, Duan Lingtian awoke full of spirit and vigor. Looking at the 3 youths who had dark circles around their eyes, Duan Lingtian was slightly surprised. "Xiao Yu, Meng Quan, Luo Cheng having dark circles isn't something strange, but the 2 of you. Didn't the 2 of you sleep last night?" "Duan Lingtian, if it wasn't for the 3 of us helping you deal with all the fierce wolves that pounced towards you, you would have died last night." Meng Quan glared as he angrily said, "But you, however, slept all the way until dawn." "Meng Quan, do you really believe that I would have died if the 3 of you didn't help me deal with those fierce wolves?" Duan Lingtian grinned. Meng Quan naturally didn't believe him. "You ungrateful bastard." Duan Lingtian shook his head and smiled. He knew that if he didn't say something, Meng Quan would really think that he profited at their expense. "Meng Quan, if I'm not wrong, there was a total of 3 packs of wild wolves that attacked us last night. Among them, there was a total of 9 fierce wolves that pounced towards me, and you warded off 3 of them, Xiao Yu warded off 5 of them, and Luo Cheng only warded off 1, am I right?" Meng Quan was utterly dumbstruck. "Weren't you sleeping? How did you know?" If I'm not wrong, Duan Lingtian was in a state between sleep and wake the entire night. But, according to my knowledge, besides those troop officers that have been fighting wars for years, and assassins that live on the edge of a blade, only Origin Corps martial artists and above are able to achieve this feat. Xiao Yu glanced deeply at Duan Lingtian, as he felt that it was getting more and more difficult to see through Duan Lingtian. "Freak," Meng Quan couldn't help himself from exclaiming. The gaze which Luo Cheng looked at Duan Lingtian with flashed with a trace of adoration. "Instructor, do you have any grade 7 gold injury pills?" He can't hold on much longer. He's already consumed 2 grade 8 gold injury pills back to back, but it was still difficult to suppress his injuries. Suddenly, a youth with bloodshot eyes looked at Fan Jian, who had just awoken. "Grade 7 gold injury pill? How could I possibly have one?" Fan Jian frowned and coldly swept his gaze at the youth that was lying there on the ground on the verge of death. Fate decides who lives and dies. The first elimination round of the training has only just begun. Before long, the youth passed away. For a moment, the scene was filled with a mourning atmosphere. On the second day of the 3-month-long training, someone had died already. Presently, besides Duan Lingtian and Xiao Yu, who were still able to keep their composure, the other youths within Squad 3 all more or less had a sense of a lingering fear. Just at this moment, Fan Jian shouted, "Gather!" in a low voice. After the members of Squad 3 lined up, Fan Jian gave the orders for the training. Before dusk tonight, no matter what method you use, I hope that every single one of you is able to hunt a cloud leopard. Those who are unable to complete the mission will be thrown into the gathering place of fierce beasts who are at the 4th level of the core formation stage or above. Chapter 0107. Fan Jian's voice was filled with a trace of mercilessness. Cloud leopard, 3rd level core formation fierce beast. The expression of some of the youths in Squad 3 went grim. These youths were all only 2nd level core formation martial artists. Just at this moment, 4 figures had already left at the first moment, attracting the attention of the remaining youths. It's Duan Lingtian's group. That Luo Cheng really has good luck. Now that he's become Duan Lingtian's friend, this mission will be extremely simple for him with Duan Lingtian's help. Enough. There's no use mentioning this, let's discuss how we're going to cooperate. While the group of youths from Squad 3 were still in discussion, Duan Lingtian's group of 4 had already entered deep into the inner area of the Dawnshroud mountain range. Luo Cheng, your luck isn't bad since you're able to rely on Duan Lingtian with us. Meng Quan patted Luo Cheng's shoulder as he grinned. Luo Cheng paid no attention to Meng Quan and instead looked towards Duan Lingtian with a serious expression. Duan Lingtian, if we encounter a cloud leopard, I hope you don't help me right away. I want to try myself, and I only want you to help me only if I encounter danger. Is that okay? Duan Lingtian glanced at Luo Cheng with slight surprise before nodding. He really didn't notice that the Luo Cheng who was usually like a girl would have such a staunch and resolute side. Luo Cheng, you're really asking for extra trouble. With Duan Lingtian here, we really don't have any need to do anything. Meng Quan shook his head and laughed. Duan Lingtian abruptly laughed and said, Meng Quan, just based on what you said, you're going to hunt your Cloud Panther yourself, or you can ask Xiao Yu to help you, because I won't. FK. Duan Lingtian, that joke isn't funny at all. Meng Quan was dumbstruck. After saying that, he looked towards Xiao Yu only to see Xiao Yu turn his head away, acting as if he didn't notice his gaze. He suddenly felt that he had fallen into a pit he had dug himself. Duan Lingtian. Suddenly, Xiao Yu looked towards Duan Lingtian and asked, how did you achieve the state between asleep and awake? 1. You're not a soldier that experienced hundreds of battles and is accustomed to camping outside. 2. You're no an assassin. 3. You're not an origin core stage powerhouse. Do you have some sort of secret technique? Obviously, Xiao Yu was interested in Duan Lingtian's method of achieving the state between asleep and awake. As far as he could guess, Duan Lingtian surely had some sort of secret technique. No matter whether it was the breathing rhythm when running, or the boring of wood to make fire, they were all things that made him realize how miraculous Duan Lingtian was. Xiao Yu, this time I'm afraid I have to disappoint you, I really don't have a secret technique for this. Duan Lingtian shook his head. Experiencing hundreds of battles and accustomed to camping outside. Didn't this exactly portray his previous life as a mercenary? Moreover, even if he didn't have this experience, relying on his soul, which was comparable to an origin core martial artist's soul, he would be able to do many things that only origin core martial artists could, including the means of entering into the state between asleep and awake. Then, next time I sleep, I'll have to trouble you to take care of me. Remember to wake me up when a fierce beast attacks. I can finally sleep properly tonight. Xiao Yu's eyes flashed with a cunning smile. Me too. Meng Quan's eyes shone. I want it too, Luo Cheng said bashfully. Want your sister? If you want it, ask Meng Quan. The corners of Duan Lingtian's mouth twitched as he glared at Luo Cheng. Don't you know that I don't swing that way? In next to no time, Duan Lingtian's group of 4 encountered their first cloud leopard, which was dealt with by Luo Cheng. Although Luo Cheng's martial skills were all cultivated to a good level, he was only a 2nd-level core formation martial artist after all, and thus he was quickly forced into a disadvantageous position by the Cloud Panther. Whoosh! Xiao Yu's figure jerked and was about to flash over to help Luo Cheng. Clap! Duan Lingtian moved his hand to press onto Xiao Yu's shoulder and he lightly shook his head. Not yet. Xiao Yu looked at Luo Cheng with an uncertain expression. Before long, Xiao Yu seemed to have noticed something, and the corners of his mouth held a hint of a smile. Die! Just at this moment, Luo Cheng roared, and the origin energy on his fist exploded forth. Above him, besides the 3 ancient mammoth silhouettes, one more ancient mammoth silhouette appeared. The strength of 4 ancient mammoths. 3rd level of the core formation stage. Bang! Luo Cheng shattered the skull of the cloud leopard with a single punch, then the cloud leopard struggled for a few moments before crashing to the ground. Huff huff. Luo Cheng bent his waist as he breathed out heavily. A smile appeared on his face when he gazed at the cloud leopard's corpse. What the heck? Meng Quan was stupefied. Luo Cheng breaking through to the 3rd level of the core formation stage would also mean that among their group of 4, he was the bottom feeder. Meng Quan, didn't you say you wanted to spar a few rounds with me? Luo Cheng looked towards Meng Quan and grinned. FK off. Meng Quan glared at Luo Cheng. Luo Cheng, don't be too complacent. Once I break through to the 3rd level of the core formation stage, I'll surely beat you to a pulp. Lucky bastard, being able to break through just like that. Meng Quan felt extremely speechless. Meng Quan, why don't I help you deal with your cloud leopard? I won't trouble you to do anything. Xiao Yu's eyes narrowed as he smiled. No, I still need to rely on it to help me break through. Meng Quan hurriedly shook his head. As far as he was concerned, since Luo Cheng could break through while battling a cloud leopard, he could as well. However, he was bound to be disappointed. In the end, Xiao Yu still helped him, and only then was he able to successfully kill the cloud leopard. Duan Lingtian's group of 4 spent the entire morning searching for their 4 cloud leopards. It's already noon, let's go hunt some fierce beasts for lunch. After finishing the mission, Meng Quan's mood was elated. Duan Lingtian and the other 2 all agreed to his suggestion. Roar, roar, comma. Suddenly, a wave of ear-splitting roars sounded from afar. These roars were accompanied by the quaking of the ground. Looks like some fierce beasts know that we're hungry and decided to send themselves over. Meng Quan rubbed his palms together as he waited for his prey to arrive. However, his expression quickly turned grim. Duan Lingtian and the other 2 of their group also had grim expressions. Scorching Tiger, a level 4 core formation stage fierce beast. Oh my god, there's 7, Luo Cheng exhaled a breath of cold air. All of you, take the cloud leopards and leave first, Duan Lingtian decisively said. What about you? Meng Quan's expression distorted. I'll bait them away. If I don't, once they pounce at us together, I won't be able to take care of all of you. Hurry up and go, Duan Lingtian said, with a serious expression. How could it be possible for 4th level core formation stage fierce beasts to appear here? Xiao Yu's eyes flickered with a slightly puzzled expression. It isn't the time to talk about this, just hurry up and leave, Duan Lingtian urged once more. Duan Lingtian, be careful. Let's go. Xiao Yu nodded as he realized the severity of the matter. He then received the cloud leopard Duan Lingtian passed over to him before beckoning Meng Quan and Luo Cheng to follow him and leave. If he stayed behind, he would only be a burden. Duan Lingtian, we'll be waiting for you to return. Meng Quan and Luo Cheng glanced at Duan Lingtian's figure before gritting their teeth and following Xiao Yu to leave. Looks like I need to go all out today. Duan Lingtian's eyes focused as he looked at the 7 enormous tigers whose bodies seemed to be burning ablaze and silently awaited their arrival. If he was an ordinary 4th level core formation martial artist, he would only be able to bait the scorching tigers away. But he wasn't. If he were to exert his full strength, his entire strength was comparable to a 5th level core formation martial artist. The scorching tiger was a 4th level core formation stage fierce beast with a body of crimson red fur. When it moved, it seemed like a ball of fire blazing, and this was how it got its name. The 7 scorching tigers arrived not far away from Duan Lingtian in but a blink of an eye before howling and pouncing towards him. The sound of air exploding could be heard as the 7 scorching tigers approached in full fury. Above them, each one appeared 6 ancient mammoth silhouettes. A total of 42 ancient mammoth silhouettes dashed onwards. Bring it on. Duan Lingtian's eyes emitted a bright light as an excited smile appeared on his face. Ever since he gained the strength of 7 ancient mammoths, he hadn't had the chance to exert his strength to his heart's content. Today was undoubtedly an opportunity for him. Spirit Serpent Movement Technique. Although he was only using a high-grade profound rank movement technique at the mastery stage, relying on the strength of an extra ancient mammoth compared to these scorching tigers allowed Duan Lingtian's speed to completely overcome the scorching tigers. In the blink of an eye, Duan Lingtian seemed to have transformed into a spirit serpent as he brushed past one of the approaching scorching tigers and appeared on its back before sitting down on it. Roar! The scorching tiger was enraged as it shook its body, trying to throw Duan Lingtian off. However, Duan Lingtian straddled himself onto the scorching tiger's back and was stable like a mountain, not moving a single inch. Don't worry, even if you don't want to let me get down, I will get down on my own soon. Duan Lingtian's gaze went cold and his hand pressed upon the sword hilt on his waist, drawing his violet myrtle flexible sword. Whoosh! His sword flashed out, exploding forth with his entire strength of 7 ancient mammoths. He didn't use any martial skills, the sword directly pierced into the enormous head of the scorching tiger. Poochie! Blood splattered everywhere. Roar! The scorching tiger let out a sad and shrill growl before its body dropped down to the ground. Whoosh! Duan Lingtian used the back of the scorching tiger as a stepping point and jumped onto the back of the other 6 scorching tigers, relying on his extraordinary speed and strength to kill the scorching tigers one by one. The 7 scorching tigers all fell to his sword. Clang! Duan Lingtian heaved a sigh of relief as he sheathed the violet myrtle flexible sword in his hand. Duan Lingtian's gaze flickered and then the violet myrtle flexible sword was once again drawn. He forcefully tore off the skin and fur of the scorching tigers, as well as some of their body parts, and then stored them all inside his spatial ring. Presently, the spatial ring on Duan Lingtian's hand was the spatial ring that the Boundless Sect's young sect leader had left behind. This spatial ring was much better than the spatial ring he obtained from the Aqua Mist City's He clan's supreme elder, He Zhu Dao, as its space was a few times larger. It was a spatial ring that was a grade 6 spirit weapon. As for He Zhu Dao's spatial ring, he had left it to Ke. After all, during the time he left, Ke would need to replace him and continue the 6 treasures body tempering liquid collaboration with Tang Yin, and thus it would be more convenient for her to put away the silver if she had a spatial ring. Humph! Consider yourselves unlucky. Duan Lingtian took one last look at the badly mutilated bodies of the 7 scorching tigers before preparing to return. Spatial ring. Just at this moment, a voice abruptly sounded. Duan Lingtian's expression instantly distorted. Whoosh! A figure flew out from the other side of a nearby hill and descended in front of Duan Lingtian. It's him. Duan Lingtian's expression sunk. The person who was currently standing in front of him was none other than one of the 2 centurions that spoke for Yu Shang after he had lost the gamble yesterday. But why would he be here? At this moment, the centurion's eyes flickered with a greedy brilliance, causing Duan Lingtian to feel that this turn of events was far from good. Chapter 0108. Centurion, sir, why are you here? Duan Lingtian's expression remained unchanged as he coolly asked. What do you think? The centurion's gaze was slightly cold as he replied rhetorically. Could it be that those 7 scorching tigers were drawn here by Centurion? Duan Lingtian's pupils constricted. Normally, it was impossible for fierce beasts that are above the 4th level of the core formation stage to appear in the area he was currently in. Even if one really did appear, it would at most be 1 or 2 fierce beasts. But earlier, there were 7 scorching tigers at the 4th level of the core formation stage, and they appeared together. Combined with the centurion's timely appearance, it was extremely difficult for him not to link the 2 matters together. You're very intelligent. The centurion looked at Duan Lingtian. I originally thought that the 7 scorching tigers would be enough to tear you to shreds, but I never expected that you had actually concealed your strength during the Genius Camp test. You're actually a 5th level core formation martial artist. 5th level core formation martial artist. It wasn't anything noteworthy. But if you added on the fact that the person with this cultivation level was a youth that wasn't even 17 yet, then it would be terrifying. A 5th level core formation martial artist that wasn't even 17 yet. There hadn't been an appearance of such a monster across the Crimson Sky Kingdom's hundreds of years of history. Centurion, sir, I don't think there are any grievances between us, but I wonder why you want to cause harm to me. Duan Lingtian inhaled a deep breath and his eyes flickered. Although he already had a guess in his heart, he still wanted to confirm it. Haha, Duan Lingtian, if you want to blame something, then blame yourself for failing to show restraint. If it wasn't for you casing Yu Hong to lose his position as Centurion, Yu Hong wouldn't have targeted you, and he wouldn't have entrusted me with taking care of you during the Genius Camp training. As far as the Centurion was concerned, Duan Lingtian was already a dead man, and as such he didn't hesitate in the slightest. Yu Hong. Duan Lingtian's eyes turned cold. So it really was him. Yu Zhang's elder brother, Yu Hong. Needless to say, your natural talent really shocked me. Maybe if you're given another 2 years, even I won't be a match for you. But unfortunately, you're going to lose your life here today. The centurion's eyes flashed with killing intent. Origin energy suffused between his hands, and then 11 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form above him, their imposing manner piercing through the sky. This centurion was an 8th level core formation martial artist. Wait, Duan Lingtian's gaze flickered as he shouted in a low voice. What, you have some dying words? The centurion asked indifferently. If you let me go, I'll give you 1 million silver. How about it? Duan Lingtian's eyes narrowed as he slowly asked. 1 million silver? Needless to say, that's really enticing. However, if I'm not wrong, the 1 million silver you spoke of is kept inside your spatial ring, right? As long as I kill you, everything inside your spatial ring will be mine, including that silver. A smile appeared on the face of the centurion. It was as if Duan Lingtian's spatial ring was already inside his pocket. I originally was only doing Yu Hong a favor by driving those 7 scorching tigers over here to let them kill you. But never would I have expected that you actually concealed your strength and would be able to deal with all 7 of the scorching tigers. And what is even more unexpected was that you actually possess a valuable item like a spatial ring. As he finished speaking, the centurion's face was covered with killing intent. As far as he was concerned, as long as he killed Duan Lingtian, everything Duan Lingtian owned would be his. So you got greedy, right? Duan Lingtian's eyes narrowed as he asked in an indifferent manner. So what? The centurion sneered. I don't feel like wasting my breath on you anymore. I'll kill you right now and take your spatial ring. Are you so confident that you can kill me? Duan Lingtian started laughing. Hearing what he said, the centurion's heart jerked, and he started inspecting the surroundings. When he noticed that there wasn't anything amiss, he sneered and said, Duan Lingtian, cut the crap. You will undoubtedly die today, unless you have a strength that surpasses mine. That is, however, that's impossible. The centurion moved the second he finished speaking. Whoosh! His figure dragged out a string of after images as it flew out and flashed straight towards Duan Lingtian. Above him, 11 ancient mammoth silhouettes dashed like the wind. Duan Lingtian's eyes went cold as he moved to intercept. Spirit serpent movement technique. His body moved as if it had transformed into a nimble and agile spirit serpent. Sword drawing arts. The violet sword light was like a poisonous snake's tongue as it flashed towards the centurion that was menacingly approaching. Instantly, 8 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared above Duan Lingtian. You actually still concealed some strength. The centurion's figure jerked and he easily avoided Duan Lingtian's sword strike before flashing to a side and staring at Duan Lingtian in disbelief. The strength of 8 ancient mammoths. This was the symbol of a 6th level core formation martial artist. Something was not right. Before long, his gaze fell upon the violet myrtle flexible sword in Duan Lingtian's hand and he exclaimed, Spirit weapon. You actually have a spirit weapon. It's able to give you an extra 1 mammoth worth of strengths, meaning it should be a grade 8 spirit weapon, right? The greedy brilliance in the centurion's eyes grew brighter and brighter. He didn't expect that Duan Lingtian would give him so many pleasant surprises. First it was the spatial ring, now it was the grade 8 spirit weapon. If he could obtain the grade 8 spirit weapon, even a 9th level core formation martial artist wouldn't be his match. This Duan Lingtian was virtually a treasure trove. Your gaze isn't bad. Duan Lingtian sneered. Duan Lingtian, your strength is comparable to a 6th level core formation martial artist by relying on that spirit weapon, but in front of me, it isn't enough. Die. The centurion's body jerked before he started moving once more. He wanted to kill Duan Lingtian and seize everything Duan Lingtian had. Bang! The centurion attacked with the speed of lightning as he slapped out a palm strike towards Duan Lingtian. The gusts of wind from the palm strike caused Duan Lingtian's violet clothes to flutter. Really? A cold light flashed within Duan Lingtian's eyes. In the blink of an eye, his origin energy poured into the blade of the violet myrtle flexible sword, activating the blood crescent inscription within. A crimson-red crescent accompanied Duan Lingtian's violet myrtle flexible sword as it flashed out with a speed like lightning. It seemed as if it had eyes, accurately intercepting the centurion's palm strike. Kai! Fresh blood splattered all across the air as the centurion's palm was sliced in half by the crescent. Ah! The centurion's shrill and sad cry sounded before abruptly ceasing in the blink of an eye. It stopped because after the crescent cut his hand in half, its momentum didn't slow down a shred as it directly penetrated his chest. Spirit Serpent Movement Technique. Duan Lingtian's body flashed by as he dodged the Centurion's body, which was flying over from inertia. The Centurion's eyes were wide open as he flew along with the force of momentum, and his eyes flickered with a luster of disbelief. Maybe, even until death, he never thought that Duan Lingtian would actually still have such a terrifying move. Bang! Blood poured all over as the Centurion's corpse fell to the ground. HMPH. I was kind enough to give you 1 million silver, but you didn't want it. You really think I'm afraid of you? If it wasn't for me not wanting to waste a blood crescent inscription, I wouldn't have wasted my breath on you. Duan Lingtian coldly swept the Centurion's corpse with his gaze before searching his body, only to find a few thousand silver. What a pauper! Duan Lingtian mocked before placing the silver in his spatial ring. A wisp of pill fire ignited on his palm before he tossed it onto the Centurion's corpse. Sizzle! The Centurion's corpse was burnt to ashes in the blink of an eye. Not even tiny bits remained. There are only enough materials in my spatial ring to inscribe 2 more blood crescent inscriptions. I didn't think that a lousy Centurion would waste one of my blood crescent inscriptions. Duan Lingtian slightly frowned. Recalling what happened earlier caused him to feel annoyed. He thought about it like this. The materials to inscribe the blood crescent inscription were worth at least 500,000 silver, but he only obtained a few thousand silver from killing that Centurion. This was undoubtedly a transaction that was done at a loss. With his current circumstances, even if he had gained more silver, it would still be extremely difficult to obtain the materials needed to inscribe the blood crescent inscription. At present, he only had a limited amount of blood crescent inscriptions. This was also the reason why he would rather give the Centurion 1 million silver than wasting a blood crescent inscription on him. Never mind, I'll just let nature take its course. I'll inscribe another blood crescent inscription on my violet myrtle flexible sword before I return. What's done is done, so Duan Lingtian didn't continue thinking about it. Duan Lingtian walked forward a short distance and found a secluded area before sitting down cross-legged. He then withdrew some materials and started inscribing the blood crescent inscription. As the sun set in the west and dusk enveloped the land. In the resting area of the Genius Camp's Squad 3. Why hasn't Duan Lingtian returned yet? After waiting half a day with no news, Xiao Yu's expressions was slightly ugly. Yeah, it's been so long. Logically speaking, he should have already drawn those scorching tigers away and returned by now. Meng Quan frowned and was extremely puzzled. Nothing would have happened to him, right? Luo Cheng had a worried expression. Don't be a jinx. Meng Quan and Xiao Yu both glared at Luo Cheng. However, their eyes still had worry within them. If anything were to happen to Duan Lingtian, they wouldn't be able to forgive themselves. After all, Duan Lingtian did it all just to save them. If they weren't there, with Duan Lingtian's strength, wanting to escape from those 7 scorching tigers wasn't a difficult matter. Before long, the other members of Squad 3 had returned. With 15 youths joining hands, they managed to hunt a sufficient amount of cloud leopards to pass their mission after sweeping through the mountain range for the entire day. Is everyone here? Fan Jian's expression was cold as ice. Where's Duan Lingtian? Fan Jian's gaze swept past the 18 people present before finally fixing his gaze on Meng Quan, Xiao Yu, and Luo Cheng. Instructor, we encountered 7 scorching tigers while hunting cloud leopards with Duan Lingtian. He asked us to bring the cloud leopards back first while he drew away those 7 scorching tigers, Luo Cheng slowly said. Scorching tigers? Fan Jian's pupils constricted. You all are really too brave, actually daring to go so deep into the Dawnshroud mountain range. We didn't enter deep into the mountain range, we were only going around the area that the fierce beasts at the 3rd level of the core formation stage roamed. Who knew that 7 scorching tigers would abruptly appear? Xiao Yu frowned. Impossible, Fan Jian said with certainty. The scorching tigers have a very strong sense of territory and would not easily leave it. Maybe someone disturbed the scorching tigers. Meng Quan's expression was unsightly as he voiced his guess. Enough. Since Duan Lingtian's cloud leopard is here, it's considered as having completed the mission. Tonight, these cloud leopards will be your food. After giving out his orders, Fan Jian sat at a side and roasted his own prey. Xiao Yu, Meng Quan, and Luo Cheng hadn't eaten the entire day and had long since been hungry, but at this moment, they didn't move a muscle because they didn't have the appetite. In their hearts, all they could think about was Duan Lingtian's safety. Chapter 0109. Not far away, the youths of Squad 3 gathered around as they bore wood for fire. If it wasn't for Duan Lingtian, we would probably only have raw meat to eat. Unfortunately, I'm afraid the odds are against him this time. Scorching tigers are 4th level core formation stage fierce beasts, so any one of them had strength that wasn't inferior to Duan Lingtian. Some of the youths didn't regard Duan Lingtian as being able to return, they all believed that Duan Lingtian was killed by the scorching tigers. You're all using the method of starting fire that Duan Lingtian taught you, yet you're cursing him behind his back. Aren't you all afraid of being struck by lightning? Hearing the discussions of the group of youths caused Meng Quan's expression to sink, and he reprimanded them. We're just speaking of the truth. What are you getting so agitated for? Since you're so agitated, why did you abandon Duan Lingtian and flee by yourself earlier today? Psi, one of the youths sneered. What did you say? Meng Quan's eyes were bloodshot as he abruptly stood up and was about to go teach the youth a lesson. Just at this moment, Meng Quan, what are you doing? So agitated. The first thing Duan Lingtian saw when he returned was the scene of Meng Quan getting angry for him. A warm feeling ran through his heart when he saw this. Duan Lingtian, you're back. Luo Cheng had an excited expression. What, could it be that you were hoping I'd be eaten by those scorching tigers? Duan Lingtian joked. Of course not. Luo Cheng hurriedly shook his head. As long as you're back. Xiao Yu heaved a sigh of relief upon seeing Duan Lingtian's return. Luo Cheng, go get some dried wood. Xiao Yu, come help me clean up these cloud leopards. Duan Lingtian, you've been occupied the entire day, so rest more and just wait for food. Meng Quan divided the work. Then I'll properly enjoy this special treatment. Duan Lingtian laughed. As it so happened, Duan Lingtian was exhausted from the spiritual force he expended to inscribe the blood crescent inscription. Now he could finally rest. With Xiao Yu and the others bustling about working together, a campfire was quickly set ablaze and the fragrance of meat suffused the air. Meng Quan roasted the meat as he asked, Duan Lingtian, were those scorching tigers really hard to deal with? To think that they actually chased you around the entire afternoon and exhausted you to such a state. Xiao Yu and Luo Cheng looked over at Duan Lingtian with curious expressions as well. Duan Lingtian lied on the floor and comfortably shut his eyes before crossing his legs and speaking. Don't remind me, I drew those scorching tigers away not long after the three of you left, and it so happened to be my unlucky day. The direction I drew those scorching tigers away to was precisely even deeper into the Dawnshroud mountain range, and as a result, I was chased by a spiked mink the entire afternoon. I nearly wasn't able to return. He naturally wouldn't speak of the truth, and thus casually made up an excuse. Spiked mink, Xiao Yu's and the others' expressions were all slightly pale. The group of youths nearby went pale-faced as well. Even the instructor of Squad 3, Fan Jian, couldn't help himself from being moved. The spiked monk was a 5th level core formation stage fierce beast, and it was advantaged due to its small size, making it one of the top fierce beasts in the 5th level of the core formation stage. Especially since the speed of a spiked mink was swift like a bolt of lightning. Even to the extent of being comparable to a 5th level core formation martial artist who had cultivated a high-grade profound rank movement technique to the perfection stage. You actually were able to flee from a spiked mink. Meng Quan fiercely swallowed his saliva. Including instructor Fan Jian, every one of the other 15 youths present pricked up their ears and listened attentively. Obviously, they all wanted to know how Duan Lingtian fled from a spiked mink. As far as they were concerned, this was truly an unbelievable feat. Wasn't Duan Lingtian a 4th level core formation martial artist? My luck was good. That spiked mink's leg was injured, so its speed was only comparable to mine. If it wasn't for that, my life would probably have been thrown away in the Dawnshroud mountain range, Duan Lingtian said, with an expression that seemed to show he had a lingering fear. That really is good luck. Xiao Yu's group of 3 heaved a sigh of relief. They were happy for Duan Lingtian. So that's what happened. Hearing his story allowed the Squad 3 youths to finally understand clearly. Like this, everything could be explained. Compared to the tranquility of Squad 3, Squad 1 was in chaos. Why? The instructor of Squad 1 had disappeared into thin air. Where's the instructor? The group of youths looked at each other. Could it be part of the training as well? Some people guessed. Su Li, what do you think? Some of the youths looked towards the red-robed youth that stood to the side. Su Li's expression was cold as he embraced his sheathed sword. When he heard what the group of youths asked, he coldly shook his head. I don't know. Looks like this is one of the genius camp training routines. The instructor's sudden disappearance means that our training has officially started. A green-clothed youth complacently perked his head up. He had an expression that said, "I've guessed it long ago." "Why do you say so?" The other youths were puzzled. "Don't you get it? The instructor didn't go missing. He is purposefully concealing himself. He's purposefully leaving us by ourselves to see if we can live alone in the wild." The green-clothed youth spoke with logic as if it were true. "Che, this is just your guess." Some of the youths disregarded his guess. The green-clothed youth grunted and retorted, "HMPH. What, don't agree? Could it be that you thought that someone as strong as our instructor would go missing in this area of the Dawnshroud mountain range? It's impossible for the instructor to go missing." Just at this moment, Su Li spoke. "The centurions of the Iron Blood Army are all martial artists of at least the 8th level of the core formation stage." Did you hear what Su Li said? If we didn't go missing, how could an 8th level core formation martial artist go missing? What a joke. The green-clothed youth laughed complacently. Looks like the instructor leaving could really be the content of the next part of our training. I hope he returns soon. I feel nervous when the instructor isn't here, one of the youths said, with a slightly fearful expression. While the members of Squad 1 were terrified, Duan Lingtian was gulping down big chunks of meat. He had completely tossed aside the fact that he had killed the instructor of Squad 1. In the following 2 months, the group of youths in Squad 3 would need to face waves of fierce beasts every night, and in the day, they would go into the mountain range to complete their missions. Time passed by in the blink of an eye. There were only 3 days remaining in the entire 3-month training. Currently, including Duan Lingtian's group of 4, there were only 11 people remaining in Squad 3. Only one more person needed to be eliminated. Duan Lingtian's group of 4 got along with each other the same as always. The other 7 youths, however, even though they still cooperated with each other, they had already started to be suspicious of each other. They all knew that the person who was going to be eliminated next would most certainly be one of them. It's probably going to turn into a dog-eat-dog situation. Meng Quan glanced at the nearby 7 youths and laughed. Meng Quan, you sound like you're slightly taking pleasure in their misfortune. Duan Lingtian shook his head and laughed. Of course, once they eliminate one of the people among them, we can finally leave this damned place, Meng Quan said, in a matter-of-fact way. Suddenly, Duan Lingtian's expression turned grim. His extremely strong soul seemed to have vaguely perceived something. Xiao Yu frowned as well. His intuition perceived danger. What's wrong? Luo Cheng and Meng Quan looked questioningly at Duan Lingtian. Bang, bang, Duan Lingtian didn't even have the chance to speak, because in the next moment, the ground started shaking. The quaking of the ground was accompanied by strange beast roars which echoed out from deep within the Dawnshroud mountain range. Before long, a group of fierce beasts appeared before everyone's eyes. Not good, it's a beast tide. Fan Jian's expression distorted, then his body flashed out, transforming into a gust of wind that rushed out of the Dawnshroud mountain range. As he did so, he roared, "Flee!" Even the instructor had fled, and thus Duan Lingtian and the other youths naturally wouldn't dally. Let's go. Duan Lingtian's expression focused, then his origin energy exploded forth and his legs moved like the wind. Spirit Serpent Movement Technique. Duan Lingtian took the lead and followed behind Fan Jian. However, Fan Jian dashed at full speed and quickly left Duan Lingtian far behind. Xiao Yu, Meng Quan, and Luo Cheng followed closely behind Duan Lingtian and fled out of the Dawnshroud mountain range while in an alarmed state. They weren't hurt. Huff huff huff. Besides Duan Lingtian, who was still tranquil, and Xiao Yu, whose breathing was slightly hurried, Meng Quan and Luo Cheng both bent down as they fiercely and heavily breathed. Luckily, I broke through to the 3rd level of the core formation stage half a month ago. If I hadn't, I might not have been able to keep my life. Recalling the scene from before, Meng Quan had a lingering fear. Meanwhile, another 4 youths from Squad 3 arrived. The 4 youths all had a similar trait. They were all 3rd level core formation martial artists. As for the other 3 youths, they were only 2nd level core formation martial artists, and they would remain inside the Dawnshroud mountain range forever. Only 8 youths remained from the final 11 youths in Squad 3. If we were any slower, we would all have to remain there forever. Supposedly, in these beast tides, the fierce beasts that lead the charge are of comparatively lower strength, whereas all the formidable fierce beasts follow behind, therefore, there is no lack of origin core stage existences among them. Xiao Yu had a fearful expression. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Whoosh, whoosh, just at this moment, many figures dashed out of the Dawnshroud mountain range. The three people in the lead were precisely the other three centurions, and a group of youths in a sorry state followed behind them. Yu Shang and Tian Hu were both among the group of youths. There weren't many youths remaining in Squad 2, Squad 4, and Squad 5. Every squad only had less than 10 members that survived. Squad 5 was the worst off, as only 4 members remained. Where's Squad 1? After the 4 centurions gathered together, they noticed that there wasn't any movement from within the Dawnshroud mountain range for a period of time. They looked at each other questioningly. Squad 1, Duan Ling Tian had a strange expression. The entire Squad 1 couldn't have remained within the Dawnshroud mountain range, right? Didn't their instructor go missing 3 months ago? In the Dawnshroud mountain range, at the resting area of Squad 1. Facing the beast tide that was menacingly approaching. Not good, it's a beast tide. The expression of the group of youths all distorted. The end of the first round of the training will end in 3 days, but having a beast tide at this time is slightly weird. Could it be that the instructor that concealed himself for 3 months drew the beast tide over? And wants us to eliminate 3 people from our remaining group of 13? Probably. Then should we flee or not? Since it's a beast tide drawn over by the instructor, it shouldn't have any formidable fierce beasts. We can just kill them all. Yeah, if we flee, then we probably will be eliminated. Charge, The group of youths from Squad 1 were filled with bravery as they charged towards the beast tide that approached menacingly, and a battle unfolded. Su Li entered the fray as well, killing a fierce beast with each sword strike, extremely easily. Roar. Suddenly, a strange beast roar entered Su Li's ears, causing his expression to instantly turn extremely grim. Whoosh. Su Li didn't dare hesitate as his body jerked before flashing towards the outside of the Dawnshroud mountain range. At the same time, he caught his breath and warned. Hurry up and flee, it's a 7th level core formation stage Thunder Lion. Chapter 0110. At the entrance of the Dawnshroud mountain range. The remaining youths that survived and their instructors awaited there. Someone's coming out. It was unknown who actually spoke, but everyone's gazes instantly looked towards the distance. Su Li. Duan Ling Tian recognized the red-robed youth that dashed out with a sword in hand. It was precisely the strongest youth in Squad 1, Su Li. The members of Squad 1 really never left the Dawnshroud mountain range. Didn't they notice that their instructor had gone missing? Duan Ling Tian was stupefied. It was hard for him to wrap his head around the matter. He imagined that after the instructor of Squad 1 died by his hands due to greed, the Squad 1 members would be like a host of dragons without a leader and would surely leave the Dawnshroud mountain range at the first possible moment to notify Captain Yongda about their instructor going missing. However, based on the current circumstances, it seemed like things had gone completely different from how he had imagined it. Huff huff huff. After exiting the Dawnshroud mountain range, Su Li breathed heavily and his expression was extremely unsightly. Fan Jian and the other 3 centurions walked over and asked, Su Li, what happened? Where's the instructor of Squad 1 and the other members? Instructor. Su Li's face sank and his eyes flashed with a trace of hatred. We haven't seen him in around 3 months. I have no idea where he went. As for the other people, not one of them were able to make it out alive due to the negligence of that lousy instructor. Lousy instructor. Hearing what Su Li said caused the corners of Duan Ling Tian's mouth to twitch. If that centurion knew that he would still be insulted even after death, he would probably spit blood out of anger. What actually happened? The 4 centurions' expressions went slightly grim. On our second day at Dawnshroud mountain range, the instructor ordered us to hunt fierce beasts to complete our missions. At dusk, when everyone in Squad 1 had returned, our instructor was the only one missing. As Su Li spoke up to hear, his expression filled with hatred. Why didn't you all leave the Dawnshroud mountain range when you couldn't find the instructor? Fan Jian was slightly puzzled. Leave the Dawnshroud mountain range? Do we dare? At that time, everyone thought that the instructor's disappearance was only him concealing himself on purpose. So everyone thought that it was a part of the training, and thus the group of us remained there for nearly 3 months. Up until this morning, only 7 had died and 13 members remained. Su Li took a deep breath after he finished. The expressions of the 4 centurions were slightly heavy, as they realized the unusualness of the matter. Duan Ling Tian stood afar, and his expression was slightly unnatural when he heard what Su Li said. Just now, when the beast tide arrived, our Squad 1 even thought that it was a beast tide driven over by our instructor, and as such everyone spared no effort in going against the beast tide, until the 7th level core formation stage Thunder Lion appeared. I've heard a Thunder Lion's roar once before, so I was able to react at the first possible moment. If I hadn't, it would be impossible for me to be standing here right now. As Su Li finished speaking, the coldness in his eyes grew even deeper. All of this was because of the instructor of our Squad 1, Bai Feng. Wah! Su Li's voice wasn't soft, so the nearby all the youths present heard it clearly, and they burst into an uproar. What the heck? Squad 1 was obviously screwed over by their instructor. What bull's tea? Luckily I didn't mother F*** king choose to join Squad 1, otherwise I would be dead right now. FK. I was actually standing in Su Li's group that day, but in the end I was pushed away by the others and could only go join Tian Hu's group. Thinking about it now, I really should thank those brothers for saving my life. Brothers, if I'm still alive when the genius camp training ends, I'll certainly burn some paper money for all of you. 1. It was because I saw that there were many people already standing around Su Li that I went over to Yu Zhang's group. Now that I think about it, that was really a close call. Some of the youths had a lingering fear as they wiped off the cold sweat on their foreheads. Duan Ling Tian, looks like our luck isn't bad. Even though our Squad 3's instructor's name is slightly unique, at least he isn't unreliable like Squad 1's instructor, Meng Quan said to Duan Ling Tian, as a way of expressing the rejoice he felt in his heart. Perhaps. Duan Ling Tian nodded indifferently. If Bai Feng really was the instructor of their Squad 3, and they were to encounter a beast tide, he would definitely flee at the first possible moment. After all, Bai Feng died by his hand, and thus he knew that it was impossible for the beast tide to be driven over by Bai Feng. How could a dead man drive over a beast tide? He couldn't help but sigh with emotion. The youths of Squad 1 were really too naive. Although he was the cause of the incident, he didn't have a trace of remorse. At that time, it was Bai Feng who was determined to kill him. If he hadn't killed Bai Feng, then the one who died would have been him. It was impossible for him to tell anyone that he had killed Bai Feng. If he did, he would be faced with unending troubles and might have even drawn a calamity onto himself. As far as he was concerned, he didn't do anything wrong in the entire matter. His conscience was clear. Since when did I become so sentimental? Duan Ling Tian laughed in self-ridicule. Maybe even he didn't realize that he wasn't the slaughter machine he used to be anymore and had become much more human. The expressions of the 4 centurions were extremely unsightly. After a discussion amongst themselves, they decided to take the remaining youths back to Iron Blood City first. This matter needed to be reported to the captain, or even the vice commander at the earliest possible moment. On the way, Meng Quan was bored and started counting. In the 5 squads, only 8 people remain in our Squad 3, 1 person in Squad 1, 7 people in Squad 2, 9 people in Squad 4, and 4 people in Squad 5. It's only the first round of the training and there are only 29 people remaining from the initial 98 youths. When Meng Quan finally arrived at this conclusion, he couldn't help but sigh. Of these 29 people, there should only be less than 10 remaining 9 months from now. Xiao Yu's pupils constricted as he spoke. I wonder what our training will be like after the turn of events that happened today. Duan Ling Tian was slightly curious. He was certain that following the incident of today, the original training regime will surely be altered. After all, in the original plan, there would be a total of 50 people who would remain after the first round, but now there were only 29 people remaining. Suddenly, Duan Ling Tian frowned. He raised his head and looked towards the centurion in the distance. The centurion hurriedly turned his head away, obviously afraid of being found out. This centurion was precisely the other centurion that spoke up for Yu Shang after he had lost the gamble. Duan Ling Tian thought in his heart, when he looked at me earlier, his gaze seemed to contain an air of question and puzzlement. Looks like he probably knows about the matter of Bai Feng taking action to kill me. HMPH, I hope you behave yourself, because I don't mind taking care of you as well. Thinking up to this points, Duan Ling Tian's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness. He wasn't worried about anyone witnessing him kill Bai Feng. After all, if this matter were to be spread out, the one who would get into trouble wouldn't be him. Moreover, no one would believe he had the ability to kill Bai Feng. The Yu clan members actually all survived, Meng Quan muttered to himself, after taking a glance at the Yu clan's members. He was slightly disappointed. Before long, Duan Ling Tian and the other 28 youths from the genius camp followed the 4 centurions and arrived back at the Iron Blood Army campsite. I'll go notify the captain. On the drill grounds, Fan Jian notified the other 3 centurions before leaving swiftly. After a few short moments, Fan Jian returned once more. The captain ordered that the remaining 29 youths be temporarily placed in the reserve tents. The reserve tents couldn't be considered to be spacious. Each one had a total of 4 simple wooden beds within. Duan Lingtian's group of 4 was placed in the same tent. Finally, I can have a good night's sleep. Meng Quan's eyes shone when he laid his eyes upon the beds, then he flew over and dropped his entire body onto one. Duan Lingtian wanted to stop him, but it was already too late. Bang! Meng Quan's body descended and the bed shattered with a bang. FK. Meng Quan stood up and patted of the dust off his body. He was stupefied as he looked at the bed board that was reduced to pieces. Ha 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 ha, Duan Lingtian and the others couldn't help themselves from laughing out loud. Meng Quan's gaze focused onto Luo Cheng. Luo Chen, we're both good friends, you won't deny this, right? Of course I won't deny it. Luo Cheng said in all seriousness. When a good friend's in trouble, you should be duty-bound to help him out, right? Meng Quan continued. Naturally, however, if you're thinking of asking me to sleep on that broken bed of yours, dream on. Luo Cheng lightly lied on his bed as he spoke, heaving a sigh of relief. He didn't forget to irritate Meng Quan though. So comfortable. Meng Quan was flustered and exasperated. Next, his gaze moved on towards Duan Lingtian and Xiao Yu. Just right to take a short rest. Before lying down on the bed, Duan Lingtian yawned and acted as if he didn't notice Meng Quan's gaze. What, Meng Quan, don't tell me you're thinking of snatching mine. Xiao Yu smirked as he looked at Meng Quan. Meng Quan was close to tears. He'd already been sleeping on the ground for nearly 3 months in the Danshroud mountain range, and now, when he finally got a decent bed to sleep on, it was spoiled by him in a spur of excitement. Could it be that he was born fated to sleep on the ground? In an inconspicuous corner of the Iron Blood Army's campsite. Feng Chun, what actually happened? Why did Bai Feng suddenly go missing? Yu Hong looked towards the young man in front of him and frowned. This Feng Chun was precisely the other centurion that spoke out for Yu Shang after he lost the gamble the other day. I don't know either. However, I have a feeling that this matter is related to that Duan Lingtian. Feng Chun shook his head and added. Duan Lingtian, he's only a 4th level core formation martial artist. Could it be that he has the strength to kill Bai Feng? Yu Hong frowned. That's not what I mean. What I mean is that during the process of finding an opportunity to kill Duan Lingtian, Bai Feng encountered a formidable fierce beast and was killed by it. After all, the beast tied during this trip to the Danshroud mountain range was obviously planned since a long time ago, and maybe Bai Feng was unfortunate and was affected by this. Feng Chun shared the guess that he had in his heart. If it really is like this, then that Duan Lingtian really got lucky. Yu Hong's face sank. We missed the opportunity during the first round of the training, and it will be difficult to find an opportunity after this. Yu Hong, Feng Chun looked at Yu Hong and was slightly hesitant to speak. What, you still have something to say? Yu Hong questioned. Feng Chun, when did you become so hesitant to speak? Based on our friendship, you can go ahead and speak your mind. Yu Hong, 3 months ago, that Duan Lingtian and your younger brother made a gamble. Feng Chun told Yu Hong of what happened between Duan Lingtian and Yu Hong during the gamble. At that time, Duan Lingtian forced the captain into a tight spot with just a few words, and he could only make your younger brother make good on his wager. He made my younger brother take off all his clothes and run 10 laps in front of over 100 people. Yu Hong's expression was extremely unsightly, as he was extremely furious. Duan Lingtian, you've humiliated my younger brother, you've humiliated a Yu clan member. I, Yu Hong, will never rest until I kill you. 1 TL note. The expression of burning paper money here points towards the burning of joss paper, which is also known as ghost money. It's a Chinese tradition where they annually burn the paper money as offerings to the deceased, as they believe it would allow the deceased to have better things in the afterlife, as they view the burnt paper money as a sort of currency in hell. Chapter 0111. When Duan Lingtian woke up at dawn the next day, he glanced at Meng Quan, who was soundly sleeping on the ground, before shaking his head and smiling. He then sat down cross-legged and started cultivating the 9 Dragons War Sovereign technique. Concentrating his spirit and calming the energy within his body, Duan Lingtian started circulating the Raging Python form's mental cultivation method. Last night, he felt his cultivation bottleneck slightly loosening, and now was the perfect time to strike the iron when it was hot and charge past his bottleneck in one go. Duan Ling Tian completely forgot about the passage of time as he cultivated. After an unknown amount of time. Bang! Finally, Duan Ling Tian broke through the last profound gateway within his meridians. And in next to no time, the origin energy inside his dantian underwent a metamorphosis. He broke through. Duan Ling Tian opened his eyes in delight, and a bright light flashed within. Breaking through to the third level of the core formation stage would mean that he could once again further temper his fleshly body. Presently, even without the use of a spirit weapon, he could exert the strength of 8 ancient mammoths, which is a strength he previously required a spirit weapon to exert. If he were to use a spirit weapon, he would be able to exert the strength of 9 ancient mammoths. Once he completes the tempering of his fleshly body for the third level of the core formation stage, his strength will be even more formidable. At that time, he will be able to easily exert the strength of 10 ancient mammoths when relying on a spirit weapon. Moreover, it was at a level that was nearing the strength of 11 ancient mammoths, completely surpassing the 7th level of the core formation stage and slightly inferior to the 8th level of the core formation stage. Of course, the precondition would be that the opponent didn't possess a spirit weapon. Now, even if I don't use a spirit weapon, my strength is sufficient to be comparable to Duan Ling Xing's at that time. Duan Ling Tian's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness. However, that was the Duan Ling Xing of a year ago. Duan Ling Xing's current strength is surely even more formidable now, even to the extent that he might have broken through to the 7th level of the core formation stage. As a disciple of the Duan clan, spirit weapons aren't anything rare to him. Once I complete the tempering of my fleshly body for the 3rd level of the core formation stage, my strength should be slightly superior to his, or at least be comparable to his. Duan Ling Tian took a deep breath. I must break through to the 4th level of the core formation stage before I enter Paladin Academy. At that time, I'll vent the hatred in my heart by making Duan Ling Xing regret what he did that day, then I'll let him go repent in hell. Duan Ling Tian's body emitted a bloody killing intent in an unrestrained manner. Duan Ling Tian. Just at this moment, a hurried voice sounded as a flustered Luo Cheng rushed in. Instantly, Luo Cheng's face froze as he was affected by Duan Ling Tian's killing intent, causing his entire body to tremble and his face to turn ghastly pale. Only after Duan Ling Tian withdrew his killing intent did Luo Cheng catch his breath. What's wrong? Meanwhile, Duan Ling Tian noticed that both Xiao Yu and Meng Quan weren't present, and he realized that quite some time had passed since he started cultivating. Xiao Yu and Meng Quan were walled up by Yu Shang and his Yu clan members. I noticed the situation wasn't good, so I hurriedly came back to get you. Luo Cheng had an anxious expression as he hastily spoke. What? Duan Ling Tian's face sank, and a fierce light flashed in his eyes. Did that Yu Shang really think that he was someone so easy to bully? Let's go. Duan Ling Tian brought Luo Cheng along as he swiftly left the tent. At an empty space on a side of the Iron Blood Army's drill grounds, many youths surrounded this area and watched the scene. In the crowd, Meng Quan was on the floor with heavy injuries and in an extremely sorry state. Besides him was a few steamed buns that were tainted in mud and grass. This was the breakfast he was bringing back for Duan Ling Tian. Yu Shang. A cold and indifferent voice sounded as Xiao Yu, who had a gloomy expression, flashed out, exploding forth with his entire strength of 4 ancient mammoths. Shadowless drifting light, sleeve dimension. Xiao Yu seemed to have transformed into a bolt of lightning with unparalleled speed as he flashed towards Yu Shang in full fury. Your martial skill isn't bad, but unfortunately, the difference between our strengths is the strength of 2 ancient mammoths. You aren't my match. Yu Xiao scornfully glanced at Xiao Yu. In the next moment, Yu Zhang's body moved as well as 6 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form above him. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, Yu Zhang's body jerked and his speed far exceeded Xiao Yu's, so he passed Xiao Yu and arrived behind him. Bang! He struck out with his fist and seemed to have not even used a martial skill out of disdain, directly blasting Xiao Yu away. Even though Yu Shang didn't use a martial skill, his fist contained the strength of 6 ancient mammoths after all, and thus it easily shattered Xiao Yu's defensive chi barrier and blasted him away. Xiao Yu dropped to the ground with a crash before fainting. Not even worth a single blow. Yu Shang had an expression of disdain. The core formation stage was divided into 9 levels, and it had 2 phases. The first phase was from the 3rd level of the core formation stage to the 4th level of the core formation stage, and the second phase was from the 6th level of the core formation stage to the 7th level of the core formation stage. There was a difference of the strength of 2 ancient mammoths between these phases. As for the other levels of cultivation in the core formation stage, every increase in level would grant an extra ancient mammoth worth of strength. Only these two phases were comparatively special. Xiao Yu's offensive martial skill and movement technique are both high-grade profound rank martial skills and are both cultivated to the perfection stage. His comprehension ability is truly shocking. But unfortunately, his cultivation is inferior to Yu Zhang's by too much. Yeah, the difference between a third-level core formation martial artist and a fourth-level core formation martial artist is truly too great, and they're in entirely different realms. If Xiao Yu was also at the fourth level of the core formation stage, with the might of his offensive martial skill and movement technique, Xiao Yu wouldn't necessarily be his match. The spectating youths all sighed, as they felt pity for Xiao Yu. What do you want? Meng Quan consumed a gold injury pill and had just slightly recovered his injuries when he noticed Yu Shang walking over, causing his expression to unconsciously turn grim. Stomp. Yu Shang stomped his foot on the steamed bun, causing it to become flat and be imprinted with his shoe print. Eat it. A malicious smile appeared on Yu Zhang's face as he looked at Meng Quan. You better not go too far. Meng Quan's face distorted. He didn't expect Yu Shang would humiliate him in such a way. Some of the surrounding youths couldn't stand to watch any longer, but no one dared to speak out, as they were too afraid of Yu Shang. What's wrong, Meng Quan? My brother, Yu Shang, is entertaining you with a steamed bun, but you're f-king pushing your luck. Do you want us to feed you? Yu Xiao walked in large strides and brought along the other 3 Yu clan disciples before clinging onto Yu Zhang's strength to bully Meng Quan. Brother Shang, you just have to say the word and I'll get him to eat all these steamed buns. The Yu clan youths walked forward 2 steps before they stomped all the other steamed buns flat and imprinted their shoe prints on them. Okay, Yu Shang started laughing. However, his smile froze in next to no time. Okay, my ass. An explosive roar accompanied by an incomparably swift figure howled through the air and approached like a tempest. The crowd hastily opened up a path before gazing slack-jawed at the space above the figure, as there were 7 ancient mammoth silhouettes that dashed on in tow. The strength of 7 ancient mammoths. 5th level of the core formation stage. Many youths exclaimed. Duan Lingtian. Yu Shang looked at the violet-clothed youth that was flying towards him. His expression went pale when he noticed the 7 ancient mammoth silhouettes above the youth. The first thought that he had was that Duan Lingtian had broken through. Duan Lingtian's skills were something he had knowledge of, and thus he knew that he wasn't a match for him, who now had an extra mammoth worth of strength. Yu Zhang's legs jerked before flashing out. He wanted to flee. Want to flee? Can you? Duan Lingtian sneered. This Yu Shang wanted to flee. Before long, Yu Shang noticed that Duan Lingtian's incomparably swift figure had actually made a strange circle and seemed like a spirit serpent as he directly flashed over to block his path. Yu Zhang's face sank as he shouted, in a low voice, Duan Lingtian, my elder brother is a member of the Iron Blood Army and is an 8th level core formation martial artist. If you dare to do anything to me, he won't let you off. Even if the person behind you was the emperor, he still wouldn't be able to save you today. Duan Lingtian's gaze went cold. He seemed to have transformed into a cannonball as he flew out. Whoosh! Attacking out of rage, his arm ruthlessly swung out like a raging python swinging its tail. As far back as when he noticed the 7 ancient mammoth silhouettes above Duan Lingtian, fear had arisen in Yu Zhang's heart. Currently, he only had time to circulate his defensive martial skill. Bang! Instantly, his defensive chi barrier was shattered from the force of Duan Lingtian's arm, and he was blasted away over 10 meters before finally falling flat on his face. Yu Shang only caught his breath after spitting out 2 mouthfuls of blood. Go get my brother, he roared. What he said was obviously directed towards Yu Xiao and the other 3 Yu clan disciples. After seeing Duan Lingtian exert the strength of 7 ancient mammoths, Yu Zhang's group were all scared ****, and they were just watching Duan Lingtian heavily injured Yu Shang. At this moment, they heard Yu Zhang's orders. Let's go, Yu Xiao shouted in a low voice. He wanted to take his fellow clan disciples and sneak off. Spirit Serpent Movement Technique. Duan Lingtian's body moved at the first possible moment and blocked their path. The expressions of Yu Xiao's group of 4 instantly went pale. Bang! Duan Lingtian horizontally swept out his arm that carried the might to sweep away anything before him, blasting away Yu Xiao's group of 4 and causing them all heavy injuries that made it difficult for them to even stand. From the moment Duan Lingtian made his first move until the 5 Yu clan youths were on the floor, it was only about 10 breaths of time. Meanwhile, the surrounding youths finally reacted. FK. The strength of 7 ancient mammoths. Duan Lingtian actually broke through to the 5th level of the core formation stage. Freak. How old is he? A monstrous martial artist like him has never appeared before in our Crimson Sky Kingdom, right? That Yu Shang really is misfortunate to have offended Duan Lingtian. Xiao Yu and Meng Quan are both Duan Lingtian's friends, so Duan Lingtian probably won't let the matter go that easily. Under the gazes of everyone present, Xiao Yu was shaken awake by Luo Cheng before consuming a gold injury pill. Duan Lingtian seized all of the medicinal pills in the possession of the 5 Yu clan youths, causing them to be unable to consume gold injury pills to recover their injuries. Are you all right? Duan Lingtian extended his hand and pulled Meng Quan up. Luckily, you arrived in time, otherwise, I would have been humiliated by them. Meng Quan had a slight lingering fear. Since they like those steamed buns so much, you can return the favor to them. Duan Lingtian's eyes flickered as a sneer appeared on the corners of his mouth. Haha, I nearly forgot. Meng Quan laughed as he picked up the steamed buns that had been stomped flat, then he walked over to the 4 Yu clan youths and stuffed the buns into their mouths one by one. At this moment, he was fearless, he had thrown the term, County City Yu clan, to the back of his head. When he noticed that the 4 Yu clan youths weren't cooperating, Duan Lingtian said, in a cold voice, if you dare to spit it out, I'll shatter all your teeth. Instantly, their bodies trembled and they swallowed down the steamed buns that they stomped on earlier. Their faces had expressions full of humiliation and resentment. The youths that were spectating the scene were all dumbstruck. Suddenly, a youth that was slightly thin turned around and left. If I go notify Yu Zhang's elder brother now, it would be considered as doing a favor to the Yu clan. Gaining the favor of the Yu clan will provide me with countless benefits. Chapter 0112. Meng Quan, there's one more steamed bun. Don't waste it. Duan Lingtian looked at the steamed bun that had been stomped on until it looked like mud and lightly smiled. Let me. Before Meng Quan could even react, Xiao Yu, who had woken up and slightly recovered, picked up the steamed bun that looked like mud and walked over to Yu Shang. Xiao Yu, don't you dare. I'll make you die without a grave. Yu Zhang's pupils constricted as he howled. Why wouldn't I dare? Xiao Yu sneered as he extended his hand and grabbed Yu Zhang's hair before pulling him upwards. You're courting death. Yu Shang lifted his hand and was about to attack Xiao Yu. Slap. Duan Lingtian had been watching Yu Shang since the beginning. When he noticed him wanting to attack, Duan Lingtian's body flashed forward and grabbed his hand. Yu Shang, if you don't cooperate, I'll twist off your arm right now. You probably won't be able to pass the genius camp test if you lose this arm. Duan Ling Tian. Yu Shang gnashed his teeth as he spoke Duan Lingtian's name word for word with an enraged expression. Even though he was enraged, he didn't dare to make any further movements, as he didn't doubt in the slightest that Duan Lingtian would dare do what he said. What a joke! How could the person who dared to be presumptuous in front of the vice commander be a cowardly person? He forcefully swallowed the flames of rage burning within him, and in his heart he swore that he would make Duan Lingtian pay 1,000-fold. Eat it. Xiao Yu's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness as he held up Yu Zhang's hair with one hand and stuffed the steamed bun that was stained with mud and shoe prints into Yu Zhang's mouth with his other hand. Slap. Xiao Yu lifted his hand and struck his palm onto Yu Zhang's back. Instantly, Yu Shang swallowed the entire steamed bun. Blur. Yu Shang felt a wave of disgust, then his face turned extremely unsightly when he couldn't spit it out. Xiao Yu stood up and looked down at Yu Xian with eyes that emitted a cold gaze. This was the first time in his lifetime that he lost face in front of so many people, and if it wasn't for his fear of the county city's Yu clan, he would have already killed Yu Shang. Slap, 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 slap. Meng Quan imitated what Xiao Yu did and slapped his palm on the backs of each of the 4 Yu clan youths, causing them to swallow down the steamed buns they stomped flat themselves. The surrounding group of youths were deathly silent, and they all felt a chill run down their spines. Duan Lingtian's group of 3 was truly too domineering. However, they had the means to be domineering. Duan Lingtian. A furious, cold shout approached from the distance. Duan Lingtian lifted his head and looked. What he saw was a young general that he hadn't seen before flying over here from afar with a speed that was swift as a bolt of lightning. When the general flashed past the crowd and arrived in front of him, Duan Lingtian guessed the identity of this person. This person's appearance was slightly similar to Yu Shang, and thus his identity was extremely obvious. Yu Hong. Yu Hong had an expression full of rage as he swept Duan Lingtian with his gaze, and only after he gave Yu Hong and the others some gold injury pills did he once again appear before Duan Lingtian with eyes that were filled with a dense killing intent. Brother, Duan Lingtian made us all eat steamed buns that were tainted with mud, grass, and had been stomped flat. Yu Shang howled in rage. At this moment, he seemed to have forgotten that it was they themselves who stomped on those steamed buns. What? Yu Hong's face distorted and he fiercely glared at Duan Lingtian while angrily saying, Duan Lingtian, you actually humiliated my Yu clan members and humiliated my Yu clan in such a way. Today, I, Yu Hong, am bound to kill you to uphold my clan's honor. Whoosh! Yu Hong moved like a tempest with terrifying speed. Duan Lingtian's expression turned grim. This Yu Hong was obviously planning to pin a label saying that Duan Lingtian humiliated the Yu clan before killing him. In this way, he would have a logical reason to avoid the Iron Blood Army's punishment. This Yu Hong's motives were wicked, even malicious. The sky trembled above Yu Hong, who was dashing towards Duan Lingtian, as 11 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form. Obviously, this Yu Hong had a cultivation level similar to Centurion Bai Fang's, the one who died by Duan Lingtian's hand 3 months ago. They were both 8th level core formation martial artists. An enraged attack from a 8th level core formation martial artist brought great pressure to Duan Lingtian. At this moment, Duan Lingtian felt that he would suffocate soon. With the speed of an 8th level core formation martial artist, it was impossible for Duan Lingtian to dodge. Yu Hong, since you're courting death, then you can't blame me. Duan Lingtian's voice was icy cold, as if it were coming out of a pit of ice. His body moved. He was using the Spirit Serpent movement technique to intercept Yu Hong. Sword drawing arts. In an instant, his hand brushed past his waist and the violet myrtle flexible sword whistled as it swept out. He didn't use the strength of the spirit weapon, only his origin energy to activate the blood crescent inscription. Bullshit. Seeing Duan Lingtian actually daring to come intercept him, Yu Hong had a sneer on his face and his eyes emitted an awe-inspiring killing intent. He had long ago heard of Duan Lingtian breaking through to the 5th level of the core formation stage, and at the moment the killing intent in his heart was incomparable. Now that he had found an opportunity and transformed into the protector of the Yu clan's honor, he attacked with full force, as he desired to completely annihilate Duan Lingtian and avoid any future troubles. In his mind, even if Duan Lingtian were to be killed by him at this moment, the Iron Blood Army wouldn't be able to blame him. As he did it for the sake of the Yu clan. At this moment, he wasn't a general of the Iron Blood Army, but a Yu clan disciple that was upholding the honor of the clan. The people present nearly suffocated as they watched the scene unfold fixedly. Duan Lingtian, Xiao Yu's, Meng Quan's, and Luo Cheng's expressions turned grim with a trace of paleness, as they didn't think that Duan Lingtian would be able to withstand Yu Hong. In the sky, the difference between 7 ancient mammoth silhouettes and 11 ancient mammoth silhouettes was dazzling to the eyes. What a pity. The surrounding youths who were spectating sighed in their hearts. The heavens envy the gifted. No one thought that Duan Lingtian would be able to survive. However, in the next moment, they were all dumbstruck. Spirit Serpent movement technique. Just at the instant Duan Lingtian was about to intercept Yu Hong, his legs trembled and his body slanted to a degree. He brushed past Yu Hong's sleeves and narrowly dodged in a slightly sorry state. And just at this exact instant, the blood crescent inscription on the violet myrtle flexible sword flickered and transformed into a blood crescent. The blood crescent flashed out like a shadow. No, Yu Hong's expression turned ghastly pale when he perceived the terrifying strength that the blood crescent contained, and he shouted out in fright. He hurriedly circulated his defensive martial skill. Kai. However, the blood crescent easily sliced through his defensive chi barrier and entered his chest before penetrating through to the other side, creating a fountain of blood. Bang! Yu Hong's forward-charging body fiercely smashed into a high platform on the side of the drill grounds. His eyes were open wide and were unmoving. There were no signs of life on his body anymore. Dead, brother. Yu Zhang's face turned ghastly pale as he howled in grief before charging forward and unceasingly shaking Yu Hong's corpse, as he was unwilling to believe that everything was real. The other 4 Yu clan youths now looked at Duan Lingtian as if they were looking at a terrifying demon, and their bodies unconsciously trembled. As Duan Lingtian looked at Yu Hong's corpse, his eyes didn't have a trace of emotion, they were incomparably cold. He had never once held back against anyone that wanted his life. Ha ha, Duan Lingtian, nice work. Meng Quan laughed heartily. The worried expression on his face had vanished. Xiao Yu and Luo Cheng heaved a sigh of relief as well. The surrounding youths that were spectating, however, were utterly dumbstruck to the point of not being able to come back to their senses after a long period of time. Oh my god, what did I just see? Yu Hong is dead. I'm not dreaming, right? Ah, that hurts. Why did you pinch me? So I really am not dreaming. FK, if you want to know if you're dreaming or not, then pinch yourself. What did you pinch me for? Right, I nearly forgot I can pinch myself. The thing that dealt the killing blow to Yu Hong wasn't origin energy, it seemed to be a bloody light that flashed out of Duan Lingtian's sword. It seemed like an inscription. If it really was an inscription, then Yu Hong was really misfortunate. Even until death, he probably never imagined that Duan Lingtian would possess an offensive inscription capable of killing him. He wanted to kill Duan Lingtian but didn't do his homework. It would be strange if he didn't die when he was so reckless. The group of youths discussed animatedly. No one felt pity for Yu Hong. Everyone. Duan Lingtian heaved a sigh of relief and recovered his composure before sheathing the violet myrtle flexible sword and directing his gaze towards the group of youths. Instantly, the scene returned to peace, and everyone looked towards Duan Lingtian. Everyone, you all saw what happened today with your own two eyes. It was Yu Shang who provoked me, and I only slightly punished him in response. As for Yu Hong, he desired to kill me and had unleashed his killing intent upon me. For the sake of self-preservation, I could only use an offensive inscription to kill him. I hope that everyone can bear witness for me. Duan Lingtian expresses his thanks. Duan Lingtian clasped his hands towards the group of youths. Today's matters could turn out to be either big or small, so he had to set up a path to extricate himself. Or else, killing a decurion of the Iron Blood Army would cause him to carry the greatest charge. At that time, not to mention being unable to participate in the Genius Camp test and obtaining the qualifications to study in Paladin Academy, whether or not could even survive would be hard to say for certain. Duan Lingtian, you can be at ease. What you said was the truth and nothing but the truth, and we all saw it with our own two eyes, so we would surely not mislead the public. Yeah, it was just Yu Shang using his clan and brother's status to bully others today, and thus Yu Hong's death was warranted. Since we saw this with our own two eyes, it absolutely can't be a lie. The surrounding youths clarified their positions one by one. Thank you, everyone. A light smile appeared on Duan Lingtian's face. He had successfully controlled everything with his own two hands. Duan Lingtian, you killed my brother. Even if you're in the right today and the Iron Blood Army doesn't punish you, my Yu clan won't let the matter go so easily. You will undoubtedly die. Yu Shang had a face full of grievance as they stared angrily at Duan Lingtian. There's myriad of people who want me dead, but what I really want to know is if your Yu clan has the ability. Duan Lingtian's eyes flashed coldly and a sneer appeared on his face. It only took the afternoon for the news of Duan Lingtian killing Yu Hong to be spread across the entire Iron Blood Army campsite. Everyone was made aware of the matter. In a reserve tent, Duan Lingtian broke through to the 5th level of the core formation stage. And killed Yu Hong by relying on an offense inscription. As a red-robed youth held a sword in his embrace, battle intent emitted from his eyes. In a month's time, I will surely step into the 5th level of the core formation stage as well, and at that time I will certainly find a chance to spar with Duan Lingtian. In another tent, Duan Lingtian, Tian Hu, will catch up to you. A robust youth concentrated and calmed himself before starting his painstaking cultivation. At this moment, Duan Lingtian was comfortably lying down on his bed with his legs crossed and lightly rocking them. Duan Lingtian, when did you break through to the 5th level of the core formation stage? Meng Quan, who didn't have a bed to lie on, sat on the floor as he looked at Duan Lingtian with a curious gaze. Duan Lingtian noticed that even Xiao Yu and Meng Quan had glanced over. He was just about to reply. Duan Lingtian, the vice commander is summoning you. A deep voice sounded from outside the tent. Chapter 0113. Hearing this caused Duan Lingtian to frown. It wasn't unexpected to him that Vice Commander Chao Qingshan would summon him. After all, he did kill a member of the Iron Blood Army. Duan Lingtian, we'll go together and bear witness for you. Xiao Yu and the other stood up. There's no need for that. Since the Vice Commander sent someone to summon me and not detain me, it means that he has definitely found out the ins and outs of the matter. I'll be back in a short while. Duan Lingtian lightly smiled. You have a point. Xiao Yu nodded. He wasn't a rash person and was just slightly disordered from worry. Duan Lingtian walked out of the tent and greeted the soldier outside. Big brother, I'm Duan Lingtian. The Iron Blood Army soldier gave Duan Lingtian a deep glance. The shock in his heart was unparalleled. This youth around the age of 17 was the Duan Lingtian that killed Yu Hong. He heard that the youth that killed Yu Hong had a cultivation at the 5th level of the core formation stage. Not even 17, but at the 5th level of the core formation stage. Just the thought caused his scalp to go numb. Duan Lingtian was led by the soldier and walked into Vice Commander Chao Qingshan's tent before long. However, Duan Lingtian noticed that the tent was empty after entering it. What's going on? Duan Lingtian asked the Iron Blood Army soldier that led him over. The Vice Commander might have left at the last moment. You'll have to wait for a bit. After getting a reply to his question, Duan Lingtian started looking around and sizing up Chao Qingshan's tent as he waited. As expected of the Vice Commander's tent, it was an entire 3 times larger than the tent he stayed in. Presently, only half of the space in the tent was before his eyes, as the other half was blocked out by a screen. That other half was probably the resting area. After 10 minutes, Duan Lingtian slightly frowned. That Vice Commander sent someone to summon me but then vanished. What's going on? Just at this moment, Duan Lingtian's ears lightly twitched as he perceived movement from outside. 2 steady and deep sets of footsteps were walking over towards the tent he was in. The sound of the footsteps on the left has a deeper and steadier sound than the other. The one on the left should be the Vice Commander. Could the one on the right be a captain? Duan Lingtian guessed in his heart. Swish. The tent's door curtain was lifted upon by the person on the right. Vice Commander, sir. Duan Lingtian looked at the one who lifted the door curtain and couldn't help but be stunned. Never would he have imagined that among the 2 people standing before him, the one with weaker strength in comparison would actually be Chao Qingshan. Then the other person was. Haha, Duan Lingtian, sorry for the wait. Chao Qingshan laughed heartily as he walked in before raising the door curtain to allow the other person to enter. The person that entered was a refined middle-aged scholar. The middle-aged scholar had a light smile on his face which felt like a spring breeze washing over anyone who saw it. Commander, sir. Duan Lingtian hurriedly saluted. The middle-aged scholar was stunned, and so was Chao Qingshan, who had just let down the door curtain. How did you know? The middle-aged man, also known as the Iron Blood Army's commander Teng Yunhai, looked at Duan Lingtian with interest. Isn't it obvious? Who else could make the Vice Commander personally raise the tent's door curtain and emit such a respectful posture? Duan Lingtian lightly smiled. In his heart, however, he was slightly surprised, as he originally thought that based on Vice Commander Chao Qingshan, the commander of the Iron Blood Army would most definitely be a burly man. Never would he have imagined that he would be a refined scholar with an extraordinary temperament. It was impossible to discern based on his appearance that he was the Iron Blood Army's commander, a man who galloped across the battlefield and bathed in the blood of his enemies. It probably shouldn't only be this that allowed you to guess my identity, right? Teng Yunhai glanced deeply at Duan Lingtian. His wise gaze seemed as if it could discern everything. Duan Lingtian laughed embarrassedly. Looks like I can't conceal it from the commander. You're right, I got an inkling from the sound of your footsteps. I originally thought that the one walking on the left would be the Vice Commander, and the one on the right would be a captain. Chao Qingshan couldn't help but be moved. Teng Yunhai nodded with a smile. You were able to discern the difference in our cultivations based solely upon the sound of our footsteps. I have to say, kid, you're really extraordinary. Commander, sir, you're too kind. Duan Lingtian moved aside and welcomed the 2 commanders in. Teng Yunhai and Chao Qingshan sat down one after the other. Chao Qingshan looked at Duan Lingtian as he asked, with a smile, Duan Lingtian, since you're so good at guessing, then can you guess why I summoned you here? All I know is that Vice Commander didn't summon me here to denounce my crimes. Duan Lingtian smiled confidently. Haha, interesting. Chao Qingshan laughed heartily before looking over to Teng Yunhai. Commander, what do you think? Not bad. Teng Yunhai nodded in satisfaction. Duan Lingtian was dazed and had a feeling that he was being played. As he expected, Chao Qingshan once again directed his gaze at Duan Lingtian before slowly saying, Duan Lingtian, many people witnessed the scene of you killing Yu Hong, and since it was he who was the one who struck with an intent to kill first, his death was warranted. Vice Commander probably hasn't finished saying what you want to say, right? Duan Lingtian asked with a smile. You really are a Grinch. Our Iron Blood Army won't make it hard on you in terms of the matter of killing Yu Hong, but Yu Hong is a disciple of the Yu clan after all. The Yu clan's status isn't the greatest, but it isn't low either. If you're willing to join our Iron Blood Army and follow by the side of the commander will be able to protect you and your family from any harm, while also being able to foster you into the next commander of the 10,000 elite soldiers of the Iron Blood Army. Chao Qingshan had an expression of complete control over Duan Lingtian as he spoke. Tang Yunhai, on the other hand, noticed that Duan Lingtian's expression didn't change from start to finish, and his heart twitched. Vice Commander, sir. Duan Lingtian smiled at Chao Qingshan. First of all, I thank you and the commander for thinking so highly of me. Secondly, a mere Yu clan is nothing to me. Finally, what I want to say is, my aspirations are not within the Iron Blood Army, nor are they within the Crimson Sky Kingdom. Chao Qingshan was stunned before saying, with a frown, Duan Lingtian, don't look down on the Yu clan. The Yu clan is a large clan of the Swallow Mountain County after all. Their ability isn't something you can imagine. Duan Lingtian slowly shook his head. Thank you for your concern, Vice Commander. However, I've made up my mind. A man's aspirations should be far and great. I believe you will definitely be able to leave the Crimson Sky Kingdom and walk towards a stage of your own. Meanwhile, Tang Yunhai spoke as if he wasn't one bit angry that Duan Lingtian had rejected to remain within the Iron Blood Army. Thank you, Commander, sir. Duan Lingtian hurriedly expressed his gratitude. Okay, you can return now and have a good rest tonight. Tomorrow, the Vice Commander will announce the training regime for the next period of the Genius Camp. Your true training is about to begin. Tang Yunhai waved his hand in dismissal. Commander, Vice Commander, I'll be taking my leave now. Duan Lingtian directly left. Inside the tent, Chao Qingshan looked at Tang Yunhai with a puzzled expression. Commander, I've investigated that Duan Lingtian, and his records are clean. With his natural talent and ability, he would absolutely be the best candidate for being the future commander of the Iron Blood Army. You're really letting him go like that? Qingshan, do you think that with his reaction from earlier, he would remain if we continued to waste our breath? Tang Yunhai asked. Chao Qingshan went silent. Duan Lingtian's attitude earlier was extremely obvious. He wasn't willing to remain in the Iron Blood Army. If he doesn't remain in our Iron Blood Army, even if he really obtains the qualifications to study at Paladin Academy, he will probably be dealt with by the Yu clan before he even enters Paladin Academy. I really can't bear to see such a talent go to waste. Chao Qingshan sighed, as what he said came from the heart. Didn't he say earlier that he thought nothing of the Yu clan? Tang Yunhai shook his head. Commander, don't tell me you didn't notice that that was just something he said to evade from accepting our offer. What? Commander can't really have believed what he said, right? Chao Qingshan had an astounded expression. Tang Yunhai lightly smiled. I can tell that he was completely confident. A person can speak lies, but their eyes would absolutely be unable to lie. When he mentioned the Yu clan, that gaze of contempt told me that he was really confident and not just talking rubbish. Commander, how could this be possible? I've already investigated his background. He's a member of Aurora City's Li clan, and he is originally from the Li clan's branch family in Fresh Breeze Town. Chao Qingshan didn't believe him. Then do you know who his father is? Tang Yunhai's eyes narrowed as he asked. His father? I wasn't able to investigate anything about this. Could it be that his father is someone extraordinary? Chao Qingshan's finally got his head around the matter. I have an old friend with an appearance 60% or 70% similar to Duan Lingtian's. If I'm not wrong, that old friend of mine married a woman from a remote small clan. That woman was also surnamed Li, Tang Yunhai said slowly. Who is it? Chao Qingshan was curious, as he had followed the commander for a very long time. If it was an old friend of the commander, he should know of him. Do you remember the person from the Imperial City's Duan clan that went missing 15 years ago? Tang Yunhai's eyes flickered as he spoke. Commander, are you talking about Duan Rufeng? Chao Qingshan's pupils constricted, and in an instant his expression emitted a sense of heartfelt reverence. Duan Rufeng, a peerless genius that shook the entire Crimson Sky Kingdom. A figure that people from their generation had to look up to. After leaving the vice commander's tent, Duan Lingtian didn't dally around and directly returned to his own tent. Duan Lingtian, what did the vice commander summon you for? Meng Quan's eyes emitted a sense of curiosity when he saw Duan Lingtian return. Nothing much, he just wanted to tell me that the real training of the Genius Camp will begin tomorrow. Duan Lingtian shook his head as he spoke in a slow manner. What? Meng Quan was shocked. Shish, softly, Luo Cheng said in a low voice. Huh. Meanwhile, Duan Lingtian noticed Xiao Yu sitting cross-legged on his bed. He was cultivating. It's so early in the day, why is Xiao Yu already cultivating? Definitely because of being provoked by Yu Shang. Meng Quan shook his head and sighed. In Aurora City, Xiao Yu was a figure his peers needed to look up to after all. Being humiliated by a peer like Yu Shang caused him to be unable to bear it. Working hard because of this isn't strange. Meng Quan, I noticed that you have a lot to say. Suddenly, Xiao Yu's eyes opened, and his cold gaze descended upon Meng Quan. Think of it as if I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. Meng Quan waved his hand embarrassedly, like a child who was caught stealing candy. Chapter 0114. Xiao Yu paid no attention to Meng Quan after glaring at him. He then glanced at Duan Lingtian and asked, do you know what the following training regime is? Not yet. Duan Lingtian shook his head. Xiao Yu nodded before closing his eyes once again and started to cultivate. Duan Lingtian pupils constricted. Looks like being knocked out in public was a real blow to Xiao Yu, he wouldn't be making such an effort otherwise. However, he was confident that Xiao Yu would be able to trample on Yu Shang sooner or later. So you two aren't seizing the opportunity to cultivate? Be careful, you might not be able to pass the test. Duan Lingtian glanced at Luo Cheng and Meng Quan as he spoke with a smile. I'm not afraid. Don't I still have you? Meng Quan laughed. Duan Lingtian rolled his eyes at them. How do you know that the training that starts tomorrow won't be done individually? If everyone undergoes the training separately, how would I help you too? Jinx. Meng Quan and Luo Cheng cried out in unison. It was a rare occasion that they had such tacit understanding. At dawn the next day, the remaining 29 youths in the genius camp gathered on the drill grounds. Duan Lingtian had only just arrived when he noticed two sets of gazes that were filled with battle intent. He looked over only to notice that it was Su Li and Tianhu. It looked like what he did yesterday had aroused the competitive spirit within the two of them. Of course, besides the gazes of Su Li and Tianhu, Duan Lingtian noticed a gloomy and cold gaze that was filled with hatred staring at him. Yu Shang. A light smile appeared on the corners of Duan Lingtian's mouth as he glanced at Xu Yang. He made nothing of the hatred in Yu Zhang's gaze. Duan Lingtian. However, to Yu Shang, the light smile on the corners of Duan Lingtian's mouth was like a move to further provoke him, causing his face to flush in extreme rage. The other youths of the genius camp had gazes of slight reverence when they looked at Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian's strength was something that they could only look up to. Before long, Vice Commander Chao Qingshan appeared, and behind him were another 4 captains and 25 centurions. The formidable array of men emitted a faint aura of slaughter from their bodies, causing the expressions of the youths to turn slightly pale. Duan Lingtian stood unfazed on the spot. This degree of slaughter aura was nothing to him. However, he was slightly surprised and curious at this moment. 4 captains and 25 centurions, what a parade! What on earth is the next training? Reporting to Vice Commander, Sir. The group of youths from the genius camp respectfully saluted Chao Qingshan. Chao Qingshan nodded before saying, congratulations on passing the first round of the genius camp's test. Although the amount of you that survived is fewer than expected, I believe that those of you who were able to survive are surely the elites of the elites. To accommodate the unexpected turn of events during the first round, our Iron Blood Army has temporarily altered the training regime. The following training, instead of calling it training, it's more suited to be called a test. Anyone who passes this test and survives will be able to obtain the qualifications to study in Paladin Academy. What Chao Qingshan said was like a fuse that ignited the atmosphere of the scene. What the Vice Commander means is that the training we are about to face is the last round of the training. I imagine that the so-called final test will certainly be extremely difficult. No matter what, I've already come this far and will surely go all the way. Yeah, go all the way. Gamble for a chance to soar into the heavens. The youths of the genius camp felt their blood boil. As Chao Qingshan waved his hand, the clamorous drill grounds went silent. The final test will no longer be carried out in groups. Everyone will complete a mission assigned by the Iron Blood Army, and only those who successfully complete their mission will be considered to have passed the test. Chao Qingshan continued. As soon as Chao Qingshan finished speaking, most of the youths had shining gazes. Yu Xiao and the other 3 Yu clan youths frowned. Jinx. Meng Quan and Luo Cheng looked at Duan Lingtian before once again crying out in unison. The corners of Duan Lingtian's mouth slightly twitched. He didn't think that what he said would really came true. Before long, Chao Qingshan started recounting the rules of the test. In order to prohibit you all from borrowing external forces to complete the mission, our Iron Blood Army has dispatched 29 officers to supervise your progress on a one-to-one basis. During the course of completing the mission, even if you face a life-threatening danger, they will still not lend a hand. Don't have any hopes of trying to bribe the officers of my Iron Blood Army, as they have the authority to execute anyone who wishes to bribe them on the spot. As Chao Qingshan finished speaking, his tone was icy cold. The youths on the scene felt as if they had fallen into a pit of ice, and their expressions became heavy. They realized that the mission they would be facing wasn't so simple. 29 officers. Duan Lingtian's eyes narrowed, and his gaze swept the group of people behind Chao Qingshan one by one. The 4 captains couldn't have been prepared for me, Su Li, Tian Hu, and Yu Shang, right? Duan Lingtian guessed in his heart. Clap, clap. Abruptly, Chao Qingshan clapped twice. Instantly, a wave of clamorous noise sounded from outside the drill grounds. Duan Lingtian glanced over. What he saw was a group of Iron Blood Army soldiers carrying over simple tables and chairs before distributing them to him and the other 28 youths of the Genius Camp. A set of table and chairs for each of them. Why distribute tables and chairs to us? He couldn't get his head around the matter. Sit down. Following Chao Qingshan's order, the 29 youths, including Duan Lingtian, sat down in front of their tables. Now, everyone will be given 2 papers and a brush. As soon as Chao Qingshan's voice sounded, Iron Blood Army soldiers distributed papers and brushes to the group of youths. What's this all for? Most of the youths were dumbfounded. Could it be that before the final test of the training, there would be a written test? Vice Commander, I haven't studied much and I'm only capable of writing a few words. If it's a written test, then I probably can't do it. Just at this moment, a muddle-headed youth flushed as he spoke. Instantly, many people roared in laughter. Who told you I'm giving you a written test? In Cloud Continent, only the strong are respected. Even if you have the top score in a written test, what good is that? Chao Qingshan slightly frowned. Not a written test. Then what was it? Besides Duan Lingtian, all of the youths gazed at Chao Qingshan. Only Duan Lingtian propped his chin as if he had thought of something. Today, I distributed these papers and brushes to you not for a written test, but for you to write a letter. Or to be straightforward, I want you to write a will. Chao Qingshan said in a loud and clear voice. Will, write a will. Immediately, the expressions of some of the youths went pale. Some, however, didn't have much change in their expressions, as they weren't so surprised. Enough. Now I'll give all of you an hour to write your wills. It can be 1 or 2 wills. After you've finished, fold it up and write the recipient's general information. If you're misfortunate and lose your life, our Iron Blood Army will send your will back home at the first possible moment, Chao Qingshan indifferently said, with a carefree expression. The breathing of some of the youths became hurried. They picked up their brushes but couldn't write anything for a long time. Some of the youths, however, had already started wielding their brushes energetically. A will. A smile appeared on the corners of Duan Lingtian's mouth. Is there any need for this? In the end, Duan Lingtian simply lied on the table and took a nap. Chao Qingshan was constantly paying attention to Duan Lingtian. When he Duan Lingtian lying there and taking a nap instead of writing a will, the corners of his mouth unconsciously twitched. This kid, is he really confident or is he arrogant? After all, the mission arranged for Duan Lingtian could be considered the most difficult among the 29 missions. These missions were divided into 3 grades, and the most difficult was Duan Lingtian's without a doubt. It was something that was only decided on last night at the last minute. After all, Duan Lingtian was a 5th-level core formation martial artist, so if the mission was too easy, he could probably finish it with his eyes closed. Just below Duan Lingtian's mission, there were 3 that were comparatively difficult. These were for the other 3 youths who were at the 4th level of the core formation stage, Su Li, Tian Hu and Yu Shang. The remaining 25 missions were very easy for Duan Lingtian and the other 3 youths, but for the remaining 25 youths, the difficulty was quite high and could threaten their lives at any moment. After an hour passed, the Iron Blood Army soldiers collected the wills of the 28 youths. Only Duan Lingtian crumpled up his 2 pieces of paper into a ball and tossed them aside. Meanwhile, the youths present noticed that Duan Lingtian actually hadn't written a will. Duan Lingtian, why didn't you write one? Meng Quan, who sat behind Duan Lingtian, couldn't help himself from asking. Why do I need to write it? Duan Lingtian asked in return. Meng Quan was stunned. Yeah, with Duan Lingtian's ability, even Yu Hong, who was at the 8th level of the core formation stage, was killed by him. Why would he care about the following mission? Duan Lingtian disdained to write the letter because he is confident. When can I be so confident and even have the ability to be so arrogant? Meng Quan sighed in his heart. Now that you've all finished writing your wills, the mission is about to begin. After this, you will all follow your respective Iron Blood Army officers and leave Iron Blood City. Due to the long journey, they will brief you on your missions on the way. Chao Qingshan's voice sounded once more. Instantly, the 4 captains and 25 centurions behind Chao Qingshan walked out. Just as Duan Lingtian guessed, the 4 captains respectively walked over to him, Su Li, Tianhu, and Yu Shang. The captain that arrived before Duan Lingtian was a familiar face, Captain Yan Da. Captain, sir. Duan Lingtian lightly smiled as he saluted. Let's go. Yang Da returned a smile as he nodded before walking away swiftly. Come back alive and let's have a drink together. Before leaving, Duan Lingtian glanced at Xiao Yu and the others with a serious expression. It's a promise. The 3 of them nodded. The 29 Iron Blood Army officers took the youth out of Iron Blood City in batches. Duan Lingtian galloped behind Yang Da and left Iron Blood City. However, the direction in which he left was the eastern road. All the way towards the east. Captain, sir, this way leads to the regions of the Crow Summit Kingdom, right? Duan Lingtian couldn't help but ask. You're right. Your mission this time will precisely be carried out in the Crow Summit Kingdom. Yang Da nodded. Duan Lingtian pupils constricted. Carry out a mission in the Crow Summit Kingdom. Could it be they wanted him to assassinate someone? Chapter 0115. Captain, what's my mission? After they were a decent distance away from Iron Blood City, Duan Lingtian couldn't help himself from asking. Your mission is to cause the Crow Summit Kingdom's Black Armor Army and the Lian clan to have a falling out and completely hate each other forever. Yang Da's eyes flickered as he spoke slowly. In his heart, however, Yang Da couldn't help but sigh. In these years, their Iron Blood Army had left no means untried but still came back empty-handed. Even he didn't know why the commander would give such a mission to Duan Lingtian. As far as he was concerned, it was impossible for Duan Lingtian to complete this mission. Black Armor Army, Lian clan. Duan Lingtian slightly frowned. Captain, can you brief me about them? Of course. Yang Da nodded and slowly said, by following this road, we will be able to arrive at the Crow Summit Kingdom's Black Armor City. The Black Armor City is similar to our Iron Blood City, and the Black Armor Army is similar to our Iron Blood Army. As for the Lian clan, it's the strongest clan in Black Armor City, and they have always had good relations with the Black Armor Army. Duan Lingtian lightly nodded. Yang Da continued, the Black Armor Army is the sworn enemy of our Iron Blood Army, and they once suffered defeat at the hands of our Iron Blood Army. As he spoke up to this point, Yang Da's face slightly sank. Once, Duan Lingtian was dazed. Ever since the Lian clan interfered with the conflict of our 2 armies, our Iron Blood Army and the Black Armor Army have always been in an evenly matched situation, and it is difficult to demoralize the Black Armor Army once again like before. Yang Da was obviously furious as he spoke. Normally, powers like a clan would not interfere in the conflict between 2 armies. However, due to the good relations between the Lian clan and the Black Iron Army, although they didn't openly interfere, they had secretly asked the masters of their family to sneak into the Black Iron Army, thus causing its strength to increase drastically. This was precisely the thing that caused the Iron Blood Army to have the biggest headache. Duan Lingtian frowned. Since the Lian clan went out of their way to help the Black Armor Army, the relationship between them isn't that simple, right? Yang Da nodded. Of course. The Lian clan's patriarch and the Black Armor Army's commander are sworn brothers. The corners of Duan Lingtian's mouth twitched. Duan Lingtian's eyes narrowed as he asked, Captain, if I'm not wrong, the Iron Blood Army has tried to break up the Lian clan and the Black Armor Army but have constantly failed, right? You're right. Yang Da nodded. FK. Duan Lingtian couldn't help himself from swearing. What kind of mission are you giving me? You're asking me to do something your Iron Blood Army can't accomplish. Captain, tell me the truth, do you think I can accomplish the mission? In my personal opinion, the chances of you completing the mission are very slim. However, the commander said that maybe you will bring a favorable turn for us. Yang Da gave Duan Lingtian a deep glance. He couldn't wrap his head around why the commander would think so highly of this youth. The commander. The corners of Duan Lingtian's mouth twitched. The first thing that came to mind was that Commander Teng Yunhai was taking revenge on him, as he bore a grudge against him for rejecting his offer to remain in the Iron Blood Army and become his successor. Can I refuse this mission? Duan Lingtian asked. The commander specially notified me that due to the special circumstances of this mission, you may refuse it. However, you would then lose your chance of obtaining the qualifications to study at Paladin Academy because of this, Yang Da said. Can't I change to a different mission? Duan Lingtian frowned. No, Yang Da spoke decisively. This is the commander's wish. Duan Lingtian laughed bitterly. Do you want to refuse? If you refuse, we can turn around and return right now and you can return home directly, Yang Da asked. Let's go look at the circumstances first. Duan Lingtian's eyes flashed as he spoke slowly. If he sees that there's no hope in completing the mission once he arrives at Black Armor City, he will refuse it. There was no reason to waste his life just for the qualification to study at Paladin Academy. In any case, he would only be 17 in a few more years, so there would be plenty of chances in the future. Yang Da nodded. At the same time, he seemed to have thought of something. He looked at Duan Lingtian before asking, Duan Lingtian, I heard that you relied on an inscription on your sword to kill Yu Hong. You know an inscription master? You can say that. When I was young, I met a shitty geezer who was dressed up like a beggar on a street. I tossed over a steamed bun for him to eat and he left this inscription to me. Unfortunately, it wasn't until later on that I figured out that he was an inscription master, or else I would have taken him as my master. Duan Lingtian talked nonsense with a sigh. You really have good luck. The corners of Yang Da's mouth twitched, however, he didn't doubt what Duan Lingtian said. He had heard before about how inscription masters' tempers and hobbies were extremely weird. Duan Lingtian and Yang Da spurred on their horses at top speed from the Crimson Sky Kingdom's Iron Blood City until the Crow Summit Kingdom's Black Armor City, but even then it took them 3 entire months to get there. Black Armor City was a city that covered an area similarly vast to Iron Blood City. Looking at it from afar, it seemed like a formidable fierce beast that was hibernating there, and a grim atmosphere blew into his face. After entering Black Armor City, Duan Lingtian's group of 2 found an inn. You can only rely on yourself for the following matters. If you feel you're unable to complete it, you may give up on this mission and directly return. After leaving Duan Lingtian this last speech, Yang Da entered his room. For the next few days, not even a shadow of Yang Da could be found. During these few days, Duan Lingtian moved about the various restaurants to try to find out about news of the Black Armor Army and the Lien clan. Only then did he know that it wasn't only the patriarch of the Lien clan and the Black Armor Army's commander that were sworn brothers, even their sons were best friends. They were very close with each other, to the point that they usually called each other, brother. What bull's tea mission is this? Duan Lingtian frowned and prepared to pay his bill before leaving the restaurant to go find Yang Da to give up on the mission. In the next moment, however, his movement stopped, as he was attracted by the discussion from the table to his side. The concubine that the Lien clan's young patriarch admitted has a really bright and beautiful appearance. I nearly lost my soul from only just a glance. I heard about it as well. Allegedly, he now runs over to that concubine's room every night and doesn't even bother with his wife. The true epitome of the saying, if my body should perish, girls I'll still cherish. The person who spoke didn't have any intention when he spoke, but the person who heard it inserted his own intention into it. Maybe this is an opportunity. A smile appeared on the corners of Duan Lingtian's mouth as a plan emerged in his heart. In these past few days, he had heard of the Black Armor Army's commander's son, Tong Lin, who could not be satisfied without a woman every night and would head to the city's Spring Breeze house to have some fun every other day. Tong Lin was 19 this year and with ordinary natural talent, but his cultivation was at the 4th level of the core formation stage. He could imagine how high of an expectation his father, the Black Armor Army's commander, would have placed on him. Deep in the night, 2 drunk figures walked out of a restaurant. Lien K, you've been entrapped by that concubine of yours lately, and it's been so long since you went to the Spring Breeze house with me. How about this brother of yours invites you to have some fun in the Spring Breeze house tonight? Would you do me the favor? Tong Lin's body wobbled as he spoke. Of course. Who asked you to be my brother? I'll let that little succubus be alone for tonight. Let's go. Lien K, also known as the Lien clan's young patriarch, went off to the Spring Breeze house with Tong Lin. In the distance, in two corners, a figure hid within each corner. They were hidden in the darkness of the night before vanishing. Duan Lingtian stood on the balcony of a penthouse in the Spring Breeze house as he looked from afar at the two figures that were leaving, and thought in his heart, HMPH. Looks like the Lien clan's patriarch and the Black Armor Army's commander both truly value their sons. Well, one is the only child and the other the only son. Young master, I've been waiting so long for you. Why haven't you come yet? A charming and beautiful prostitute hugged Duan Lingtian from behind and blew a breath of air on the side of his ears. If he was teased by a woman with a good appearance like this at any other time, Duan Lingtian would surely have punished her right away, but now he had more important matters to deal with. Duan Lingtian tossed 100 silver to the woman. I'm not interested tonight. Take it and buy some makeup. Thank you, young master. The woman burst into a smile of joy and sensibly withdrew herself. Then I won't disturb the young master. Before long, Duan Lingtian snuck into another room and concealed himself above the bed. A short while later, the room door opened, and a man and woman walked in. Young Master Tong, it's been so long since you've played with me. The woman's lustful voice slowly sounded. My good little Red, I'll properly play with you right now. Sounds of clothes being taken off sounded, and mixed in it was the sound of hurried breathing. Before long, Tong Lin embraced the prostitute onto the bed. Ah, the prostitute noticed Duan Lingtian, who had crawled onto the top of the bed like a spider, with but just a glance, and she was scared to the extent that her face went pale and she screamed. Little Red, I haven't even started. What are you screaming for? Tong Lin still hadn't realized the danger that was descending upon him and continued to feel up the prostitute. Whoosh! Duan Lingtian made his move and directly knocked Tong Lin out. Sir, spare me, spare me. The prostitute's face was pale as she hurriedly pleaded. Whoosh! Duan Lingtian raised his hand and tossed a stack of silver onto the prostitute before indifferently saying, You're an intelligent person. Take this silver and redeem yourself before leaving the city tonight. Or else, you'll probably lose your life. Duan Lingtian hoisted up Tong Lin after he finished speaking and disappeared before the prostitute. The prostitute's face flushed as she counted the silver in her hand before exclaiming, 100,000 silver. Even if she worked in the Spring Breeze house her entire life, she still wouldn't be able to earn so much money. She took a deep breath, grit her teeth, and made up her mind. She would redeem herself and leave Black Armor City tonight. And it was because of this that she was able to conceal her identity and live a peaceful life. Eventually she even married an honest man. Years later, after she had groups of children, she would still be unable to help herself from recalling the violet-clothed youth that changed her entire life that night. After Duan Lingtian took Tong Ling, he snuck into the Lien clan estate. Duan Lingtian knocked Lien K's concubine out without difficulty before tossing Tong Lin onto the bed and removing the clothes off both their bodies. She really is a beauty. You don't deserve to get her. Duan Lingtian glanced at Lien K's concubine before moving his gaze onto Tong Ling for a moment. Only then did he leave. Not long after Duan Lingtian left, Tong Lin awoke in a dizzy state. What's going on? Before he could even make sense of what happened, he felt the smooth, jade-like body beneath him, and his breathing instantly became heavy as he pressed himself onto her. Little Red, I'm coming. Chapter 0116. Spring Breeze House. In a secluded room, the heavy breathing of a man and woman sounded from within. Suddenly, roar! Lien K emitted a low roar like a wild beast before falling onto the prostitute's body in exhaustion. Lien K. Just at this moment, a voice suddenly entered into the room. Who? Lien K was scared to the point that his body froze, and the prostitute that was under him was shivering as well. Duan Lingtian leaned outside the window as he lazily said, Lien K, you probably still don't know that you've been betrayed by your brother, right? Who are you? What do you mean? Lien K's face slightly distorted as he slowly got off the bed and walked towards the window. Won't you know if you rush back home and go take a look now? Tisk tisk, Tong Lin fooled you to come to the Spring Breeze house and then he himself went to have a good time with your concubine. Duan Lingtian finished his sentence and immediately left. He still had an important matter to take care of. Lien K opened up the window, but all he saw was a figure disappearing in the distance, causing him to unconsciously frown. Lien K took a deep breath and put on his clothes before going to the room next door to look for Tong Lin. But he noticed that Tong Lin wasn't there at all and had vanished without a trace. A bad premonition arose in his heart. Tong Lin. Li Nk's face slightly sank. Although he had a good relationship with Tong Lin, it wasn't to the extent of wearing the same clothes or sharing the same woman. The sky was clear and starless above the Lien clan estate. Li Nk galloped into the estate, going straight for the courtyard his concubine lived in. Li Nk had only been here for a short while before 3 war horses galloped swiftly and approached the main door of the Lien clan estate. A bearded man who wore light armor and was being followed by 2 generals got off his horse and walked into the Lien clan estate. "Commander, sir." The Lien clan members hurriedly saluted when they saw the bearded man. This man was the commander of the Black Armor Army, an existence similar to the local tyrant of Black Armor City, and he was even the sworn brother of the Lien clan's patriarch. "Where does the concubine your young patriarch recently admitted stay at?" The bearded man's voice was like thunder as he looked at one of the Lien clan disciples. The Lien clan disciple's face went ghastly pale, then he pointed towards the north. "Lead the way." The bearded man glared, and his breathing was slightly hurried. He had only just received news that his son was plotted against by someone and that there would be a threat to his life. And as such, he didn't dare hesitate and brought along 2 vice commanders before rushing over. At this moment, outside the pitch-black room, a figure entered the courtyard before kicking the door open and entering the room. Bang! The room's door being kicked open startled awake the man and woman inside the room. "Who's so daring as to actually disturb my sleep?" A familiar voice sounded, causing the person who kicked open the door, in other words, the Lien clan's young patriarch's, Li Nk's, body to tremble as if struck by lightning. When he lit a candle and saw the naked pair on the bed, his eyes turned bloodshot as he shouted in a fierce voice, "Tong Lin, you despicable scum!" When Tong Lin noticed Li Nk's appearance, he was slightly muddle-headed. Only now did he notice that he wasn't at the Spring Breeze house anymore. He lowered his head to look, and the beautiful young girl who hid shivering at the corner of the bed and looked at him in fear, wasn't she precisely the concubine Li Nk had just recently admitted? He just now was expressing himself on top of this concubine. He felt his scalp go slightly numb. What's going on? Tong Lin looked at Li Nk in panic. "Brother, it isn't what you think it is, it's a misunderstanding. This is all a misunderstanding, even I don't know how I got into your concubine's room." Misunderstanding? Li Nk's face sank as he walked up 2 steps and directly pulled Tong Lin off the bed. Bang! Li Nk struck out his fist, causing Tong Lin to spit out a mouthful of blood on floor. There were even some shattered teeth mixed within. Tong Lin got angry as well. He smashed his fist out and blasted Li Nk away. "Li Nk, you actually dare to strike me? Not to mention this is a misunderstanding, even if it isn't, I've ked your woman and you should be honored. If it wasn't for our Black Armor Army, could your Lien clan be the #1 clan in Black Armor City?" Tong Lin's voice was cold and indifferent, and mixed within was an awe-inducing coldness. Good, Tong Lin, I'll kill you today." Li Nk rushed forward once again and started battling Tong Lin with his raging origin energy. However, the both of them were on par and could not discern superiority in a short amount of time. "Young master." Just at this moment, when Li Nk was forced to retreat by Tong Lin, a voice sounded. An attendant that wore the Lien clan's servant's clothes walked in quickly and respectfully passed the broom in his hand to Li Nk. Li Nk didn't think anything of it and took the broom in his hand, then he poured his origin energy into it and smashed it towards Tong Lin. "PFF'd. Li Nk, could it be that you think that you can use a broom to defeat?" Tong Lin stuck his fist towards the broom. However, he hadn't finished his sentence when a strand of dusky gray force was emitted from the broom. It was like a 1,000-pound hammer as it smashed down towards him. The force knocked away his fist and the terrifying strength within continued on and smashed directly on his head. Splosh! Brain matter splattered all over Li Nk's face, causing him to be dumbstruck. He looked at the broom in his hand as if he was looking at a monster. That was an offense inscription. "Who the heck are you?" In this instant, Li Nk seemed to understand something as he turned around. But what he noticed was that the fellow that passed him the broom had vanished. He realized that he had been schemed against, and this was all just a trap. Just at this moment, Li Nk's concubine saw Tong Lin's mangled corpse and was scared to the point of screaming before fainting. Li Nk took a deep breath. He knew that no matter what happened here couldn't spread. If word of this got out, his Lien clan would surely suffer the rage of the Black Armor Army, which could even injure the vitality of the clan. If the Black Armor Army really were to roll out towards the Lien clan, that was no laughing matter. Just when he calmed himself down and was about to secretly deal with Tong Lin's corpse. Lin, a roar of rage that sounded like explosive thunder caused Lien K's expression to turn ghastly pale. This voice was a voice Lien K was extremely familiar with. Why would he come here? For a moment, Lien K felt a wave of helplessness surge in his heart, as he realized that the person who devised this trap had purposely forced him on this road to ruin. Uncle Lei, hear me out. Lien K tossed away the broom that was tainted full of blood and looked at the bearded man in front of him in panic. Lien K, all my son did was play with your concubine, you actually killed my son for a woman. Die. In a state of explosive rage, the bearded man, or in other words, the Black Armor Army's commander, struck out his fist which carried with it the force of a tempest. Brother Lei, show mercy. Just at this moment, a figure flashed over like a gust of wind but was stopped by the two Black Armor Army vice commanders. Bang! The bearded man's attack, which contained his rage, blasted open Lien K's head. My son, the person who had just arrived was none other than the Lien clan's patriarch. Seeing his son being killed with his own two eyes caused him to be enraged. He blasted away the two Black Armor Army vice commanders and started battling the bearded man. Before long, the entire Lien clan was alarmed, and no one noticed that while the Lien clan estate was in chaos, a clan servant had silently left. Done. After taking off the servant's outfit, Duan Lingtian's body flashed like a spirit serpent and disappeared at the end of the road. He knew that his mission had been smoothly completed. After returning to the inn and taking a bath, Duan Lingtian sat cross-legged on his bed and started tempering his fleshly body with origin energy. Suddenly, crackle crackle, in the blink of an eye, Duan Lingtian could clearly feel the muscles and bones in his body undergoing a metamorphosis. Similarly, his fleshly body and lifeblood completed the final tempering. This, Duan Lingtian had a pleasantly surprised expression, as he didn't expect that he would complete the third level of core formation stage fleshly body tempering at this time. Duan Lingtian lightly clenched his fists. Whoosh! Above him, 6 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form, and this was only the strength of Duan Lingtian's fleshly body. Whoosh! When Duan Lingtian exerted his origin energy as well, 3 more ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared above him. Presently, he was able to exert the strength of 9 ancient mammoths. What an unexpected pleasant surprise. First I completed the mission, and now my strength broke through. A brilliant smile appeared on Duan Lingtian's face. Deep in the night, Duan Lingtian fell asleep. The next day, the sound of the door being knocked disturbed Duan Lingtian's sweet dreams. He opened the door only to have the Captain Yang Da walk in bluntly. He looked at Duan Lingtian, who was still drowsy, with a weird expression. How did you do it? Early this morning, Yang Da heard about what happened in the Lien clan last night, the major event that caused the entire Black Armor city to quake. The 3 great commanders of the Black Armor army were all heavily injured by the Lien clan elders, whereas the Lien clan patriarch was nearly killed. After countless inquiries, he finally found out the ins and outs of the matter. Everything that happened stemmed from the conflict between the son of the Black Armor army's commander and the Lien clan's patriarch's son. As far as he was concerned, it was filled with questionable points, and thus at the first moment, he thought of Duan Lingtian. What? How did I do what? Duan Lingtian asked while yawning. Don't act stupid. What happened at the Lien clan last night? Don't tell me you don't know, Yang Da derided. So it was that matter. Duan Lingtian cleared his head before shaking it. It's only a small matter and it's not even worthy of being mentioned. Small matter? The corners of Yang Da's mouth twitched, as he wondered if the youth in front of him had said that on purpose. Their Iron Blood army had schemed for years but were unable to cause the Lien clan and Black Armor army to fall out and become enemies, but now it was completed by this youth in front of him in but just a night. Duan Lingtian looked at Yang Da as he asked, right, my mission is considered complete, right? It's completed. Yang Da nodded, then his eyes flashed with a trace of curiosity. How did you actually do it? Duan Lingtian roughly explained the whole course of the incident. After hearing the entire story, Yang Da couldn't help but be moved, as he didn't think that this youth would have such scheming ability. He was able to create so much trouble by only using Lien K's concubine. More importantly, the entire matter was conducted perfectly and could also be said to be flawless. Maybe Lien K had some suspicions, but he didn't even have the chance to explain before being annihilated by the Black Armor army's commander, who was in grief of the loss of his son. There's something I can't get wrap head around. Even if Lien K was any angrier, he probably wouldn't go so far as to kill Tong Lin for a concubine, right? Yang Da looked at Duan Lingtian with a burning gaze. Indeed, although he was enraged at the time, he didn't have any killing intent on him. Duan Lingtian nodded. How did you do it? Yang Da had a face full of anticipation. Secret. Duan Lingtian shrugged before going to bathe and change his clothes. Yang Da was slightly irritated, but it just so happened that he couldn't take any action against Duan Lingtian, and thus he could only laugh bitterly. Chapter 0117. While Duan Lingtian and Yang Da were on their way out of Black Armor City, they saw the soldiers of the Black Armor Army parading towards the Lien clan estate with a bearing that seemed like a dark cloud bearing down on the city and threatening to overwhelm it. Feels like I went a bit too far. Duan Lingtian galloped his horse forward and rubbed his nose embarrassedly. Yang Da rolled his eyes at Duan Lingtian. Isn't this all you're doing, kid? If you want to talk about the initiator of all this, it definitely wasn't me, right? I have no grievances with the Black Armor Army nor the Lien clan, and thus have no reason to entrap them. Wasn't it your Iron Blood Army that asked me to complete this Bull's Tea mission? Such a hard but thankless job. Duan Lingtian grunted. Let's go. Since the matter's settled, the commander will presumably be relieved. Yang Da's voice had only just finished echoing out when Duan Lingtian galloped his horse forward, leaving behind a face full of dust for Yang Da. This kid. Yang Da glared before catching up to him. On the way over, the two of them spurred their horses forward and embarked on a 3-month-long journey. Presently, since the mission was complete, Duan Lingtian and Yang Da slowed down their speed and leisurely traveled towards the Crimson Sky Kingdom's Iron Blood City. Along the way, they stayed in the inns of some of the small towns and experienced various local customs and practices. Only after 5 months did they arrive at a small town near Iron Blood City. We'll rest here for the night, and we'll arrive tomorrow after a day's travel, Yang Da said to Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian nodded as the two of them galloped into the small town. Every time he entered these small towns, Duan Lingtian would have the feeling as if he'd returned to Fresh Breeze Town, as these small towns were of similar scale to Fresh Breeze Town. Captain, there were a few inns earlier that seemed pretty good. Duan Lingtian noticed that Yang Da had brought him all the way into the small town and disregarded all the inns on the way. We're not staying in an inn tonight. Yang Da smiled. Now staying in an inn? Duan Lingtian was stunned. This is Solitary Goose Town, and is also my hometown. Yang Da's eyes flashed with a trace of warmth. Duan Lingtian was slightly surprised. Just at this moment, a fleet of wagons were like a swimming dragon as the formidable array entered into the town. These wagons had some cages placed upon them, but there weren't fierce beasts or wild beasts locked inside, they were occupied by humans. These people were dressed like beggars but were extremely ferocious. They emitted a sense of ruthlessness from between their brows and were obviously not ordinary people. There were obvious brands on the faces of these people. Duan Lingtian stopped his horse and looked on. These are the slaves the Kai clan gathered from outside. They usually sell some in the Solitary Goose Town before heading to the county city. The Kai clan has good relations with the county city's county governor's estate, Yang Da slowly said. Just at this moment, Yang Da, the man at the lead of the fleet of wagons, galloped over before stopping his horse in front of Yang Da. Instantly, the entire fleet of wagons stopped. Kai Hai, you actually took charge personally. Yang Da smiled back in a familiar manner. Yang Da, you haven't come back for some time. Your cultivation has advanced, right? Once I'm done with sending these slaves over, I'll come to your Yang clan to visit you, and I cannot do without some sparring with you. Kai Hai laughed. Then you have to use your time wisely, I'm leaving tomorrow morning. Yang Da laughed as well. Suddenly, Duan Lingtian frowned. He noticed that a slightly robust figure inside one of the cages was gazing upon the spatial ring on his hand. This was a middle-aged man, and his gaze emitted an uncontrollable agitation. He recognized this spatial ring. Duan Lingtian was dumbfounded. It was hard for him to imagine how the middle-aged man could have recognized this spatial ring, which was the possession of the young sect leader of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's boundless sect. Suddenly, Duan Lingtian clearly saw that there was an obvious black pattern on the middle-aged man's neck. This pattern, the memories of rebirth Martial Emperor flashed within Duan Lingtian's mind. Origin Sealing Parasite. Duan Lingtian pupils constricted, as he knew the meaning that this pattern represented. However, it was logically impossible for a parasitic poison that required such high skill to create to appear in the Crimson Sky Kingdom. The origin-sealing parasite was a parasitic poison that would seal a person's origin energy. Even a void stage powerhouse would be infected by it if caught off guard, and once infected, the entire body's origin energy would be sealed, only leaving the victim with a cultivation at the 9th level of the body tempering stage. Boundless sect. Noticing the unkempt middle-aged man's fierce gaze sweeping towards him, Duan Lingtian mouthed these two words. Instantly, the middle-aged man's body trembled and his eyes emitted a sense of excitement. He's really from the Boundless sect. Duan Lingtian's heart shook. Yongda, who's this? Meanwhile, Kai Hai's gaze had descended upon Duan Lingtian. He's Duan Lingtian. He's a member of this year's Genius Camp. He's already passed the final test and obtained the qualifications to enter Paladin Academy, so he will become a Paladin Academy student soon. Yongda smiled as he spoke. Kai Hai was visually moved and an amiable smile appeared on his face. Brother Lingtian, I'm Kai Hai. How should I address you? Duan Lingtian returned a smile but was unaware as to how he should address Kai Hai. Kai Hai laughed heartily. Brother Lingtian, if you don't mind, then call me Big Brother Kai. How about it? Big Brother Kai. Duan Lingtian greeted before asking, Big Brother Kai, where did you get all these slaves you're transporting? Kai Hai said, with a smile, our merchandise is purchased from other kingdoms, they're mostly war prisoners and wanderers. Purchase their stock. Duan Lingtian felt a sense of grief for these slaves. They were obviously human but were taken as merchandise. Big Brother Kai, I've always wanted to buy a slave but didn't have the connections, I wonder if I can buy one from you. Duan Lingtian probed. Brother Lingtian, you're treating me like a stranger. Not to mention the friendship between me and your captain as we grew up, we've become friends at our first meeting, and it makes me feel considerably warm. Just take any one of these slaves as a meeting gift from your big brother Kai, Kai Hai generously said. As far as he could see, since Duan Lingtian had obtained the qualifications to enter Paladin Academy, his extraordinary natural talent was evident from his young age of 17. Once he graduates from Paladin Academy, his future will certainly be boundless. He would never have a chance to be on friendly terms with such a person in the future. Now, however, it was precisely the best time to do Duan Lingtian a favor, and maybe in the future it would grant him an even larger favor. Thank you, Big Brother Kai. Duan Lingtian didn't refuse it and purposely spurred his horse closer to the cages. The slaves all looked at Duan Lingtian with cold and indifferent gazes, seeming to wish nothing more than to tear him to shreds. I'll take him, Duan Lingtian eventually pointing towards the middle-aged man that might be from the Boundless sect. Kai Hai's brows slightly twitched as he reminded, Brother Lingtian, that slave is only at the 9th level of the body tempering stage and is the cheapest among this group of slaves. Why don't you pick another? How about that slave that's at the 5th level of the core formation stage? It's one of the high-quality merchandise among this batch of slaves. Big Brother Kai, this one is fine. You're giving me a meeting gift, how could I take advantage of you? Duan Lingtian smiled. Haha, Brother Lingtian, you're straightforward as expected. Once I finish arranging a place for these slaves, I'll bring him over to the Yang clan. Kai Hai glanced deeply at Duan Lingtian, as his feeling that this youth wasn't simple grew even deeper. Kai Hai said his farewells to Yongda before leaving. Duan Lingtian, is there something special about that slave? Yongda looked at Duan Lingtian with a slightly suspicious expression. The corners of Duan Lingtian's mouth twitched. Captain, what do you think could be special about that slave? Isn't it just a 9th level body tempering slave? Haha, I just think it's strange that you would be so sensible. Yongda laughed loudly. Do I seem like the type of person that covets small gains? Duan Lingtian was speechless. You don't seem like one. That's more like it. You were always one. That night, Duan Lingtian stayed at the Yang clan. Only then did Duan Lingtian know that the Yang clan that Yongda originated from was actually one of the 3 great clans of Solitary Goose Town. The Kai clan which Kai Hai was from was also one of the 3 great clans of Solitary Goose Town. Besides this, Duan Lingtian found out of another matter. The wife of Swallow Mountain County's county governor was actually the Kai clan's patriarch's elder sister. And Pei San, whose arm was cut off, was precisely the nephew of the Kai clan's patriarch. Kai Hai, on the other hand, was the Kai clan's patriarch's younger brother, and Pei San's uncle. One really can't avoid their enemies. After finding out about all this, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but sigh. If that Pei San knew that not only was his uncle extremely courteous to me but even gifted a slave to me, I wonder what he would feel. He probably would spit blood out of anger. Duan Ling Tian's heart flashed with a wicked thought. Young Master Ling Tian, the second master requests your company. Just at this moment, the voice of the servant girl entered the room. Looks like Kai Hai's arrived. Duan Ling Tian thought in his heart. The second master that the servant girl spoke of was precisely the Captain Yang Da, who was also the younger brother of the Yang clan patriarch. In the Yang clan's audience hall, Duan Ling Tian saw Kai Hai once again, and with him was the middle-aged man that Duan Ling Tian chose earlier. After cleaning up and changing clothes, the middle-aged man seemed refreshed. However, the brand on his face undoubtedly proclaimed his low status as a slave. Big brother Kai. Duan Ling Tian smiled to Kai Hai. Brother Ling Tian, you really have a good eye. Although this slave's cultivation is slightly low, his appearance and bearings are quite extraordinary. Kai Hai smiled. After exchanging a few more pleasantries, Duan Ling Tian bid his farewell and brought along the middle-aged man as he left. In a quiet room, Duan Ling Tian and the middle-aged man stood staring at each other. The middle-aged man's expression was calm without a trace of change as he grabbed Duan Ling Tian's shoulder and asked, in an agitated manner, why do you have the young sect master's spatial ring? What did you do to him? Bang! Duan Ling Tian's face sank, and his hand moved like a bolt of lightning and knocked the middle-aged man a distance away. The middle-aged man's face turned grim as he growled, if it wasn't for me being poisoned, even if 1,000 of babies like you were to attack me, I would be able to annihilate them with a flip of my palm. Even you yourself said that you're poisoned. All I know is that you're currently a 9th-level body-tempering piece of trash. So behave yourself. Duan Ling Tian moved forward 2 steps and gave the middle-aged man a slap. You. The middle-aged man's face distorted as he moved to attack Duan Ling Tian. It seemed you've forgotten that I'm your liege now. Duan Ling Tian's voice was cold and indifferent as he raised his hand and swung it out like a raging python swinging its tail, blasting the middle-aged man away once again. Thump. Duan Ling Tian put his foot on the middle-aged man's chest as he looked down at him and coldly said, remember that from today onwards, I'm your liege. Your liege that you're not allowed to disobey. Chapter 0118. The middle-aged man's face flushed as if he wanted to struggle, but he was unable to do so. What, you're unwilling to submit? Duan Ling Tian's gaze went cold as he applied pressure with his leg. The middle-aged man's face went pale and slowly became ghastly pale, then his body started to tremble. Suddenly, Duan Ling Tian withdrew his leg. The middle-aged man took deep and heavy breaths for a long time before finally recovering, then he looked at Duan Ling Tian with an icy cold gaze. Duan Ling Tian paid no attention to this as he indifferently said, if you acknowledge me as your liege, I can help remove the origin-sealing parasite within you. You know of the origin-sealing parasite? The middle-aged man's pupils constricted and astonishment filled his face. As far as he knew, the origin-sealing parasite was something that was absolutely impossible to be known by anyone in a small kingdom like this. But the violet-clothed youth in front of him seemed to be well versed on the origin-sealing parasite, and most importantly, he had the Boundless Sect's young sect master's spatial ring on his hand. You're really able to remove the origin-sealing parasite within me? The middle-aged man took a deep breath as his eyes flickered. What, you doubt me? Duan Ling Tian swept the middle-aged man with a cold and indifferent gaze as he spoke. Now tell me all about why you're infected with the origin-sealing parasite and why you're here in the Crimson Sky Kingdom. The middle-aged man caught his breath. I'm Shang Quan, the guardian of the Boundless Sect. I and the young sect leader successfully fled the scene when the Boundless Sect tragically met with the calamity of annihilation. In an effort to save ourselves, we each led away some of our pursuers. Although I was lucky and managed to flee my pursuers later on, the origin-sealing parasite that I was infected with finally took effect, and I was only able to walk for a while in my sorry state before finally losing my strength and falling unconscious. When I next came to my senses, I noticed that I was locked up and branded with the mark of a slave. As he finished speaking, Shang Quan gnashed his teeth. The dignified guardian of the Boundless Sect had actually become a slave. In the beginning, he even thought of dying. However, in the end, he gritted his teeth and persevered. He believed that he would someday be able to remove the origin-sealing parasite and recover his strength. At that time, he would annihilate the group of people that gave him this slave brand. So that's what happened. Your spatial ring actually wasn't taken by them. Duan Ling Tian glanced at Shang Quan's right hand. On Shang Quan's right middle finger was a rust-stained ring which no one would take a second look at, but Duan Lingtian, however, was able to discern that it was a spatial ring, and maybe it was precisely because Shang Quan's spatial ring was so inconspicuous that it wasn't taken away. Shang Quan had a vigilant expression as he put away his spatial ring. Duan Lingtian stared blankly for a moment before ordering, "Remove the ownership and give it to me." Shang Quan's face distorted before turning into a face full of bitterness as he helplessly removed his spatial ring's ownership and passed it over to Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian dripped his blood and established ownership before looking within. What he saw, however, was that it only contained some grade 7 medicinal pills, and a narrow saber, which was a grade 7 spirit weapon. Just this pile of trash. Duan Lingtian frowned as he casually removed his ownership of the spatial ring and tossed it back to Shang Quan. Trash. The corners of Shang Quan's mouth twitched. Who the heck is this youth? Even grade 7 spirit weapons and grade 7 medicinal pills are considered trash to him. Little brother. Shang Quan looked at Duan Lingtian as he spoke, however, he couldn't even finish what he wanted to say before being interrupted by Duan Lingtian with a frown. "Who's your little brother? I'll give you one last chance. If you don't acknowledge me as your liege, then I won't let you live, let alone remove the poison within you." As Duan Lingtian finished speaking, his body emitted a dense killing intent. Shang Quan let out a deep breath of cold air before speaking in a composed manner. "I want to know what happened to the young sect leader. If the young sect leader was killed by you, then I would rather die than acknowledge you as my liege." Duan Lingtian glanced at Shang Quan with a slightly surprised gaze. "I didn't notice earlier that you were a man of such integrity." Shang Quan grunted in reply. "When I found your young sect leader, he was already on the verge of death and left a voice transmission jade slip to me. He requested that I pass another voice transmission jade slip to an old man called Shangguan Yan. I'll give you the voice transmission jade slip to discern its authenticity once I've removed your poison and helped you recover your origin energy," Duan Lingtian said indifferently. "Young sect leader," Shang Quan cried out in grief and his aged face was drowned in tears. In the end, he stopped his tears before bowing to Duan Lingtian. "My liege." Duan Lingtian glanced indifferently at Shang Quan. "I will spare no effort in removing the poison within you, but I'll have to leave a contingency. I'll have you consume another type of highly toxic poison." Shang Quan's face instantly went ghastly pale. "Don't worry, the effects of the poison I'll give you will only recur every 6 months, so as long as I give you the antidote, you'll be able to live without worry for 6 months. This is also my method of preventing you from going back on your word once you recover your origin energy," Duan Lingtian added. Shang Quan's eyes flashed with a bright light and his face was filled with bitterness. He never imagined that this youth would think so far ahead, as he really had such thoughts earlier. "Don't have any hopes of getting lucky, I'm an alchemist." Duan Lingtian withdrew his Alchemist Guild Grade 9 Alchemist crest and shook it at Shang Quan's face before putting it away. Grade 9 Alchemist, Shang Quan's face froze. This youth that looks to be around the age of 17 is actually a Grade 9 Alchemist. There was never such a young Grade 9 Alchemist even in the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. "Follow me back to Iron Blood City tomorrow and I'll refine the medicinal pill to remove your origin sealing parasite. However, my current cultivation is limited, so I'm only able to refine a medicinal pill capable of removing 1/3 of the origin sealing parasite's poison within you at most." "What was your cultivation level when you were at your prime?" Duan Lingtian asked Shang Quan as he briefed him. "6th level of the void prying stage," Shang Quan said respectfully. 6th level of the void prying stage. Duan Lingtian's brows raised before he rubbed his chin. "Your cultivation should be able to recover to the nascent soul stage after 1/3 of the poison is removed. As for what level of the nascent soul stage, that would depend on your own fortune." "I can't completely recover." Shang Quan's expression froze and he was slightly disappointed. "HMPH. I'm only a Grade 9 alchemist right now, so the strength of my pill fire is limited. Once I step into the origin core stage, I can become a Grade 8 alchemist, and at that time I can remove another 1/3 of the poison within you. Once I step into the 7th level of the origin core stage and become a Grade 7 alchemist, it will be sufficient to help you completely remove the poison within your body. In other words, once I step into the 7th level of the origin core stage, your cultivation will recover to its prime." Duan Lingtian swept Shang Quan with a cold and indifferent gaze. "What, can't wait? I'm very satisfied with that." Shang Quan hurriedly shook his head. It was more than enough to him that he would be able to recover his strength in this lifetime, and he was just momentarily blinded by his desire earlier. At dawn the next day, Duan Lingtian brought Shang Quan along as he followed Yang Da back to Iron Blood City. At this moment, Shang Quan was wearing a mask that covered half his face, and with it the slave brand on his face. Upon arrival at Iron Blood City, Duan Lingtian gave Shang Quan some silver to stay at a predetermined inn before following Yang Da back to the Iron Blood Army campsite. Only now did Duan Lingtian find out that he was the first Genius Camp member to complete the mission and return. Only another month remains from the one-year deadline, but none the other 28 youths have completed their missions and returned. Looks like the places they went were extremely far as well, Duan Lingtian guessed in his heart. As expected, Duan Lingtian was once again summoned by the Iron Blood Army's commander, Teng Yunhai, and this summon was a banquet that the commander specially held in honor of Duan Lingtian's return. During the banquet, besides Commander Teng Yunhai and Vice Commander Chao Qingshan, another 7 captains, including Yang Da, were present. And thus, the high-ranking generals that were garrisoned at the Iron Blood Army campsite were all present. Duan Lingtian, on behalf of the Iron Blood Army, we raise this cup of wine in your honor. From today onwards, the Black Armor Army is nothing to be afraid of. Teng Yunhai laughed heartily as he raised his cup. The others raised their cups as well. As far as the Iron Blood Army was concerned, the Black Armor Army losing the assistance of the Lien clan was comparable to losing its wings. Cheers! Duan Lingtian raised his cup as well before draining the cup with one gulp. Satisfying. They do say that heroes get their start when they are youngsters. This has been really eye-opening to me. A captain looked at Duan Lingtian as he led the praise. Subsequently, the remaining captains weren't stingy with their praise to Duan Lingtian. After the banquet ended, Duan Lingtian followed Teng Yunhai into the largest tent in the Iron Blood Army's campsite, or in other words, Teng Yunhai's tent. Duan Lingtian, I didn't think that you would really be able to complete that mission. Teng Yunhai sighed. Duan Lingtian's gaze flickered. What, Commander, if you weren't confident, then why did you give me that mission? Teng Yunhai smiled as he spoke. By your tone, it seems you have some slight resentment. Commander, sir, where's my proof of qualification? Duan Lingtian didn't reply to Teng Yunhai but instead spread out his hand, obviously not interested in staying at this place for long. Teng Yunhai raised his hand and passed a document of proof to Duan Lingtian. The time to head to Paladin Academy and register starts half a year from now and ends a year from that time. You can prepare to start your journey as soon as you return home. If you bring your family along in a wagon, it would require around a year's time to travel from Aurora City to the Imperial City. You investigated me. Duan Lingtian frowned and was slightly displeased. Don't worry, I had no ill intentions. The smile on Teng Yunhai's face never faded. Farewell. Duan Lingtian put away the proof of qualification and turned around before leaving. He's still young but already has a mild temper. Duan Rufeng, you have a good son. Teng Yunhai's eyes flashed with a trace of admiration. Since Duan Lingtian was currently considered to have passed the Genius Camp training, the rules he had to follow as a member of the Genius Camp were abolished and he could freely enter and leave the Iron Blood Army's campsite. After leaving the Iron Blood Army's campsite, he found a few medicine stores and obtained sufficient medicinal materials before heading to the inn to look for Shang Quan. My liege, Shang Quan knew how to behave now and displayed respect and reverence in front of Duan Lingtian. Stand guard for me as I refine the poison removal pill for you. Duan Lingtian flicked his sleeve before directly entering the room. Hearing what he said caused Shang Quan to reply in excitement before respectfully standing guard outside the door like a guardian deity. In the room, Duan Lingtian separated the medicinal materials into categories before picking them up one by one and placing them into the cauldron. A pill fire appeared on his hand before he pushed it into the cauldron. Kai, tongues of flames shot out of the cauldron and then the cauldron started trembling. 2 hours later, Duan Lingtian finished up and retrieved the 3 medicinal pills that flickered with a green stream of light which shot out of the cauldron. Chapter 0119. Spirit Cleansing Pill. The medicinal pill that was currently Duan Lingtian refining was a poison removal pill the Rebirth Martial Emperor invented after researching a myriad of different poisons. This pill was divided into 9 grades. Duan Lingtian was only a grade 9 alchemist at present, so he was only able to refine a grade 9 spirit cleansing pill. Duan Lingtian pushed open the room door and instantly saw Shang Quan, who gazed at him with a face full of agitation. Duan Ling Tian casually tossed the 3 spirit cleansing pills to Shang Quan before indifferently saying, consume 1 pill first. The medicinal effect will probably require a month to completely manifest. After a month, consume the 2nd pill, and after 2 months, consume the 3rd pill. After 3 months, you will be able to recover 1/3 of the strength you had at your prime. Thank you, my liege. Shang Quan didn't hesitate to pop the spirit cleansing pill into his mouth and swallow it. As for the other 2 pills, he put them away inside his spatial ring as if he would a treasure. Keep in mind that I've mixed a highly toxic poison within the medicinal pill, and if you don't behave yourself, then only death awaits you. Duan Ling Tian added. Yes, my liege. Shang Quan had long ago been mentally prepared for this. In the following days, Duan Ling Tian stayed in the inn, as the living conditions of the Iron Blood Army campsite were too inferior to the inn. Duan Ling Tian had already started to charge towards the 4th level core formation stage threshold. Once I step into the 4th level of the core formation stage, my origin energy will undergo a qualitative change and directly increase my strength by 2 ancient mammoths. Duan Ling Tian's eyes abruptly started shining brightly. At that time, even if I don't use a spirit weapon, I can still possess the strength of 11 ancient mammoths with just my bare hands. That's comparable to an 8th level core formation martial artist. As expected of the 9 Dragons War Sovereign technique, which is at the same level as the 3 Lives Rebirth technique that Rebirth Martial Emperor cultivated. Once I break through to the 9th level of the core formation stage in the future and complete the final fleshly body tempering of the Raging Python form, I will be able to possess the strength of 23 ancient mammoths. Without the assistance of external forces such as spirit weapons, an ordinary 9th level core formation martial artist only possesses the strength of 12 ancient mammoths. I, however, will have an extra 11 ancient mammoths compared to them due to my fleshly body being far stronger than an ordinary person's. Even a 1st level origin core martial artist only possesses the strength of 20 ancient mammoths. Thus, at the 9th level of the core formation stage, I can firmly defeat a 1st level core formation martial artist. However, a 2nd level origin core martial artist would possess the strength of 30 ancient mammoths, and thus only when I step into the 1st level of the origin core stage will I be able to battle with such a martial artist. Duan Ling Tian's surging state of mind quickly returned to a calm state. Cultivate seriously. 9 Dragons War Sovereign technique, Raging Python form. Origin energy continuously circulated within Duan Ling Tian's body in an effort to break through to the 4th level of the core formation stage as soon as possible. Although Duan Ling Tian had currently obtained the proof of qualification to enter Paladin Academy and thus could return home directly, he didn't return because he wanted to know the results of Xiao Yu's, Meng Quan's, and Luo Cheng's missions. 10 days later, another person finally returned. It was Su Li. He completed his mission and obtained the proof of qualification. Duan Ling Tian, I want to challenge you. Su Li's gaze stared fixedly at Duan Ling Tian. Su Li, you've broken through. Duan Ling Tian smiled as he asked. Wah! Su Li's body lightly trembled as 7 ancient mammoth silhouettes flickered above him. Su Li, are you sure you want to battle me? Duan Ling Tian had a face full of smiles as he took a step forward. Wah! The energy of heaven and earth trembled above Duan Ling Tian as 8 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form. You, Su Li had a lifeless expression as a sense of loss arose in his heart, but he recovered before long. I understand now. Su Li took a deep breath and looked at Duan Ling Tian with a gaze that had a battle intent as it did before. Duan Ling Tian, I'm inferior to you now, but I'll work hard to catch up to you. See you at Paladin Academy 1 year from now. After he finished speaking, Su Li left the Iron Blood Army campsite as if he had transformed into a gust of wind. This Su Li is interesting as well. Duan Ling Tian lightly smiled. In the following days, both Tian Hu and Yu Shang returned. Duan Ling Tian, my Yu clan will absolutely not let you off. Yu Shang threatened Duan Ling Tian just when he was about to leave. What, you aren't afraid I'll take care of you on your journey back? Duan Ling Tian's eyes narrowed and killing intent flashed within them. Yu Zhang's face went ghastly pale, as he was truly shaken by what Duan Ling Tian said. Although he had obtained the proof of qualification to enter Paladin Academy, he temporarily was too afraid to leave. He went to look for one of his brother's former best friends, Centurion Fang Chun, as he wanted him to send him away from Iron Blood City to prevent Duan Ling Tian from trying to kill him. Yu Shang, I've been quite busy lately and I'm afraid I won't have the time to send you home. Unexpected to him, however, Fang Chun refused his request. What a joke! Since the moment Duan Lingtian killed Yu Hong, he had long ago sworn in his heart that he would absolutely not offend a malefic existence like Duan Lingtian. Presently, he even suspected that Centurion Bai Feng had died by Duan Lingtian's hand the other day. Or else, with his strength, how could Bai Feng have vanished into thin air? Yu Zhang's face slightly sank. Yu Shang, how about this? Since you're worried about Duan Lingtian coming after you, why don't you temporarily stay at our Iron Blood Army's campsite and wait for Duan Lingtian to leave? When he's gone, you can take a detour and leave under the cover of the night. How about it? Fang Chun pondered for a moment. He was good friends with Yu Hong after all, and thus he made this suggestion to Yu Shang out of that friendship. Yu Zhang's expression was as unsightly as it could possibly be. He was the dignified genius disciple of County City's Yu clan, and he had even obtained the proof of qualification to enter Paladin Academy, but he actually had to leave in such a cowardly manner. Nevertheless, he knew that he had no choice. Duan Lingtian naturally wasn't aware that a single threat from him had actually caused Yu Shang to be so distressed as to only dare leave after he leaves Iron Blood City. A few days passed by before Duan Lingtian finally met Xiao Yu, who had returned after completing his mission. Xiao Yu, you broke through. Duan Lingtian was slightly surprised when he saw Xiao Yu once again. How did you notice? Xiao Yu was stunned. It isn't hard to guess when you're in such high spirits. Duan Lingtian laughed. Accompany me for a while. Xiao Yu's eyes flickered as he slowly spoke. What? Duan Lingtian was dazed. I want to go challenge Yu Shang. There was a trace of icy coldness mixed within Xiao Yu's voice. Yu Shang was afraid of Duan Lingtian but not of Xiao Yu, and thus he naturally agreed upon being challenged by Xiao Yu. In the end, Xiao Yu relied upon his sleeve dimension and gained a slight advantage to take the victory. Xiao Yu recalled the enmity from before and flicked his sleeve, blasting Yu Shang away and causing him to be heavily injured to the point of fainting. Duan Lingtian laughed as he asked, finished venting? Xiao Yu nodded as a wide grin appeared on his face. Before long, as the one-year deadline approached, all of the remaining centurions returned one after the other, whereby most of them returned alone and only a few of them brought with them a genius camp youth. In the end, the centurions that left with Luo Cheng and Meng Quan had returned. However, Meng Quan and Luo Cheng were nowhere to be found. Duan Lingtian's and Xiao Yu's hearts sank, and they eventually got an answer. Meng Quan and Luo Cheng had lost their lives. Meanwhile, all of the centurions had returned, and the number of youths who passed the test were only 7 including Duan Lingtian and Xiao Yu. Duan Lingtian, Xiao Yu. Just after Duan Lingtian and Xiao Yu had received news, Vice Commander Chao Qingshan appeared before them, and in his hands were 2 letters. Meng Quan and Luo Cheng's wills. Meng Quan and Luo Cheng both prepared 2 wills when they were still amongst the living. Among Meng Quan's 2 wills, one was addressed to Xiao Yu, and one of Luo Cheng's wills, on the other hand, was addressed to Duan Lingtian. Chao Qingshan passed the 2 wills to Duan Lingtian and Xiao Yu. You have my condolences. Chao Qingshan sighed before turning around and leaving. He had seen too many partings in his life, and thus knew how Duan Lingtian and Xiao Yu were feeling at this moment. Duan Lingtian took a deep breath and opened up Luo Cheng's will. Luo Cheng's writing was beautiful, it seemed like it was written by a young girl. Duan Lingtian, when you receive this letter, it means I probably didn't pass the final test, sigh, I still failed in the end. However, I don't regret it because I've tried my best. Being able to meet you, Meng Quan, and Xiao Yu was the happiest thing in my life. It was all of you that let me realize how to be a true man, so thank you. Help send my regards to Meng Quan and Xiao Yu, that's if they're still alive when you read this letter. Besides that, I still have a matter I can't let go of. This matter was the drive that urged me to come to the genius camp. If possible, I hope that you can help me. Luo Cheng signing off. Crush. Duan Lingtian's hand trembled as he crushed the letter in his hand into a ball. Although he'd only been acquainted with Luo Cheng for 3 months, but in his heart he had already taken Luo Cheng as a friend. Now, this friend of his had parted with him forever. Duan Lingtian took a deep breath as he solemnly said in his heart, Luo Cheng, don't worry, I'll surely help you on that matter. Meng Quan, Xiao Yu, who was standing to the side, had also finished reading Meng Quan's will, and his ice-cold face emitted a trace of melancholy. Meng Quan, Duan Lingtian's eyes flickered as he couldn't help himself from recalling how full of high spirits Meng Quan was when they were still in Aurora City. Meng Quan, rest in peace. Xiao Yu took a deep breath as he looked at Duan Lingtian and said, Duan Ling Tian, I plan to leave today and return to help Meng Quan finish his unfulfilled wish. I need to make a visit to Luo Cheng's clan as well. Duan Ling Tian nodded. The two of them went to see Vice Commander Chao Qingshan and took along the other wills that Meng Quan and Luo Cheng had prepared before leaving Iron Blood City. Shang Quan silently followed behind the two of them, protecting his liege, Duan Ling Tian. A month had passed and he had finished dissolving the medicinal strength of the first spirit cleansing pill, so he had regained his origin energy, and his cultivation recovered to the origin core stage. Luo Cheng's clan was situated at Pine City. Pine City was in between Iron Blood City and Aurora City, so it was on the way. Duan Ling Tian's group of three veered off their course halfway towards Aurora City and entered Pine City. The Luo clan was only a small clan in Pine City. Duan Ling Tian's group of three arrived outside the Luo clan estate and bribed a Luo clan disciple. They thus smoothly entered the Luo clan estate and met Luo Cheng's younger sister, Luo Qian. At first sight, Duan Ling Tian had a slightly breathtaking feeling. Luo Qian's age was similar to his, and she was very pretty and charming, delicate and appealing. In terms of appearance, Luo Qian was only slightly inferior to Ke Li Fei, and Xiao Yan, but she surpassed Li Shishi. You all! Luo Qian had only just opened her mouth when she was interrupted by Shang Quan's stern shout. Who? Come out! Chapter 0120. Shang Quan's sudden shout caused the people who were concealed at a corner outside the courtyard to be unable to hide any longer, and thus they simply walked out in the open. Xiao Yu's brows slightly frowned. Duan Ling Tian's expression remained tranquil, as if it wasn't the least bit unexpected to him. Luo Hu, Luo Qian, you two have been surveilling me. Seeing the two of them caused Luo Qian to be so angry that her face went slightly pale. 1. Luo Qian, this is the Patriarch's orders. The two Luo clan youths had tranquil expressions. Luo Qian took a deep breath and ignored the two of them before looking at Duan Ling Tian and Xiao Yu. You both are my brother's friends. But my brother's gone to Iron Blood City and hasn't returned yet. Duan Ling Tian and Xiao Yu looked at each other with bitter smiles on the corners of their mouths. They really couldn't bear to break the news about Luo Cheng to Luo Qian, but they knew that Luo Qian would find out sooner or later. Luo Qian, this is the letter your brother left for you. Duan Ling Tian withdrew Luo Cheng's will and passed it over to Luo Qian. Luo Qian's face was ghastly pale as she received the letter with trembling hands, seeming to have realized something as she opened and read it. Unknowingly, tears had started pouring from her eyes like waterfalls. Big brother, I told you the genius camp's training was dangerous. Why didn't you listen? How am I supposed to live without you? Luo Cheng's dead. The pupils of the two Luo clan young men constricted. You have our condolences. Duan Ling Tian and Xiao Yu consoled her. Luo Qian's delicate figure slightly trembled and twitched for a few moments before finally asking, your big brother Ling Tian? Yes. Duan Ling Tian nodded. My big brother said I should listen to you from now on. Luo Qian cried as she spoke. We came today to take you away from the Luo clan. This is also your brother's wish. Duan Ling Tian lightly smiled. HMPH. According to the agreement between him and our Luo clan, since he's dead and unable to obtain the qualifications to enter Paladin Academy, then Luo Qian must obey our Luo clan's arrangements and marry the Qian clan's young master, and thus unite our two clans in marriage. No one can take her away. The two Luo clan young men took a step forward and stared fiercely at Duan Ling Tian's group of three. No one can stop me from taking her away. Duan Ling Tian sneered with a domineering expression. Whoosh! Xiao Yu was even more straightforward as he directly took a step forward before his figure jerked. Sleeve dimension. Xiao Yu flicked his sleeve that was bursting with origin energy and directly blasted the two Luo clan young men away. FK off. On the way here, Xiao Yu had learned of Luo Cheng's unfulfilled wish from Duan Ling Tian. Luo Cheng didn't desire for his sister to become the Luo clan's tool to unite their clan with the Qian clan in marriage. And this was precisely the reason why he joined the genius camp. Everything Luo Cheng did was for the sake of his sister. The will he wrote Duan Ling Tian was to ask Duan Ling Tian to help him save his sister by taking her away from the Luo clan and providing her with a stable life. Fourth level of the core formation stage. The two Luo clan young men's expressions turned grim when they noticed the 6 ancient mammoth silhouettes above Xiao Yu. They glanced at each other and left in a sorry state. Pack up your things and leave with us. Duan Ling Tian smiled to Luo Qian. Luo Qian nodded as her tears uncontrollably poured out, but when she thought of what Luo Cheng wrote within his will, she wiped off her tears and put on a strong and resolute expression. She wanted to be strong and not let her big brother down. "LL help you." Xiao Yu followed Luo Qian into her room. With Xiao Yu's help, it wasn't long before Luo Qian had packed away all her things. Duan Lingtian took the lead with Shang Quan following right behind him, and Xiao Yu and Luo Qian followed from behind. The group of four made their way towards the exit of the Luo clan estate, but when they arrived at the main door, three figures stood there like guardians of the way. One was a middle-aged man and the other two were old men. Patriarch. Seeing the middle-aged man caused Luo Qian's face to turn pale. "Luo Qian, I'll give you a chance. You stay and I'll let them leave, if you don't, then they will undoubtedly die." The middle-aged man's eyes flashed with a trace of a cold light. Luo Qian's face went pale and she struggled for a moment before finally looking at Duan Lingtian and Xiao Yu. "Thank you for taking care of my big brother. Leave without me." After the patriarch and the two elders appeared, she realized that it was impossible for Duan Lingtian to take her away. As far as she was concerned, Duan Lingtian and Xiao Yu were her big brother's friends, and thus she was unwilling to implicate them. In her heart, she was ready to die. Once Duan Lingtian and Xiao Yu had smoothly left, she would choose to take her own life. Her brother wasn't here anymore, so she didn't have any ties in this world. "Big brother, I'll come accompany you really soon. I would rather die than marry the Qian clan's profligate disciple." Luo Qian's heart flashed with a trace of melancholy. Xiao Yu's face sank as his cold and indifferent gaze descended upon the Luo clan's patriarch. "I'm the grandson of the Aurora City's Xiao clan's supreme elder. If you have any sense, then hurry up and scram." "Aurora City's Xiao clan?" The Luo clan patriarch started laughing. "It isn't the place for your Aurora City's clan to meddle in our Luo clan's affairs. Elders, see our guests out." "Yes." Immediately, the two elders that were standing behind the patriarch moved, flashing straight towards Duan Lingtian, Xiao Yu and Shang Quan. Above each of the two old men, 20 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared. First level of the origin core stage. Xiao Yu's expressions distorted. "Shang Quan." Duan Lingtian finally spoke, and his voice was incomparably cold and indifferent. "Humph, two first-level core formation martial artists dare to be presumptuous in front of my liege. FK off." Shang Quan grunted coldly as he moved forward swiftly, blasting the two Luo clan elders away with a slap each and causing them to be knocked out cold after they crashed onto the ground. Above Shang Quan, 40 ancient mammoth silhouettes flickered before vanishing. Third level of the origin core stage. The Luo clan patriarch's expression went grim, and his gaze was filled with a cold fierceness as he walked out in large strides. Above him, 40 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared as well. "Ignorant." Duan Lingtian's expression turned cold. "Shang Quan, cripple him." "Yes, my liege." Shang Quan moved, but he seemed to have moved entirely from one point to another with only a single step. Earth-heaven warp. Whoosh. A green sword light flashed by and then a shrill cry was heard. The Luo clan's patriarch knelt on the ground before his entire body crashed onto the ground, as his body had lost all support. Blood sprayed out from all four of his limbs. The tendons in both his hands and legs were severed. As the Luo clan's patriarch lied on all fours, he raised his head to see the 49 ancient mammoth silhouettes that flickered above Shang Quan before vanishing at almost the same moment. He said, with a shaky voice, Grade 7 spirit weapon." In the end, the Luo clan patriarch lost too much blood and fainted. Patriarch. The two Luo clan young men that went to deliver the news earlier were standing nearby, and when they saw this scene, they were scared to the point that their legs shook and their faces went ghastly pale. Duan Lingtian's cold gaze swept past the two of them. "I already said this earlier. No one can stop me from taking her away. Let's go." Only after Duan Lingtian's group left the Luo clan estate were the two Luo clan young men finally be able to react. Their ears echoed with the domineering words of the violet-clothed youth, "No one can stop me from taking her away." When they heard this for the first time, they thought that the youth was arrogant and conceited, but now it would seem that the youth was actually confident. Outside of the Luo clan estate, Duan Lingtian jumped up onto his horse. Xiao Yu, on the other hand, pulled Luo Qian up onto his horse. He held her in his arms as he galloped. Seeing this caused the corners of Duan Lingtian's mouth to flash with a smile, as he had long ago noticed Xiao Yu's gaze flicker with a strange light. It would seem that Xiao Yu had feelings for Luo Qian. It was better this way, as at the very least Luo Qian would have someone to rely on. If Luo Cheng was aware in the afterlife, he would finally be able to rest at ease. On the way, Xiao Yu's gaze had never once left Shang Quan. He wasn't clear of Shang Quan's background. All he knew was that since they left Iron Blood City, this middle-aged man who wore a mask that covered half his face had always followed Duan Lingtian and even addressed Duan Lingtian as his liege. At the moment Shang Quan noticed the two Luo clan young men, Xiao Yu became aware of how Shang Quan was no simple person. And when Shang Quan exerted the strength of the third level of the Origin Core stage and even withdrew a grade 7 spirit weapon out of the air, he was utterly dumbstruck. This Shang Quan actually had a spatial ring. As for the grade 7 spirit weapon, even his grandfather, the Xiao clan's supreme elder, an existence at the nascent soul stage, did not possess one. Duan Lingtian, Xiao Yu spurred his horse closer to Duan Lingtian before asking in a low voice. Duan Lingtian's brows slightly knit as he indifferently said, "He's my servant." Servant, the corners of Xiao Yu's mouth twitched. Even Luo Qian, whose tears had not dried yet, seemed to have forgotten her grief for a moment and had an astonished expression. This person whose strength was even stronger than the Luo clan patriarchs was actually Duan Lingtian's servant. Who the heck was this friend of her brother's? Her heart trembled slightly. Duan Lingtian was fairly satisfied with the strength Shang Quan had recovered as of current, and based on the current circumstances, when the medicinal strength of the second spirit cleansing pill manifests 1 month from now, Shang Quan should be able to recover his strength to at least the 7th level of the Origin Core stage. In 2 months, once the third spirit cleansing pill's medicinal strength manifests, it will be sufficient for Shang Quan's strength to recover to the nascent soul stage. As far as Duan Lingtian was concerned, the current Shang Quan was like a sharp blade in his hand. Anyone who dared stand in his way would be bound to die beneath this sharp blade of his. Xiao Yu's gaze was complicated, as he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Why is there such a huge difference between two people? Not to mention Duan Lingtian's natural talent being superior to his, now even his servant was in existence at the Origin Core stage. This caused Xiao Yu to feel slightly disturbed. Before long, he was able to come to terms with the matter. As far as he was concerned, Duan Lingtian was a freak and could not be looked at from a normal person's perspective. After half a month's time of traveling, Aurora City finally appeared before Duan Lingtian's group. "I'm home." Duan Lingtian's heart trembled. "Mom, I'm home." "Kaer, I'm home." "Little Fei, I'm home." Xiao Yu's eyes flickered with the brilliance of excitement as well. Duan Lingtian glanced at Xiao Yu as he asked, "Xiao Yu, you take care of Luo Qian from now on. How about it?" "No problem." Xiao Yu nodded. Duan Lingtian then glanced at Luo Qian and lightly smiled. "Little Qian, Xiao Yu is someone worthy of you relying upon. I believe that he will take good care of you and give you a carefree life." After half a month's time, Luo Qian had recovered quite a bit. Hearing Duan Lingtian's words, which had a hidden meaning, caused her face was to go slightly red, and she was at a loss for words as she nodded. "Yes, big brother Lingtian." "Xiao Yu." Duan Lingtian looked at Xiao Yu with a serious expression. "From the moment Luo Cheng entrusted Luo Qian's care to me, I've taken her to be my own little sister. Now I'm giving her to you, and I will absolutely not let you off if you let her suffer any injustice." "Don't worry." Xiao Yu nodded with a serious expression and his eyes flashed with a trace of gratitude. He knew that Duan Lingtian had long since seen through his thoughts and was helping him. 1TL note: the second guy here, Luo Qian, is actually named Luo Qian, but with a character that has the same pinyin but different writing and pronunciation as Luo Cheng's sister's name. So it seemed in everyone's best interest to slightly modify his name.